and making their way to the highest level. And I'm sure we'll have a great story to tell at the end of this weekend. But one story that I think a lot of people are asking, not necessarily about the players here, but about the decks. And that is, will Gardevoir be that deck that finally wins a World Championship despite being one of the most powerful decks throughout its time?
It's been absolutely dominating this season through the regional level and also getting many top cuts even at the international championships, even if it wasn't walking away with all of those victories necessarily. Of course it did at the NAIC and was an all Gardevoir final. So a lot of people have it as priority number one this weekend. Either you're picking it up yourself or you have to tech appropriately against this deck because, you know, last time we were in Anaheim, Gardevoir won, so it could easily repeat itself this weekend.
Yeah, I got a chance to try out that Gardevoir GX, and it was a very powerful deck, and it did remind me of the current Gardevoir with how good it is. But I think it is one of those decks that has always avoided having a target on it, and I think that's what's made it so powerful. But maybe coming into this event, because everyone has spent the whole last 2 years thinking, oh, we forgot about Gardevoir, what an amazing deck. I think maybe this event is the first time we've seen it actually have that target on it.
Yeah, and I think this is the final opportunity for Gardevoir EX to win the World Championships as well. And we all respect the archetype. We know it's one of the best in a vacuum. It's so flexible in how it can manipulate board states. It has single prize attackers at its disposal. It has Monkey Dory that can take mid-turn prizes, play around Pheasantipity EX. There's so many reasons why Gardevoir has been a mainstay in our metagame for so long. And every time new sets come out, we're always thinking, maybe this could be the big problem for Gardevoir that stops it being that key contender, but it keeps coming back for more.
Yeah, whether Jellicent works with it. But Gardevoir being base set, Scarlet and Violet, and this event being the event where we have every single Scarlet and Violet set, will Gardevoir come out on top as the ruler of the Scarlet and Violet era? We'll find out. But we kind of made some predictions ourselves of what decks and cards we thought were going to be doing well at this event. And, you know, Joe and I, we started things off. I think it's important that everyone at home knows that we were the first to pick, as we didn't come in and pick all of those obvious choices, like Kyle Sablehouse choosing Gardevoir, Ethan Heggie choosing that Golden Go. You know, these guys picked the obvious ones. We went Grimmsnarl and that Flareon.
So we're both trying to take some metagame calls here, because my reasoning for the Flareon EX is that the Golden Go EX has gained so much from the Black Bottom White Flare expansions, with Air Balloon being a fantastic tool for the deck, as well as Genesect EX being a fantastic engine Pokemon. I expect Golden Go EX to be very popular this weekend. I think the Flareon deck can have a really strong time into that matchup, and then it's about figuring itself out against some of the Stage 2 Pokemon. In some instances, you have weakness, for example, into Dragapult and into Grimmsnarl. You can use your Sylveon or your Leafeon if need be. Gardevoir is the hiccup, I think, for Flareon, which makes it a risky choice for the World Championships. But I do think players who are adept with the deck could go really far this weekend.
Yeah, and I chose Marnie's Grimmsnarl because I think Gardevoir is that deck that you're worried about the most, and it's the one which you have the strongest matchup into. And outside of that, you have such a powerful deck that you'd be able to beat everything else if things go your way. Although Golden Go is a tougher matchup for Marnie's Grimmsnarl, so definitely struggling with that. And your Flareon box as well. If you sneak in and you manage to match up with the Marnie's Grimmsnarl, then yeah, it's a tough matchup. But that Ace Nullifier Genesect, everyone's talking about a different Genesect for this event. Genesect EX, one of the greatest additions to Golden Go since it came out, and has allowed it to be really consistent, create a load of spots free for it so you can start adding tech cards rather than to worry about consistency. But it is that Ace Nullifier Genesect that allows you to shut down decks like Golden Go, and it can easily be splashed into any deck that has a plethora of tools.
That's the cat and mouse game that our players are having to think about. We all have an awareness that Golden Go got so much better this weekend that already, Mike, you're pinpointing some counter cards, as was I with the Flareon EX pick. You're going a bit more nuanced with the Ace Nullifier, saying it could be a tech card that can go into all sorts of archetypes to shut down the use of those Ace specs, knowing, of course, that Golden Go is so reliant, so tethered to its Energy Search Pro, that being able to shut that down can really slow down their progression.
Yeah, and shout out to Freya bringing up the Iron Thorns EX, last year's world champion. I don't think we would see a pure Iron Thorns EX here, but could be splashed into some of the Miraidon archetypes. And what a story that would be. Of all the cards to win back-to-back world championships, I don't think Iron Thorns EX is one that anyone would expect. So some great choices from the casting team, and we'll see how they pan out throughout the tournament. And I also think we've done a pretty good job of covering the top decks, as well as having a few spicy picks in there to decide whether they're going to be making it. But we do have our round one almost ready for you, and so I think we should take a little moment to see, is there any of these players who really feel like they're going to be the world champion?
This is the final international event of our 2024 season, and we're so excited to watch our competitors solidify their invites to Worlds 2024 in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Oh, ini
The stakes get higher and higher the closer we get to that coveted world champion title. This is your last opportunity.
There is a lot on the line for every single player out here. It has been a long season with a lot of Pokemon coming out on top.
Hello, Pokemon fans, and welcome to the kickoff of the 2024 season.
Mirage that is it. Oh, wow.
Andrew Estrada. Riley Factura taking the first regional, and Michael Zhang.
I'm really excited to see that team again. The previous time I was on stream, we kind of both underestimated a little bit. Giovanni Costa.
The double crit!
Arjet, a smile on his face. Game number 5 goes to Arjet.
Here it is, Mirage Gate, Power Giratina V-Star, and John Egg is the Portland Regional Champion.
Then he takes it. The Charlotte Miracle.
Tord Reklev is your 5-time international champion.
Shifu, close combat, it holds on!
Wolf becomes a repeat champion. 3-time Worlds qualified competitor. No one can do it like Doombug.
Other trainers should consider me a threat because I never back down. I never feel like I'm out of a game, and I'm always going to give it my best.
Do people not see the 3 regional championships I have?
I do
Orang
not
Amerika ini kalau udah turnamen tidak nge-back down,
So they should be threatened.
I'm threatening in the way that any other competitor who is qualified for Worlds is threatening.
Somos la mejor región de Latinoamérica Sur.
I think if the other players at the World Championships don't consider me a threat, then they have not done their research.
All these events really just lead up to Worlds. We've had some phenomenal players win this season, and
players are better now than they've ever been.
You get a lot of people from different places in the world, and
it'll be the biggest World so far. It's going to be an incredibly difficult feat to try and win it all.
It's never a guarantee. Everyone is phenomenal. Everyone is doing great service to the game at the World Championships.
Only one person can win, so everyone's going to have a story.
I am absolutely winning Worlds this year. I am unstoppable right now.
I am definitely winning Worlds this year.
I will be winning the World Championship this year.
I'm winning the World Championships.
If not this year, then eventually.
Gonna give it my all, you know.
Who knows how far I'll go, but I've always said I wanted to get another Pikachu trophy, so.
I will pour my heart and soul into it once again, and we'll see how far it takes us.
I do think I have a chance.
I think I do have a good shot.
Kan dimulai round 1 aja lama banget.
If I could battle anybody at the World Championships,
Oh, delay bener juga. Harusnya mereka udah mulai main dari
Tord again. If I hit Azul in the Worlds Finals, that would have been amazing.
Azul.
It's got to be Gabriel Agati.
Dunebug.
Justin Tang.
Brad Chen.
I think the World Championship is literally the only thing I haven't won, so that's like the last thing I need to collect for my trophy case.
It would be life-changing.
Winning Worlds would mean the world to me.
There were a lot of people when I won Worlds the first time that sort of teased me about it being Seniors Worlds when Ray was taking his 3rd crown, and I've always kind of wanted to prove them wrong.
I think that if I were to win the World Championships again, it would mean that I am undisputably the best player of all time.
Being able to tell my 10-year-old self that, hey, your dreams actually did come true would be something magical.
Wow, there's some amazing players who all believe they have what it takes. Some of them being humble and not saying they're going to win this World Championship, but deep down, that's what they want to do. And one of those players who kept coming up throughout that was Tord Reklev. Whether it was him wanting to be a world champion or people wanting to face him at the World Championship. And here he is, ready to play round 1 on the stream.
Tord Reklev, it's not hyperbolic to say he is the most accomplished player of all time. The only thing eluding him is a World Championship victory. You can see in Yokohama he was a finalist. He's a 5-time international champion. That just doesn't happen, Mike. He's the only one to have accumulated that many. And the World Championship is the thing that he takes the most seriously every season.
And Fabrizio on the other side, an accomplished player himself too. Traveling internationally, always a great sign that these players are looking to try and push themselves to the limit. Coming to Liverpool and becoming the regional champion in 2024. Had a great season in the Latin American region throughout the season with a regional champion at Rio de Janeiro. And both of these players piloting a Dragapult, not with the Dust Noir on this occasion, but there are some differences between the lists.
There are some differences. Tord, of course, being recognized for a top 4 finish at the NAIC this season, popularizing or repopularizing the Dragapult that just hangs out on his own with a bunch of basic techs. Most people heading into the NAIC were looking towards other Stage 2 partners, be it the Cursed Blast Dustoir package, or be it Charizard EX. Tord said, I'm not afraid of Gardevoir, I'm going to stick to my guns and have a straightforward game plan with Dragapult, because that Phantom Dive is still the best attack in the game.
And it'll be interesting to see how we see adaptations for the Black Bolt and White Flare meta. Many cards changing archetypes, making decks like Golden Go rise to the top. So now you have to find a way to beat that. And there's lots of different decisions you can make, whether you make your deck more consistent and try and beat it in that way. But both these players have interesting techs for that matchup. But it will then mean in this game, their general game plan will just be to try and be as consistent as possible. And where you take those cards out, it can be tough. And an ace spec in the prize card as well as two counter catches on the side of Fabrizio.
Fabrizio-nya kena Neo Upper, kena 2 counter, catcher.
Neo Upper Energy is, of course, the ace spec. You can only play one of them in your deck. And this is 2 attachments for the price of 1. This is such a huge card that you build your deck around. You have a heavy suite of Professor's Research and the new support card Hilda.
Tapi dia harusnya bisa dapat price duluan sih.
Because it's so vital to get your Phantom Dive for just 1 energy drop. But that being in the prize is going to be a huge issue for him to navigate in this game number 1 here.
Well, we'll take you through the differences in their list compared to what you might be used to with Dragapult, but our round 1 is starting now at the Anaheim World Championship, the 3rd time we've returned in 2025. Who will be the world champion, the most competitive World Championship we've ever had, and the start here not looking great for Fabrizio as Tord kicks off going first.
Gila, dia begitu buka deck udah boleh go through second game
also has the Ultra Ball to kickstart his turn number 1
Atau
here.
mainnya benar-benar sangat
He will be able
pelan,
to search his deck
Raptornya
and grab any
agak
Pokemon.
ngebreak.
I think it wouldn't be too surprising if he looks towards getting an additional 3P down here. That's oftentimes the priority of these Dragapult builds, because not only are you working towards your Stage 2 main attacking option, but also the more access you have to Dracloak, the more cards you can draw throughout the game with Recon Directive, a phenomenal ability in this deck.
Yeah, Recon Directive, once during a turn, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose one and put the other one on the bottom of your deck, allowing you to evolve up through Dracloak, not needing to use that rare candy like we often see in Stage 2 decks. And the Dragapult at the top of the evolution line, an incredible attacker, 320 HP, no weakness, and with that Phantom Dive attack, allowing you to do 200 damage to the active and 6 damage counters to the bench. So you're setting up these board states where you can slowly break down your opponent with a huge tanky Pokemon in the active spot.
And this mirror match is going to be intricate, make no mistake about it. The flexibility of the 6 damage counters that you can place means you can have all sorts of different options on how you try and target down your opponent's bench. And of course, within both players' deck lists, there's also Monkey Dory, a huge card in the format. Every deck is trying to weave this card in, thanks to its Adrena Brain ability. If it has a Darkness ability attached, you can move up to 3 counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. That means that not only are you removing damage counters that your opponents put onto your Pokemon, also can help you set up even on evolving Pokemon like Dracloak throughout the game.
And looks like Tord has finished his deck check, checked for the prize cards, and has got a Latias EX out of the deck to allow for that Skyliner. It looks like Tord did not go first. Tord is actually going second. It was a pass from Fabrizio.
This changes everything, because now Tord has access to Buddy Poffin, and whenever your opponent fails to get their crucial basic Pokemon into play, being able to initiate an Itchy Pollen lock here to deny the use of your opponent's Buddy Poffin on the next turn is really going to limit the outs here. It's a better start than we even thought, Mike, because Tord, as you said, is going second. And that means he's going to be able to launch an Itchy Pollen and deny the use of item cards for Fabrizio next turn.
Not only has Fabrizio just got one Pokemon in play, but the only Pokemon you want to have in your hand, so you can bring it into play to use its ability. And on this occasion, we'll be stuck with just the Holucha on board, as the board is looking incredible for Tord. Both Dreepies down, and energy in play, the Latias to allow mobility, and the Budu to deny Fabrizio options. And we see that Super Rod there, an interesting inclusion from Tord. And I think that's something we're going to see throughout this match, is how he has adapted the Dragapult for this event. Super Rod and 1 Night Stretcher, as opposed to the typical 2 or 3 Night Stretchers we see in Dragapult.
I think it's just showing that he wants to try and squeeze out some extra slots in his deck, and oftentimes, because the Super Rod can gain additional cards back in terms of resources, it makes those Professor's Research less
Shuffle daftar emang
awful.
gila.
There was the pickup of Brock scouting though in this hand, so Fabrizio is not out of this yet. He will still be able to find a couple of basics here.
Yeah, many people switching Hilda in for Brock scouting, but it's still incredible under that Badu item lock from the Itchy Pollen, allowing you to search your decks for 2 basic Pokemon or 1 evolution Pokemon and put them into play. At this stage, Brock scouting will be for those basics, and later on in the game,
dia sekarang baru buka deck.
Tapi
dia udah bisa.
Pretty much the perfect card to find in this scenario, as item search for Pokemon is not available.
Yeah, typically Brock scouting looks like an unimpressive, unimposing card, but simply because of the dominance of Itchy Pollen in so many archetypes, this supporter card has made its way into a number of decks just to have additional outs to play the game, and it's exactly what we're seeing here. It's going to be the payment of retreats from this Holucha, so Fabrizio can get his own Badu into play, and will be Itchy Pollening straight back into Tord.
Well, you can see the board looking more stable for Tord. And what a hand. Is that 2 Dracloak there to evolve straight away?
Ultra research if he really wants to get aggressive. He did already research away one of his boss's orders, so he may not want to rip Professor's research, but he will start by using Recon Directive before making any other decision here.
Well, at this point, you just want to try and get as many energy in play, because Fabrizio had to attach retreat. Tord is in a position where it has the advantage with 1 energy in play already, so another attachment would allow Tord to get ahead, and that Neo Upper Energy, which is out of reach for Fabrizio, as it's currently in the prize cards, is now in Tord's grasp. I don't know if he took it there off the Dracloak.
I think he's pretty safe on this board to attach it to the Dracloak. He's simply evolved up. There it is, Neo Upper Energy. The A-Spec both players are using. As you mentioned, Mike, Fabrizio will not have instant access to this card with it being in the prizes. It's a great card to stash right now. Then Tord just has the decision of, do I want to see 6 fresh cards? Do I want to hold boss's orders? No, bossing back up the Dreepy, trying to starve Fabrizio out of turn attachments here. Will poke for 10. There's a lot that's going on with this one little poke of damage here, Mike.
For sure, denying options, forcing another energy to retreat. Fabrizio is looking to get another Badu or force the Latias in play as well. Just asking a lot more questions. But that evolution will allow Fabrizio to start drawing, and that's the key in these early stages. Try and get as many cards in hand to open up as many options as possible.
Speaking of options, I think we're lacking some. There's Serendipity EX in the hand. A few other basics.
Kita sambil lihat apakah
there is a Professor's research though, so the whole hand might have to go here in order to try and cherry pick some more Dreepy here.
I think an important note for both players is they do have the ability to pick up these EXs like Serendipity and Latias EX, both having the Professor Turo scenario, but for Tord has a Penny and a Power Pad as well to be able to really recycle that scoop up effect. And after that research, a quick Recon Directive will allow for an energy attachment. I'm assuming there is a Luminous, and it's now just, do you go back into that Badu?
It's like we have to. There's another Dreepy in the hand as well that we can bench. We are vulnerable here though, make no mistake. Fabrizio is behind on energy drops, and there's a possibility for Tord to continue to target down some Pokemon, because he will most likely be launching a Phantom Dive this turn.
Yeah, and with the Monkey Dory we mentioned before, being able to Adrenabrain damage across, that Dracloak is in range without even needing to be gusted up. So Tord in a very powerful position this turn, and with all those energy on board, we'll be able to create a very stable board state.
The Psychic, and the Dragapult EX pickup. Now we don't even have to use Hilda.
Jalan tol sekali, Tord left.
Get even more energy into play. And then we have the option of either INO or Professor's Research here.
Well, tough decision though. No access to the Monkey Dory in hand. Without items, it's very difficult to do so. And if you were to try and research for it, you then might lose the energy that you'd need to be able to activate that Adrenabrain. So Tord just trying to navigate what is the highest odds option here based off of that hand. What's the best way to go to guarantee? Do you play safe, or do you go for the high-risk aggressive play and look to take out multiple Pokemon? Could even disrupt as well.
Yeah, looks like he's not going to be looking to reach with Monkey Dory. Instead, going to commit Psychic Energy to his backup Dracloak now as he evolves up into Dragapult EX. And with no boss's orders in the hand, and having just evolved out of one of your Recon Directive, INO for a hand refresh seems like a smart choice here from Tord.
For sure, and we mentioned that this is a great position for Tord, but even better position knowing what we know, that Neo Upper Energy has been prized. So there is no way for Fabrizio to power up the Dragapult in the next turn, as there's no energy on board, and the only way to get 2 energy in play is through that Neo Upper. So it looks bad for Fabrizio, but looks even worse when you're aware of the prize cards.
Will Tord start to go aggressive here? There is some argument to staying behind in prize cards in this mirror match, so you can activate your counter catches and whatnot. But when your opponent has no energy to speak of, continuing to target down these Pokemon seems really reliable. And 6 damage counters will be placed onto this Dreepy. Means that even if Fabrizio evolves into a Dracloak and finds a Monkey Dory, still Tord will be able to target that Pokemon later via Phantom Dive damage counters.
Our first knockout of the World Championship here, and it was Dragapult EX by Tord Reklev. How poetic for that to be the case. A Phantom Dive to the active, setting up the board. Ever since Dragapult EX has come out, it's always been a card to watch, whether it was partnered with Regidrago, V-Star, back before rotation, or now on its own, or with Dusknoir. It has so many different ways to be played. This occasion, both these players selecting the pure Dragapult build, and you can see exactly why. The consistency of the Dracloak engine allowing you to set up, and with that early game disruption of the Budu, it really puts you in a great position. On this occasion, it's just Tord who's come out on top of that early game disruption, thanks to his powerful start, and Fabrizio starting a little slower.
At least has access to items now. The Itchy Pollen has been released. So we'll use the Ultra Ball now to find a backup Dracloak. As we said, still a vulnerable Pokemon here. The way Tord decided to place the damage counters means that this Dracloak might only get 1 recon directive in before it's knocked out. So Fabrizio really has to work towards getting something going here. The lack of access to Phantom Dive this turn means he might still look to use Budu in some regard here. It's another low hit point Pokemon you'd be forcing onto the board, which is not ideal at all, but at least he's able to launch an Iono here to try and hand disrupt Tord and see a fresh Sticks himself.
Now with no energy on board, promoting that Horlucha, no intention to attack with a Dragapult this turn, as it would just be that Jet Headbutt. But the Pheasantipity EX, a great card in pretty much all of our top decks, allowing you to flip the script. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, you're able to draw 3 cards, and a great consistency card to get you back into the game after conceding a knockout.
That's exactly what that is, and you'll see it in basically every deck in the format, to be honest, has reason to like this EX Pokemon. It's to give you the extra reach to bounce back. And there are so many comeback mechanic style cards in the game. Pheasantipity is one of them. But of course, as you get closer towards the end game as well, having a Pheasantipity EX on the board can put your opponent in strange positions where you can have that extra reach towards that final few cards to combine to close out the game. So it's going to be showing up in all sorts of decks, and it's also going to be a reason why many players try an intricate prize map towards the later stages, as Fabrizio has found a Psychic Energy and can evolve to protect his Dragapult EX now to work towards a Phantom Dive on later turns, but I don't see if there's many other actions going on here. Buddy Poffin might be the final act of the turn.
I mean, you rarely see in a mirror match where one person's able to use their main attacker twice before you even attack, that it's ever going to be going in your favor. But Dragapult has that ability to come back. The disruption, the ability to gust up vulnerable Pokemon really does allow you to create scenarios that are great for you. And one scenario that's great for comeback is Tord Reklev's Maractus that he has. However, there isn't a Maractus on Fabrizio's side, and even if there was, there'd be so many ways to pick up Pokemon. So there's not many crazy comeback mechanics, and Fabrizio's playing more for the consistency of hitting Dragapult as often as possible. And unfortunately, in this game, it's not quite worked out for him.
Passing back over to Tord then, he still has free reign of this board. I think there's also the Luminous Energy in hand for Monkey Dory this turn as well. You can get even more creative with your damage counter placement here. Continue to start setting up Pokemon. I think the only thing he's lacking again is something like Boss's Orders. A couple of them already used, but of course Tord is playing 3 copies within his deck in addition to 3 copies of Counter Catcher, and the final one's in those prize cards. So he has to attack through Horlucha in this instance and just make the most out of his Phantom Dive damage counters.
And that Buddy Poffin, so key in these evolving decks, allowing you to find those 2 Pokemon with 70 HP or less, put them on your bench. It wouldn't work with the Horluchas, that has to come from your hand. But for many of the cards in the format, you just want to go as wide as possible, as you can see with both Dragapults on here, trying to go wide to put as many Dracloak in play, as it is your draw engine as well as your attacker. And that's what Tord is going to do exactly right now. Another Dreepy going down off the back of a Buddy Poffin. Only 1 bench space, so we'll be putting that down. But even in this late game, especially as none of them were really used early on thanks to the Budu, I think only 1 from Tord, there will be plenty throughout the game to keep restabilizing that board.
His board position is just phenomenal right now. He's already got 1 backup Dracloak. He's working on getting the next one established. He has energy attachment for Monkey Dory, and he's launched a couple of Phantom Dives ahead of his opponent, so he is just really putting himself in the best position here to churn through prizes as the latter stages get on. And speaking of which, he's going to now thin some useless item cards and Professor's Research for a fresh 7 here. Continue this dominant turn. He is so far ahead in this game number 1 here. It's a best of 3, of course, in our Swiss rounds. You can see the time ticking down in the bottom of your screen there as well. Try and conclude the 3-game series. So it's not all over for Fabrizio here by any stretch, but Tord is looking very ahead in this game 1.
Yeah, 50-minute round. When the round is cooled, there will be 3 turns for the players to play it out, as well as the turn that is currently in play. And so plenty of time still available for 2 more games to conclude after this one. And I think there's definitely a point in this game where Tord is feeling confident with his current board position, that he can just continually attack with that Dragapult. The disruption is great into many of the decks in the format, especially when you play Dragapult, as you can often set up boards where you don't take a knockout, so you don't give them the Sensitivity EX. But with those Drakloaks, you do see an extra few cards, as well as denying cards you don't want, and it really allows you to stabilize throughout the game, especially once the energy is all in play, ready to go.
It looks like Tord is just doing his diligent deck thinning here, playing Ultra Balls, pulling cards that he might not necessarily want even in his hand, just so that he's setting himself up for late game INO, because I feel like that's one of the only things that can slow him down after such a great start.
When you say deck thinning, how important is that for players at this event?
There's no doubt that it's vital. Every single time you have the opportunity to improve your odds at finding the cards you want, especially when a deck like Dragapult EX has reach from Recon Directive, you get to access more cards from your deck. The fact that you can take out cards you never want to see as the game progresses, it's going to improve your odds of getting exactly what you'd like to hit. So I think the one thing Tord wants to work towards is Palpad if he can.
Yeah, and especially with both these guys having cards that are for specific matchups that they don't want to use in this particular matchup, getting rid of those and putting them in the discard pile is the best place for him. As we see that Monkey Dory, the Adrenabrain, a card you're going to see a lot of throughout the World Championship. One of the most powerful cards in every deck, as it allows you to spread all that damage across the board. And in conjunction with Dragapult's Phantom Dive, you're putting a lot of damage across to the other side. And that Drakloak that we mentioned before has now been knocked out too, and there is some spare damage counters for Tord to sprinkle around.
Yeah, 5 additional damage counters after taking already a 2-prize KO here. Finishing off the setup Drakloak over a couple turns. 1 counter going on to Pheasantipity EX. And again, you can have a situation of placing 3 and 3 on multiple 3P here. You don't have that much damage to play with, but 3 counters on one of them could be vital here, especially when Fabrizio can't really afford to attach to a Monkey Dory next turn.
Yeah, and it's going to just be putting all 4 onto one of those 3P, and Tord is getting closer to taking all those prize cards. Just 3 remaining for him, as Fabrizio has yet to take one, and I'm sure he's looking to try and get that Neo Upper Energy out of the prizes, as a little bit behind on those energy attachments, struggling a little bit here with the stability of the board, but does start things off with a Flip the Script.
Yeah, we need help from Flip the Script, because I didn't see access to INO, and I feel like that has to start coming down at this stage in the game when you're quite far behind. Has found Ultra Balls, so could at least evolve up into a Drakloak here. I don't even think he has access to Fire Energy just yet, unless it was found off the Pheasantipity EX.
Mentioned the INO, really powerful here against Tord, as Tord has no draw engine on board, but does have both attackers ready to go. So he's just hoping that 2 Dragapults is enough at this stage, retreating to them for free with the Latias EX's Skyliner, and just continue the final 3 prize cards through 2 or 3 Phantom Dives.
Fabrizio going to say that the 4 damage on Dreepy means that's basically no longer an option. Let's attempt to get a Drakloak in the mix instead on a healthy Pokemon on the bench. Does have a Monkey Dory. Actually, there is Night Stretcher in the hand, so we could evolve up multiple Cloak here if need be, just for extra draw power.
Nice.
Whether or not we need to prioritize energy instead here. Did we find INO from the Pheasantipity? I see a lot of boss's orders. I see Hilda. I'm not sure if I see the INO. And Tord sat on a great hand as well, by the way. He's sat on Professor Toro's scenario next turn in case there's a hit with a Phantom Dive. Be getting, oh, he did find INO, so here we go. A big hand disruption. Fabrizio will see 6. Tord losing a bunch of cards in his hand and losing a Drakloak to the bottom of the deck as well. That would be like his only semblance of any draw power. So Tord is going to be limited to a really low number of cards next turn. Exactly what you need to see from Fabrizio.
Just see him taking that little bit of extra time to remember what was in that hand, so he knows to shuffle or continue drawing down. And I do like this Iono now. And the energy attachment coming through will allow the first Phantom Dive of the game for Fabrizio, and will try and claw back through this game. The jamming tower coming down, the stadium of choice for Fabrizio. Unfortunately for him, there is no tools in Tord's deck, so we'll just be getting it out of the hand and into play, and we'll be looking to Phantom Dive into the active, putting 200 damage on Tord's Dragapult EX, and now for those 6 damage counters.
And when we're dealing this much and keeping that damage in play, it doesn't really make sense to spread the damage counters too much, trying to play around Monkey Dory, because they can always get the maximum value by removing the damage off the active Pokemon, so instead it's going to be a full 6 on the Droopy here. To do the same thing Tord set up a few turns earlier, which was even after evolving up and using Adrenabrain, Fabrizio can still target down a Dracloak if you would like.
Yeah, you see that Power Pad there, a card Tord loves to use, as he loves to have these unusual supporters in deck that he can reset, and then also adding that 4th and 5th boss's orders back into the deck, playing only 3 copies, but by having the Power Pad, it's almost like he's playing a 5th copy of every time he uses that boss's orders, and you can see how important that card is in the archetype. We saw Dragapult EX increase the number of gust options as the deck got stronger and stronger. Playing 4 boss's orders, 3 counter catchers. Last time we saw Tord piloting it. Now with those 3 boss's orders, and I believe 3 counter catcher, maybe 2. Yeah, 3 counter catcher. That is a lot of gust option once you put them back in with the Power Pad.
And Tord is spying game this turn with the 10 damage already on Pheasantipity EX and a heavily damaged Dreepy. This 1 recon directive can find one of those 2 boss's orders, and the game could be closed out this turn, Mike. It's only a couple cards, but the deck is relatively thin, and we have to shuffle 2 boss's orders into the deck. We could be closing out game 1 very shortly. Let's see the 2 cards off the top.
Either of them boss. There's a counter catcher.
Ethan Sudowoodo as well, an interesting tech inclusion. Not only is Tord playing the Maractus, but also an Ethan Sudowoodo, which can also be a corner trapping option.
Well, here's a little quiz for you. I said you're the encyclopedia of knowledge. Tell me, what does Ethan Sudowoodo do?
Well, Impound is just like Corner in that it can deny the defending Pokemon from retreating, but it also has the Try to Imitate attack. It can have some interesting high roll moments in panic situations. Flip a coin of heads, choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attack, and use it as this attack. Fabrizio, sigh of relief. The game hasn't ended just yet. Tord having to suffice for attacking into the active Dragapult, and will go down to 2 prize cards remaining, finishing off the bench Dracloak here after the use of Monkey Dory.
Now, in this matchup, when there's damage on board, especially when there's that much damage on a Dragapult, you'd think about something like Professor Turo's Scenario as a great option to get rid of it, but without that Neo Upper Energy, or without a bunch of energy in play already, that would mean Fabrizio has no attacker outside of something like a Blood Moon, Ursaluna, and that puts him in a tough position to really continue attacking. So Professor Turo's Scenario might seem great here, but it might just be putting him so far behind it's not possible.
Pasang $10
There it is. 3 additional cards from the Flip the Script. We do have Counter Catcher plus Iono, a classic combination that Dragapult likes to string together to attempt to buy time.
There
aren't many liabilities on the bench for Tord though, so there's not even great trapping opportunities thanks to the Skyliner ability of Latias EX. So Fabrizio may not even have the option. And attached to Monkey Dory here. Doesn't change a huge amount though. Such a heavily damaged Dragapult. Tord's still in this commanding spot. Going to be healing up the Dreepy and taking a prize here.
Looking to get that Neo Upper Energy off the prize cards, I think, with that. And going to be looking to just retreat here. Maybe we're going to see the Dreepy going forward and just trying to find another turn of options. But yeah, just really looking to try and get that Neo Upper Energy. You can see that whenever you see someone taking a knockout with Monkey Dory on something like a Buddy or finishing off something before the attack, they're typically looking to try and find something off the prize cards. On this occasion, it was not found. So Fabrizio is just looking to see if he can get another turn, as Tord, not many cards in hand and only the 1 Dracloak to draw.
Boss's Orders will do it. There it is, coming to the top. Boss's Orders. Tord can close out the final 2 prize cards and take a dominating game number 1.
What a game for Tord. Set up well, set up strong. And on the other side, Fabrizio having one of the toughest starts that you'll see for Dragapult, and typically when that happens, the Badu will secure the game. And it was a great attempt from Fabrizio to try and claw back in and find new options, find that Dragapult EX to attack later on, but there was just too much stability on Tord's side.
Nyalain PTCGL nggak bisa lagi,
more than helpful getting access to Ultra Ball in addition to Buddy Poppin, in addition to research. Never whiffed on attachments either, so just kept making this board state more and more robust. And in this mirror match specifically, one of the curses of the fact that your Drakloak is not only your engine, but also part of your attacking line, that as these get targeted,
itu press lag banget Fabrizio, cok. Startnya juga jelek, dia luca startnya.
Taking the first knockout of our 2025 World Championship, and that Horlucha, unfortunately in play, never used its ability, and it was just there as an option for Tord to take some prize cards. And you just see the sprinkles of damage throughout the game, always in favor of Tord, as there's always a knockout available on the bench. And even with those flip the scripts throughout the game for Fabrizio, every turn, there just wasn't enough in the deck to find a victory. Both these players playing the same archetype with slight differences, but when it comes down to this matchup, they are doing the exact same thing. Who can do it first, who can do it better, will tend to come out on top.
And one of the really intricate turns, it didn't seem like much, but Tord opting to go for Boss's Orders, Itchy Pollen on that one dream, really changed the trajectory of the game. The one damage counter really meant something. It put Fabrizio in this weird position where he couldn't really retreat it very comfortably. He had to leave it and like evolve up and do lots of weird decisions after that point, especially when you're stranded without the use of item cards. That really put Tord on a good pace to continue through the rest of the game.
And even that Latias EX being the first Pokemon found out of the deck just shows how much Tord respects the energy attachment. If you don't have to retreat it off of your Pokemon, then you keep it in play, and throughout the game, never in doubt that he had the energy.
Sedih sih sebenarnya. Tian kena cancel flightnya, jadi dia datangnya telat, nggak sempat untuk check in, jadi dia nggak bisa ikut main. Sadly.
I think we can safely say a great player who's looking to try and overcome Tord Reklev here in this moment. Not the player you want to be seeing on your round one at the World
Championship,
dia
tetap masuk sih di pairing, dia karena ini masih masuk, cuman ya tidak bisa ikut.
Start to see some prize cards momentarily. You have to imagine Fabrizio is going to opt to go second here. Getting those additional outs to so many supporters within your deck means you aren't going to be found without a Buddy Poppin and just lacking those Dreepies as he did in game number 1. And really try and put the onus on Tord to have early item cards before there's an Itchy Pollen.
Well, game 2 kicking off here, and it will be Tord looking a little bit stumped at his hand, but
I wouldn't be. He's got 2 Buddy Poppins, Mike.
Well, Buddy Poppins will find you all the Pokemon you need. There's
ini dia nih, baru pertarungan Pult lawan Pult sama-sama Budeo.
Find his way through and just do
that
pertarungan
Pult lawan
You'll see this throughout the tournament. All these players want to make sure they understand what the prize cards are. Speaking of prize cards, talk us through that unusual card we don't often see in Dragapult.
Well, the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX is a tech card that Tord has chosen to include within his list. Of course, there is luminous energy in the deck, meaning that you can use the Demolish attack if you would need to, but it's really all about the Cornerstone stance ability here, preventing all damage from attacks from his Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have an ability. And it won't be coming up much in this matchup, no doubt. That's going to be staying well clear of the board if Tord can ever help it. But it's a fantastic card into a number of matchups. One of the premium reasons to have it in the deck is going to be the Golden Go EX matchup.
Yeah, probably our most popular deck coming into the tournament. Many of you familiar with its rise recently thanks to Genesect EX, and it is so powerful where there's many of these 320 HP Pokemon, 330, 310, like we see with the Dragapult EX here, being able to knock out anything thanks to its attack. It's so good. But on the other side, I think Fabrizio will be happier to see Buddy in the active, as well as that Neo Upper Energy in the hand. Hasn't got a chance to prize check yet, but we'll be sure that he has that in play this game. But Buddy start a great position. You don't have to retreat then. Both players in a spot now where they're confident that they're going to get an Itchy Pollen off at the beginning of the game.
Instead of me feeling happy, but I'd be having a sinking feeling in my stomach. A game down, only 20 or so minutes remain on the clock, and your opponent's just gone double Buddy Poppin turn 1. That's a really awkward situation. You choose to go second with these decks to give yourself the best odds of hitting these Buddy Poppin. But sometimes your opponent just has them in the opening. And now look at Tord's board. Led with the Budgew, which means he's already threatening Itchy Pollen with no headache. No need to put the Latias EX into play just yet. And has already started to find Dreepy, which really sets him up nicely. Does he have a turn attachment to boot? A 4th Dreepy coming onto this board, and the Monkey Dory, and that's where the energy is going to go first with a Luminous attachment. And we're passing action over. What a stunning turn 1 for Tord.
And not many cards left in hand. He'll be hoping one of those is something like a research, or maybe find that off the top, but able to set up everything he needs for the first turn anyway. Work that one out later. On the other side, Fabrizio going to be doing his first deck check. We'll be pleased to see that it's not too scary this occasion. Does have a few cards in there that are useful. Having a 4th Dreepy, having a 4th Dracloak, always nice to have them as you see them more often. And that Boss's Orders and the Research, but all of these cards in multiple counts within the deck.
Fabrizio playing the full 4 copies, as Tord actually did at the NAIC. So I'm sure Fabrizio was somewhat inspired by Tord's choice, which is what's led him towards choosing this deck for the World Championships this weekend. We're seeing the early search for a couple Dreepy of his own. And as you spotted, Mike, already energy attachments. The Neo Upper Energy going to be committed early here onto a Dreepy. It's a Boss's Orders. There's just a bunch of energy in this hand.
Well, we noticed that last game, the first play was Tord bossing up a Dreepy and Itchy Pollen into it. So not only inspired by the deck, but maybe inspired
by
the option, as the evolution into the Dracloak will allow those draws to come through. And as
Monkey Dory boss, not ideal.
I really want to start getting those Dracloaks on board, as many as possible really at this early stage.
As a Psychic Energy, you could attach Retreat if you want to Itchy Pollen your opponent back here. That's exactly what we're going to be seeing from Tord.
Itu dia,
saling Dracloak as best as possible, and deny the outs from Fabrizio to find multiple Dracloak himself here. He's going to quickly ask how many in the hand. Both players kind of sat on not much. It's going to be a Boss's Orders back. The Monkey Dory can fling 1 damage counter over to the Budju. And then it will be an Itchy Pollen here as well.
Why is that Boss's Orders play so key for these players early on?
Well, when you're lacking draw power, there's always a way that you can make a situation happen like this, where you're forcing energy attachments off these Pokemon just to retreat. And Tord's already found his Monkey Dory energy attachment, and that's a big advantage in mirror matches. So whenever you're removing an attachment, you're putting your opponent behind that little bit. Fabrizio just having to settle for an Itchy Pollen here.
And without that ability to evolve through Rare Candy, another key component to early turns is evolving into Dracloak. And on this occasion, Tord may only have that 1 Dracloak, but it's going to get him more cards. It's going to allow him to get Dragapult sooner. And this knockout here on the Budu, not only will it take a prize card, but it will remain item lock for Fabrizio. Not able to play any of those item cards, but the Pheasantipity now activated.
Does it change his fortune
dia nggak bisa berubah tadi ya, nggak bisa jadi Dracloak.
So far, just the Boss's Orders played. Well,
another Budeo.
Masa mau energi lagi? Budju. It could be another retreat play. It's getting more and more awkward for Fabrizio.
Dia belum taruh monkey
Only good news is that Tord hasn't had the best hand either. Both players are working on a little right now. It's another energy having to be sacrificed to maintain this Itchy Pollen lock, hurting the outs of Tord's draws from his Recon Directive.
You just see that Monkey Dory early on with the Luminous Energy attachment, allowing those...
Ooh, it's a Research, Mike.
Ooh, that's huge there. The Adrenabrain early on, just popping damage back across. But on this occasion, the Research will allow Tord to dig deeper and hopefully set up some more Dracloaks. As that singular Dracloak might be good, but you just want to set up the most aggressive board state possible, especially while Fabrizio is struggling to get going.
The more the merrier for Tord. He's able to pick up, it looks like a Dragapult EX for the following turn as well, perhaps.
Dia baru tes 1, jadi harusnya nggak akan mukul pakai
Luminous Energy.
Pult harusnya.
We're going to see the Monkey Dory removing a damage from his active Budju here. Going to go on to another Dreepy.
That's huge, that 1 damage there.
Sets up a Phantom Dive, of course.
Wow, that's the...
Poking with Itchy Pollen and hoping that Fabrizio's top decks are poor, which it seems like they are.
Wow.
So the Horlucha off the top. Luminous Energy attachment to Dreepy, and Tord again has this fantastic opportunity. It's just an Itchy Pollen. Tord is going to have the option to take out the Neo Energy A-Spec here. Can attack with a Dragapult. It looks like it's already in hand.
You mentioned as soon as it came into play, you know,
that could come back
sekarang,
which is gak akan dibunuh harusnya sama
Tord. Denied, but you just don't expect to be denying yourself of Dracloaks for this long.
Yes.
And it's just been so tough for Fabrizio, even with that flip the script from Pheasantipity, unable to draw into the Dracloaks. And once 1 is on board, you're just seeing so many more cards per turn, and that's exactly what you're seeing right now for Tord. That Research last time was thanks to the Dracloak digging deeper through the deck, and that will just continue to be the case As we need another energy and the Dragapult to evolve to be able to swing and knock out the Dreepy on the bench. And at that point, Fabrizio will just have a single Dreepy in play.
Mereka datang jauh-jauh ke sana untuk berkompetisi, jadi harusnya nggak salaman. Tapi nggak tahu sih ini. Soalnya tadi game 1 aja menurut gua Fabrizio bisa concede dari awal, tapi dia memilih untuk tetap main gitu loh, berusaha cari comebacknya. Tapi Torch sebagus itu tadi alurnya. Dan dia masih berusaha main si Fabrizio. Jadi gua rasa dia game 2 ini malah nggak akan nyerah sih. Ya ini udah boleh sih, kalau ini udah boleh salaman, udah boleh concede sih.
Trying to find a way back in. On this occasion, it's an even harder hill to climb.
My goodness. He has not had the best rub of the green here at all, Fabrizio. Both hands have been subpar.
Ini udah boleh concede sih.
Well, in this game, it took him a little while to get going, but
eventually, itu dia. Salaman aja, bro.
He understands that Tord has built once again an unsurmountable position, and it's going to be a breezy 2-0 victory.
Drawnya energi, nggak ada Draklock, nggak ada bola ultra, nggak bisa pakai karena Budewlock. Game 1 sih, game 1 tuh price-nya gila banget Fabrizio. Fabrizio Romano.
But the world championship, the one he wants, came top 4 before, has made finals, but not able to try and take the full title. And that is the challenge for any player at this event. And starting strong with round 1 is the key. Fabrizio,
mukanya agak tertekan tuh kalau dilihat ya.
With those early hands, unable to stabilize around Dragapult.
Masih ada 16 menit round 1. Mungkin sekitar 15 atau 14 kalau buat yang di floor. Sambil kita cek update.
Heading into the NIC when he created a new version of the straight Dragapult deck, that he was the most confident he's ever been going into a tournament. And I think with the few tweaks he's made for the World Championships, taking the experience on from the NIC, he's brought this list on in leaps and bounds, and it's already showing in this round number 1.
Yeah, the way the board was dismantled, that is the key for Dragapult. Can you just take away everything that they're trying to do? And in game 1, it was very much about those energies, the 9 energies coming into play through the intricate early turns and setting up that Latiasi X. We see on the bench, didn't move much, but
Jonas masih belum kelar nih, main sebelahan lah. Gua bersadar mereka main sebelahan, Albert sama Jonas. Thank you Loops for subscribing.
Too much damage, and it was the final boss's orders that took the victory for Tord, which he put back into the deck.
Masih belum kelar.
Alp had a great addition in the list.
Harry juga masih belum kelar. Ini kayak game-game,
but in this case, having the added flexibility, now he has a few additional one-off supporters in his deck, does seem to make a lot of sense. The game 2 was just as unfortunate, I'm afraid, for Fabrizio. Access to the Dreepy this time, but no access to Drakloak meant Tord was able to once again build up the first Dragapult EX and start running away with the board once again.
Well, when both Dreepies go down, you know it's a rough start, and that's why Fabrizio offered the hand. Understandable, but round 1 is just the first round. We have several more today and more tomorrow into that top cut. So plenty of opportunities for those players who take early losses to continue on and still have a chance at becoming the world champion here. That was round 1 of many rounds, so you better be sticking around all day because we have got so much content for you, whether it's the players, whether it's finding out more about the decks that we have at this tournament. We have so much information, and because this event is the event that has all the Scarlet and Violet sets, all the way from base set up to the Black Bolt and White Flare, we're getting to see what the best of this era has to offer.
It's been a phenomenal change in the Scarlet and Violet era. We knew that from the discussions with the creators of the cards that they wanted to focus on comeback mechanics, they wanted to focus on having viable stage 1, 2 and basic Pokemon. They've succeeded in that goal tremendously, and it means that we have a very diverse format here with a lot of intricate choices within decks as well.
Kurang dengan
Charizard EX were added to both Tord and Fabrizio's list weren't necessarily for the mirror match,
bikin berapa
but
banyak
they are
lagi
going to
deck seperti
completely
itu.
adapt how they approach certain matchups throughout the rest
Lagian
of the day
Mega
as well.
kan three price ya, mohon maaf nih.
Wudo, the likes of the Cornerstone Ogapon, even adapting Professor Turo into a penny, having a power pad in there as well. All of these small changes can change the fortunes of a player in one of these major tournaments.
Well, Fabrizio has the Slime Colony,
he does,
Toad but Toad School has been rocking around on the stage, and I know someone else who is over there, and that's Tord Reklev. Let's find out how he felt round 1 went.
Thanks, guys. That's right. I am here on the stage with our winner from round 1, Tord Reklev, my friend. What a great way to start off the tournament. 1-0. How are you feeling?
I mean, the game itself was like whatever, but I'm feeling pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with my preparation process this year. I'm satisfied with my deck choice, and yeah, I hope to have a good day.
The last time we were in Anaheim, Worlds 2017, you had just come off of your statement win at the North American International Championships. You had a great run at that Worlds as well, finishing in the top 32. But since that time, you've become what you are. 5-time international champion, 2nd place at Worlds, top 4 at Worlds. What's the goal this weekend?
It's to win, man. I want to go all the way this year. And I think I have a decent shot, but you know, it's Pokemon, anything can happen. It could very well have been me on the other side not throwing the Draclox here. So, you know, you just have to try your best and see how far it goes.
At NAIC, you told us that you prepared more for that. You felt more prepared for that tournament than you had in a long time. What did your preparation look like for Worlds this year?
I started off with a couple weeks off, just, you know, actual vacation with my family. And then since I've been, you know, grinding. Like after I got back home from, you know, Japan again. So, like, every day I've been putting in the time, I promise. And I have all the lines. I just need to execute them with, you know, some peace of mind throughout the day, and we'll see.
Your deck is similar to the one you played at NAIC. Why did you stick with Dragapult for Worlds?
I still think it's the same principle. It's the spread deck with an actual engine, so I believe it provides the most depth in games. I still think that, and it's honestly just my favorite deck. You have so many lines you can play with it. You can, you know, set up and nuke everything at the opponent's board at the same time. You can suddenly pretend you're a control deck and, you know, lock them, or now I can even wall them. So, you know, I have a lot of options in the deck, and it's very interesting. You have a lot of like intricate play, and I hope I get to use a lot of different, say, game plans today. That would be the most fun.
It definitely looks like you've built your list with plenty of options for whatever your opponent could have across the table from you. I know there's a lot of people out there who support you. Is there anything you want to say to them and anyone you want to thank?
I mean, your support means everything to me. I would not have been able to put in so much time and effort into this game and my preparations if it was not for all of you. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you.
Let's hear it for him, folks. Round 1 win for Tord Reklev. And let's head back to the desk to Mike and Joe.
Well, thank you very much, Chip. A bit of insight from one of the masterminds of our game. And I know, Joe, you're close with Tord. You get to see a little bit behind what he gets up to. Without giving away his secret sauce, what's the difference between him and the rest of the field?
Well, there's a lot of Pokemon. That's really it. He is day and night, every breath, he's thinking about Pokemon. He's playing a ton of Pokemon. He's adept at all sorts of formats. He's been around forever. He's been playing so many years of the game. It gives him this depth of knowledge, this wealth of experience to draw from, what has made decks powerful over time.
Wow.
And also keeping up with the game so much and just putting so many reps in, knows that picking a deck like this, giving the flexibility of lines, like he said, means that all he has to do is figure out every matchup by trial and error, figure out where your best win percentage comes from, and then it's about that execution. He's on the stage every time, completely chilled out, because he knows he's been put in basically every situation before, so he knows what the best choice is.
I think the only match that might make him nervous would be a World Champion final, because that's the only thing which is unfamiliar to him, winning it. And I think another important point is he's playing the same archetype as NAIC. Has been a lot of time. He's played a lot of reps of this deck. For someone like him who is able to jump between archetypes, adapt to the meta, how important is it for him to play a deck he's very familiar with?
I think it definitely helps. It means he can make decisions in a timely fashion as well, which is a big deal for a deck like this, where Dragapult can sometimes slowly set up game over a number of turns, and sometimes you're going to be the one on the back foot, hoping to slow down the opponent, slowing down the game for as long as possible with Boju as well. So not only making the correct decisions, but doing it quickly, and also having the awareness of saying, my board position is too far behind, let's pick it up and let me give myself 2 games to still try and close out the set. That's all experience. That can only happen from having a lot of reps. And Tord, yes, he's happy to jump around decks. Whenever there is a new format, he'll look at it with a fresh pair of eyes and see what's changed in the meta to be the first to create something new. but also he's been very happy to stick with the same strategy for as long as possible and really get every inch out of that list. And you can see with these changes that he's made those small tweaks. So you can really tell that he has pushed this as far as it possibly can.
Well, it'll be great to see those techs in action as Golden Go, one of the most popular decks in the current format, thanks to that introduction of Genesect EX. It's fair to say that the archetype probably has got the biggest target on it at this event, as we just saw 2 decks with completely different tech options in them to try and help in that matchup. Let's talk through some of those tech cards that people might be playing into Golden Go.
So I think one of your favorites, the Ace Nullifier Genesect, is actually very good in the matchup as well, denying the use of the Energy Search Pro. Stops a lot of the reach from the Golden Go. It's very adept at taking a turn 2 knockout with a Make It Rain. If it has access to just one Cypher Maniac or just one Arven, you grab your Race Spec, suddenly you're getting 6 energy for free, and you can deal, you know, 350 damage all from this one item card, which is absurd, really. That's why it's an Ace Spec card. But if that can be denied from the Golden Go, it has to keep fishing through the deck and just drawing. It has access to sometimes just one earthen vessel. So if that's removed from the access to Golden Go, it's a far slower approach. Also, there are easy ways to knock out this Pokemon. It's only got 260 hit points as well, so if you want to come back with strategies that can one-hit KO this, be it a little fire tech Pokemon like Chi-Yu popping up in some decks, Ethan's Typhlosion's been murmurs around this card, weaving in, even as like a package within decks. I've actually been exploring it in Dragapult myself, and I think that's a pretty cool line, actually. That's a lot of tech. That's like 10 spaces of tech going into your deck to make it better. What else is highlighted for you for Golden Go EX? How to tackle?
Well, I've got to shout out to one of my locals who the genius strategy of Center Scorch in the deck for a single fire energy splashable into Golden Go.
That's the thing.
Interesting. But then it's really more about these big cards that not only work into Golden Go, but will have some other matchups they can work in. I think Cornerstone Ogerpon is one that, yes, it's a great tech into the Golden Go, but there are other matchups where it might be your win condition, especially when you start coming across some unusual decks, because yes, there's the most common decks here, but there's someone out there who's come up with something genius that they think could take down the whole room, and maybe they're all got abilities, and then Cornerstone Ogerpon comes down and goes, haha, I have a tech for you which I didn't even know I was teching for.
Yeah, and I don't know if you were thinking genius when you were mentioning this, but my light bulb went off with Crustle, thinking that this can also help out in that regard, because that's a fear factor deck this weekend. I don't think it's going to be popular out on those tables, but it does have this very strange matchup spread where it takes some bad losses, and I think Gardevoir is the most mainstream meta loss that you have to take as Crustle, but you have really high percentages into other decks, and you can tell that players like Tord don't just want to scoop that matchup, so he's teching his deck out accordingly.
Yeah, and you mentioned Crustle. Last year, our World Champion deck was Iron Thorns EX, which had a similar kind of dynamic of this blocking deck that shut down your opponent's options and had very polarizing matchups, whether it was into, in that case, things like Lugia V-Star, where it's almost a guaranteed win, and Crustle has a lot of similar kind of scenarios, or those decks that don't worry about the denial that you're putting on board. And one we didn't actually get to mention there was the Toad Scroll, the Slime Colony. Slime Bolt Colony, a great option to deny cards being brought back from your discard pile into your hand. Another one that can be useful in other matchups. You know, if you see your opponent discarding a lot of really important resources, and you know the only way they get them back is Night Stretcher. Another example as to why perhaps that Super Rod that we saw in Tord's deck could be useful as it goes back into the deck. You know, you're denying Night Stretcher, which is one of our most powerful cards in the format right now.
Yeah, and that's a sort of catch-all option. Denying Night Stretcher can deny the reach towards getting back evolution pieces or getting back energy attachments, and it just limits the outs of decks, especially when Arven is such a crucial supporter within these decks. Being able to Arven for an item card, the Night Stretcher then becomes a Pokemon or an energy during the game. Shutting that down is always nice, but its core reason for being in these decks this weekend is probably trying to target that Golden Go matchup.
I think I've got a question for you, Joe, and that would be, if you were to come along to World Championship, would you be thinking about the deck that is most popular, something like a Golden Go, Dragapult, and think, I'm going to try and create the perfect list that I can beat everyone else with, but it's got that intrinsic power that everyone recognizes? Would you be looking for those unusual decks like the Crustle, maybe the Flareon EX that we've mentioned before, and come in and try and read the meta to beat those players?
Well, I've had enough tries at Worlds to try all sorts of strategies, Mike.
Ini kayaknya
so I have
titik
tried
darah
to
penghabisan nih
pinpoint
dua-duanya nih.
my deck to beat just the top 3 or 4
lagi
in a room, and say that I hope that's enough meta percentage to let me go far. I ended up hitting the rogue stuff and falling quite short.
Or it quickly goes out of hand, doesn't it? If you lose a few games, you're then down on the lower tables and you have to face all the unusual stuff.
Yeah, I've gone for tried and trusted, like what was previously the best deck in the room, and just tried to make like 1 or 2 tweaks to the archetype. I've done that a couple of years actually. I think that's always like a good choice, especially if you're comfortable with an archetype. If it's got you to Worlds, why not play it for the tournament? I think that makes a lot of sense for a lot of players, because just you being better at the deck gives you win percentage no matter what matchup you're up against, which I think is huge. But I think over the last couple of years, I actually called Iron Thorns to win Worlds last year in the pre-show, which is cool. And I'm now tipping my cap to Flareon EX. So I feel like having very favorable matchups into a handful of decks in the room is really vital, because the players, they're going to still make every game close. That's the thing. When you're up against such talented opponents every single round of the World Championships, I feel like you need your deck to have inherent advantage to be able to beat the other best players in the room. So I kind of like leaning that direction, but that's also because I know that I'm not among the top 100 players in any given room of a tournament, so I need my deck to give me advantage. There'll be players like Tor who can say, just get me in the game, get me in the game, and let this brain figure the rest out. And I think that's also great for our very best players.
That's why I love that Draknoke engine. And I think
dan ditemani translator. Kalau memang dia butuh teman translator, harusnya kalau masuk stream bisa ditemenin.
Interesting is your experience across the multiple worlds. And I really want to find
Dan
out how
kayaknya
you
buat
feel
biar
the
lebih
slower
aman
player
aja
count
sih
here.
sebenarnya.
You know, we've got 721 masters here, where last year it was over 1,000. Right. How does that change
Wah,
things up in
Febri
terms of the
tie,
dynamic
guys.
of every round, the meta calling and things
Yeah,
like
at
that?
least it's not
I think
loose.
it makes it easier to hone in on the top archetypes.
Febri
I think it's more likely going to
tie.
be small tweaks within known presences in the game, rather than completely throwing
Tinggal Darwin
everything
nih.
at it and having a brand new rogue
Mana
that
Darwin?
explodes onto the scene. I mean, it could happen. It's happened before at the World Championships, but my expectation would be that the sort of top
Tinggal
6 or
Darwin.
7 decks in the room take up like well over 60% of our meta share.
Febri
And then
draw,
it's just
baru
muting
aja
the
ke
other
submit.
stuff. I
Febri
feel like
draw.
that could easily be the case
Kayaknya
this weekend. That said, it's a wide meta game. So
1-0 terus
there can be like 12
salah
decks
satu
that
dari
you can
mereka
respect.
menang.
Yeah, and with the regional
Terus
events and
udah
ICs
time.
getting
Tapi
bigger and
harusnya
bigger,
emang udah
you know,
time
these
sih.
players are preparing throughout the
Darwin
season
mungkin
for over 1,000 players quite frequently. You know,
0123.
upwards of 2,000-3,000 players, and that's exciting for those tournaments, because
Table
the
6 loh
victor
dia.
is that much more the victor. They've
Darwin.
overcome that many more players. But preparation for those is very different to a tournament like this, where not only is the quality of the players that much more dense, you're not going to have any free rounds here
Banyak juga yang
at the
tie
World
ya.
Championship, but you also have different regional metas, which, you know, we've seen
Berarti
it in the
kita
past.
yang punya
How
ada di
different
atas
areas of the
Yoso,
world
Daniel.
choose different decks and think, do you know what,
Darwin
this one is
belum
better, and then
kelar.
consequently everyone thinks it's better because they kind of played within that
Gak apa-apa,
environment.
gak apa-apa.
And so we're going to see a whole
Masih
variety
panjang
of
guys Swiss ya.
understandings of how the current format is to be played.
Yeah, players come in with so much information from
Oh,
the
Darwin
online
juga
scene,
tie.
the tournaments, you know, the NAIC, the biggest
Damn,
sample
so
size
much
you'll
tie.
have before the World Championships. We've been speculating about the meta, but we can actually show you the meta game for our World
So much
Championships here.
tie dari
What
pemain
have our players
Indonesia.
opted for? What
2
decks are
win,
they gonna be
Yoso,
picking?
Daniel
I think we
win.
have access to
Yoso
that
katanya
momentarily.
lawannya
It's gonna be
nggak datang,
really
ya udah.
exciting. Here we are, Mike.
Ah,
Well, here it is,
gila,
and I'm
gol
sure
Dengo,
all of you will be
22%.
loving seeing such a huge
Gol
percentage
Dengo.
to Golden Go. You know, it has
Wah,
been
di
the
Indo
talk of
makin
the town
banyak
with
main Gol
Genesect
Dengo, bagus,
DX
bagus.
coming in and
Perbanyak
supporting
Gol
the deck,
Dengo.
but
Bagus.
23%,
Dua deck yang gua pakai
165
bagus
of our
lawan Gol Dengo.
masters have picked the deck.
What a statement. It hit the ground running as soon as the new expansion dropped. It was doing exceptionally
Gila,
well in the online
Flareon
scene.
Noctol banyak
And
ya.
honestly, when you look
Terastal
at the
box
bad
banyak ternyata.
matchups of Golden Go, outside of annoying tech
Marni
inclusions from
35.
decks, it's looking at the
Raging
likes
Bull
of
masih
Ethan's Typhlosion, the likes of
God of War
Flareon, which is
13%.
ironically 4.4% of our
Port
meta
Noir.
here in day number 1. And when
Febri
those are,
juga
and
Port
Crustal,
Noir.
when those are the bad matchups for Golden Go, and you're looking around the top tier that are also the
Gol
ones we're
Dengo
looking at
ketemu
here,
Port
it
Noir
looks like Golden Go
cukup
does have
berat
great
sih
times into
Dengonya.
those decks. So it's been a really popular pick here. I don't think many expected
Yeah,
over
I
20%.
think
That's a
it's good
huge
choice.
surprise.
See?
Yeah, and then going into second place there, Dragapult, we just watched that on stream. A very powerful archetype, can be
Yeah,
played in lots of
tapi
different ways.
Mana yang main
Dragapult
Crustal?
often
Katanya
paired with that
pemain
Dust
Jepang
Noir.
pada pemain
Let's just speak about
Crustal.
Dust Noir as a
Mana?
card, because it is something that we'll be seeing featured throughout many decks, and
Crustal
I
is
think many
good
of you will be
deck,
surprised
bro.
at home at
Yeah.
which decks
Trust
it's managed
me,
to find its
Crustal
way
is
into.
good deck.
Yeah, we've been checking some lists backstage before we got live, and yeah, it looks like Dust Noir is going to be a story of the tournament in many ways, and that it can help manipulate a prize race, not only for the Dragapult, of course, where you can be even more flexible.
Gue kira
with your
Marni,
Phantom Dive damage
sorry
counters
ya,
and your use
Grimstall
of
gue
counter
kira akan
capture.
lebih
These are some
banyak
of the big
pemainnya dibanding Raging
weapons
Ball.
that the Dragapult
Ternyata
Dust
malah
Noir
tetap
has
Raging
at its
Ball.
disposal, but other decks are starting to weave that in
Dan
as
ini
well. It's
master
going to be
kan
exciting to
harusnya.
see throughout the weekend. But there has been this big debate. Is Dustnoir the best build of Dragapult? Because of course at the NAIC Tours list, the straight build of Dragapult without any stage 2 friends was the best performing list. It also made top 8 outside of Tours. And then there was also a bunch of Charizard players alongside Dragapult as well, trying to balance that Gardevoir matchup, which is still a real threat this weekend. Of course, 13% here in day 1 of the field, and balancing out what is otherwise a pretty tricky matchup also makes a lot of sense. But heading into this tournament, everyone said that Dustnoir's the pick.
Well, we can see here across the board many EXs coming in valuable.
Yeah,
this is
Flareon
the Scarlet
ketemu
and
Golden
Violet
weakness.
era.
Kayaknya mereka
One
juga udah
EX
saling,
has stood out since
mungkin
it was
udah pada
introduced,
tahu
and that's
kali.
the Gardevoir EX.
Iya sih,
The
Flareon tuh
first tournament
bagus
was legal for
karena
EUIC in
weakness sih
2023, I believe.
Pukul 130
And that was where
ngecas.
Tord Reklev showed its
dapat
power
dua
in the
prize.
first tournament it
True,
was
true.
available. And consequently, it has come through and shown to be stronger and stronger. New psychic type Pokemon
Harus
coming
juga
through
130
and
ya.
adding to the deck, and White Flare and Black Bolt
Apapun
introducing the Jellicent EX, and it'll be interesting to see if
Tapi
those
in
top
other ways
players decide
sebenarnya
to
ya
include
tetap
it
bisa
in their
di
Gardevoir EX.
Yeah, there's been some skepticism about
Flareon.
it. It hasn't done great
Tapi
in the online
tergantung
scene over the last couple of weeks, and that's
pasti
not always the
rata-rata
perfect
akan ke
battleground, of
Terabox.
course, to
Mungkin
test
bawa
these ideas. But it
Sylveon.
did exceptionally well at the Japan Championships. The best placing Gardevoir builds did have access to the Jellicent EX and finish giving item lock back to Gardevoir EX players where they often haven't opted to have Budju in their list. It gives you great comeback strategies, and also the 3 retreat cost on both the Frillish and the Jellicent EX gives you so much monkey math to play
round
with
1
if you're
tie
retreating
versus
among
Grim.
these Pokemon. So it's a cool inclusion. It does make the deck a little clunkier, I think, because it is 4 or so spaces often committed to this line of approach, but it can work so nicely in the deck as well.
And rounding out the top 4 before we drop down to the lower percentages of 5% and below is that Raging Bolt EX in combination with Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. And I think one thing that's been clear is how much more important the grass typing of that Teal Mask Ogerpon EX has become, especially with that 5th place deck, Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX being weak to it.
Yeah, the Raging Bolt's an interesting pick. It's always a top performer in terms of
Anjir,
it's
masih
always
ada
showing up,
1,
it's always
2,
having
3,
decent conversion day 1 to day
5,
2.
6, 7
But it
table.
hasn't really gone so far into
Table belum
tournaments a lot of the time.
kelar.
It's only showing up maybe once in our top 8s, and it's normally a smuttering of other
Kan dari
archetypes
tadi.
that make it that
CL tuh
far
apa ya
into the
Colombia?
event. But Raging Bolt is still going to be consistent. It's also one of the fastest decks in the game that it can
Ini
easily win
yang orang
in
JP
3
nggak pakai
attacks, setting up
nama,
quite quickly, and
nulis
having
namanya
reach with
pakai
weakness, as you said, with
hiragana.
Ogerpon or with the Raging Bolt EX itself. It can really try and charge through games and give players the chance to win best of
Tinggal
3s.
6 table
I'm actually
nih.
very surprised by a sub 5%
Suruh
of
double loss aja nggak
Marnie's
sih?
Grimmsnarl EX. It was
Suruh-
very popular
Suruh
at
udah
the
kelarin
NAIC.
dah
It did get a
siapapun.
top 8 placement from Piper as well,
Suruh
so
tie
had a
udah.
really good run at the tournament, had a lot of day 2s, a lot of top 16 placements as
Oh
well.
ya, harus lihat
I think
senior,
the
senior sama
metagame
junior
position
kita
of
lihat,
Grimmsnarl is the
senior sama
reason why it's
junior.
dipped down so much, with Golden Go being a new threat.
Yeah, and with it being a challenging matchup, and with a lot of people
Sure.
weirdly teching for it through the recovery of damage, whether it's Monkey Dory or Picnic Basket, these kinds of cards that work across multiple decks, whether it's against
Javier
Dragapult or
Draw.
Gardevoir. If you include more of those in your Golden Goes and your Raging Bolts, it's going to make it harder for
Oke,
Marnie Grimmsnarl to continue. And I think it's
Renacho
also one of those decks that
menang.
people have learned how to play against it.
Dior
And as time has gone on, more and more
lose.
people are aware of how to beat
Lionel
it.
win.
And so consequently it's fallen out of favor with those
Nah,
top players, as
kita
they
habis
know
itu kita
the
lihat
quality of opposition here will be
juniornya.
able to dismantle.
Yeah, it gets caught in a couple of those crossfires. The fact that
Jorel
Picnic Baskets
lose.
are showing up in Golden Goes, the fact that it can be a tech inclusion to
Arlen masih
be a
main.
wide
Wow,
spread of
Arlen
these
masih main.
spreading damage matchups. But then also having more one-hit KO in the format with the likes of Golden Go,
Maurice
Raging Bolt being
lose.
the other one-hit KO option.
Cuman
Then also
Maurice
the fact that
sama
Maractus
Arlen
is often a
sama
weapon in
si
Grimmsnarl.
Jumur
The
3
fact
ya.
that showed up in the straight Dragapult builds meant that
Jorel ya.
by having more Turos within your list,
Set.
having more regular switching cards meant that even this panic
Oh,
option
apa,
from Grimmsnarl is now taken away
Masih
from it.
round 1,
and that your
masih
opponent is
aman
typically
aja.
expecting to play, you know, even things like Iron Leaves EX thrown into some of these deck lists, and that can be a huge spanner for the Grimmsnarl.
kita lihat.
That said, I'm still very surprised at how few have actually opted to go
PGC
for it
lagi
this
main
weekend.
nggak?
I think it's fair to say the best user of Monkey Dory in the format right now. And in our 6th position there, your caster pick, the Flareon EX. Probably the most iconic Terra user of Noctowl currently, but has never really risen to be a top contender.
juga
performer.
Taplosion
It's
nggak
always
masuk,
been on the
tapi
fringe,
Taplos.
but something you have to worry about.
Yeah, I do really like the choice, and I actually think,
Taplosion harusnya masih
surprisingly,
bisa
other than Raging Bolt, I
ngapa-ngapain
think it is the best Jewel Seeker deck in the game that we have right now. It is definitely an unorthodox deck in that it plays very few actual draw supporters. You're really reliant on your use of Noctowl. I think there was a hesitation to play Flareon at
Crystal
the
is
NAIC
terrible
with the
deck.
Team
No,
Rocket's Watchtower
Crystal is
being
not terrible
new
deck,
on the block and being a
bro.
threat for the archetype. It can completely shut
Crystal
down
dari
the
5
fan rotom
ini
as well as your Noctowl, and when you're so tethered
cuman
to
nggak bisa
that
lawan Garde,
ability,
anjir.
the fact that you can be shut down
Lawan
immediately
Garde
is
susah
risky.
banget, tapi
But now
sisanya
we've
tuh
had the information
bisa lah
Watchtower
menang.
isn't showing up in our main meta decks, and Flareon's not
Goldengo
popular
yang
enough
bisa
to tech against, nor
mukul
is Raging Bolt really, to be honest with you.
Scizor
Especially when Raging
only.
Bolt has enough draw power outside of
Pult,
that fact that you can
ya
still
bisa
find
ledak
stadium
sih pakai
bounces.
Noir, tapi
There's a clear runway for
meledak
Flareon.
anyway.
And I feel like it's
Lu tetap
4.4
dapat
brave
prize.
soldiers out there percent
Boleh tetap bisa
are
nyebar
going to be
juga.
running this deck, hoping to
Tapi
dodge
ada
that
mungkin Dori di
13% of
Crystal.
Gardevoir. I don't think that's that
Lawan
tough. I
Garde
like
nggak
its
bisa,
matchups in other
pemukulnya
situations.
one price semua.
Yeah, and strong into the golden go. But Mr. Bernard, we
Flareon
have seen
harusnya
how the decks are panning out there across the room.
tergantung
But we got
dia
to see
mainnya
our
pakai
round one
apa,
earlier.
tapi dia bisa mukul
Taunt
pakai
Rev coming out
Noctowl,
on
bisa
top against
mukul pakai
Fabrizio. Round 2 will be coming later on. Definitely stick around
Rotom
to catch all the
minimal.
action. We've not just got
Rotom sama
round
Noctowl.
1 and round 2
Bisa
throughout the
bisa
day. We've
ngecas
got
ke
8
sana.
rounds today, so you'll get plenty of action
Apalagi
on stream.
Raging
And make
Bolt
sure you stick around
susah
because you will be able
mukulnya.
to get access to some drops just by watching along to the stream.
Yep, just having it on in the background.
Dia
And just
guys.
come back as soon as you start hearing the game. We're not going to judge you for it because
Ya,
there is
Twitch
lots of
drop
things you can
tapi.
earn on Twitch. This is, of course,
punya-
but
nggak
all you
punya-
have to do is
males
sit
gua
back,
streaming di
relax, and
Twitch.
enjoy the best players of Pokemon battling it out and trying to make themselves a champion. And look at what's on offer here, Mike.
Yeah, I love those accessories. Always nice to be able to put your own little spin on the game. And I think it's also nice because it shows you're there watching along in the World Championship, and you can come across other people who also showing off they were watching the World Championship, as this is the pinnacle of Pokemon TCG. And if you're playing the game, you want to show that you're a part of that community, as well as those amazing artwork rares for the Hydreigon EX line. I do really like that
EX
Xylos. I
line.
like the way it's very
Oh, yeah?
symmetrical. I think this is one of my new favorite concepts in cards, is having very symmetrical cards
Oh,
where obviously with the two heads it makes a lot of sense right there. But how epic is that Hydreigon EX
Oh, my
artwork?
goodness. I haven't yet found a deck to make this card work, but I
Coba
really want to
dikit.
because look how terrifying that artwork is.
Cakep Cok Esther.
Absolutely
Thank you so
phenomenal
much,
scenes.
Aaron.
And
I'm
also,
here with
if you're
Cam
just picking up
Steady,
those
who
little
is
trade
the-
points or trade credits, that's what's going to help you build any deck that you see out here on the tables. If there's something that's inspired you throughout the weekend, now you can take these credits for yourself, start building your own deck, and get involved in TCG. It's a fantastic time to be playing Pokemon. It means after the World Championships, we're starting again with a brand new season. So there is a fantastic opportunity for you to watch the best players in the world, take on some tips from these players, and start playing yourself.
Well, we know a lot of you guys like to collect as well, and there is a special illustration rare package now that you can redeem.
WCS
And
25
look at all of these
TCGL,
artworks.
okay.
Some of them very competitive as well.
Dicatat
And I
guys,
think
dicatat
this is a great way
WCS
to
25
celebrate the
TCGL.
World Championship here in Anaheim. That Hilda will be going straight into your Dragon Ball deck. We saw
SIR,
them in both of the
SIR,
decks in our
Hilda,
round 1. So a great little card to
CN.
include.
WCS 25 TCGL is the code you need.
Belakang apa ya?
Redeemable now, picking up your Hilda, your N, getting that Electros line as well. We might even see some
Oh, itu line
electric
Electros.
action. That Dynamotor has been in the format previously in the black and white era, and it's been reimagined again this time around, allowing you to grab energy from your discard pile and attach them. So why not bling out your deck with the best artwork possible?
Well, what a treat for you all at home. Not only getting to see all the best action, but loads of goodies for you
bisa
to receive
yuk,
too.
sambil nunggu
And
game
I mean,
round
we're
2.
excited to see how the matchups pan out. I think one of the key messages from this last little moment is talking about the meta share. But we haven't spoken about all those decks that aren't in the top 6, and they're the ones that are going to be interesting to see. If someone has managed to solve that unusual archetype that can come to this tournament and take it to the top, it's something that is hard to do, but we saw it last year. A low percentage deck managed to win the whole thing. So it's not impossible for that to happen.
Yeah, Crustal's the boogeyman this year. It's the Iron Thorns of last year, I think, for a number of players. Even things like Joltit Box has an outside chance. Ethan's Typhlosion has been picking up in popularity, at least in the online scene, where players are just playing for fun and testing and getting their reps in before Worlds. These archetypes may not have shown up in the sort of day one meta share, but there could be one or two pilots who have cracked the code and made a great list.
What about Charizard EX? We haven't even mentioned
Apakah
it
sudah
coming
ada
out of
round
Obsidian
2?
Flames and has been a mainstay throughout its time in the format in lots of different ways. One of the best users of the Pidgeot EX and also a great user
Anjir,
of
Master masih ada
Dusknoir.
satu yang belum
It'll be
kelar
interesting
nih.
to see how people
Debat apa
combine
gimana
together.
sih?
Sometimes can be a little bit too slow in our current format where there's a lot of spread
Oh,
around,
senior
so
juga
people
dia
can
masih
avoid
belum kelar.
ramping up the damage of the
Debat
Charizard.
apa gimana
Has
sih?
a strong matchup
Masih dengan
into the
pertanyaan
most
sama
popular
gua.
deck in the room of Golden Go. So could position itself nicely against
Master
Gardevoir
tuh
and that Golden Go, but it is worried about Dragapult in
pemain
between.
Belanda
so much
satu, pemain
heritage
Cina
behind it.
satu.
People know that it's a phenomenal
Debat
archetype
gua
and
rasa
has
nih
been
dua
for
ini.
seasons, not just months. And also any
Senior
encouragement gained
itu
from the
ada
NAIC, of course,
Prancis
it won the
US,
seniors division,
USCN,
and
CNKR,
certainly a player that we have our eyes
SBR.
on in that age division as well, because
Ini
they've
juga
already got the
nggak
gauntlet.
debat
They've
sih ini
won
kayaknya
every
kalau
IC
senior
this
junior
season.
kayaknya
Rocking the Charizard really turned some heads. So
nggak
I
tahu
imagine
mau
there could be a
siapa.
couple of players braving it this weekend with the Charizard Pidgeot.
Filipina sama
Gabriel
UK.
Fernandez, it's weird to see it this
PL
way
apa
around,
ya?
but a
PL tuh
senior player
negara.
inspiring many masters, and I
Yeah.
think that's
PL?
just credit to how strong a
Bukan
player
Paraguay.
he is, and I think we'll see plenty more from him next
PL?
season as he will be aging up in 2026 to the Master Division. So you'll be
Negara
seeing
apa,
him
guys?
on these streams,
MX kan Meksiko,
I'm sure. And
PL?
for the rest of the players, we've mentioned many to watch out for, but is there,
PL
you know,
tuh apa?
for those players who just snuck in those 125th positions in Europe and North America, do you think there
Total
is that
berapa round?
story that could happen for
Harusnya
those players?
14,
How important is it
13 atau
for a player
14.
to be
Tapi
consistently
ini
at the top
sebenarnya
throughout the season?
1405
Listen,
sih.
there's no doubt every player in
Maksimal
this room
sebenarnya harusnya
could be the
12,
world
tapi kan
champion. Like, that's not
mereka
just
ada
a phrase that
tie,
we're
jadi
saying, and
harusnya
it's only
14
really going to be
round.
the top 100 or so. You know, from
Tapi
every
day 1
region,
ini
the very,
mereka
very
cuma main
top
9
players, that
ronde,
can happen,
karena
but
kan BO3
there could be
50 menit.
experts
Ini
of
aja
certain decks that
berarti
have just churned away naturally at getting their
round
points, or some
day
players
1
who
baru
have only
kelar
got a huge chunk of points
di
towards
kita
the
jam
latter
9 pagi
stages,
ntar.
building
Paling
up to the
cepat.
World Championships. They're actually in a great
Jam
position
8 jam
because
9
they
lah.
found a deck that they like in this
Jadi
format.
mereka
Black
sih,
Bottom White Flare has
jadi mereka
changed
sih
a
jam
few
7
things, but
ya,
not
jam
so
7
much that you
malam
can't
ya
bring
kelar.
your favorite deck to the table. And we've seen experts win the World Championships before. Vance Kelly is a household
Kan ini
name
masih
because
belum
he was an
kelar.
expert with
Debat apa
you.
gimana sih?
Played it all season, played it brilliantly at the World Championships, and was simply the
Lihat
best
dulu.
new player in the his victory.
Bentar, kita kecilin
Well,
aja.
if any of you at home
Gedean
are a
deh suara
player who we haven't
YouTube ya
spoken
kayaknya ya.
about and you think they're doing well, make sure to let us know because we want to be keeping an eye out for all the best players. And with round 1 kind of wrapping up, make sure you check out how your friends, how your favorite
kita
players
tetap
are
ingin
doing at
mendengar.
the tournament. And we'll be back for round 2 in just a bit.
Oke, round 2 dikit. 6 menit. Itu baju Uniqlo nggak tuh? Coba ada nggak Jakarta, lihat. Ada nggak Jakarta, nih IC doang nih. Ah, ini mah TPCI, under TPCI semua. Itu dia caster cakep, cok. Ini under TPCI semua harusnya. IC dan region. Coba kita lihat ada VGC apakah udah main. Unite mana Unite? Song Tae-jong masih main. Masih nggak ada juga. Almost won EX to win Worlds. You wish, bro.
Welcome to Worlds. It's gonna be legendary.
You wish, bro. Mamos wine anjir. Russell masih lebih make sense untuk T2. Junior sisa 2 table. Cing nih masih belum kelar, cuk. Debat kah mereka? Oh, udah round 2, Master sudah round 2. Sudah ada pairing. Mari kita lihat ID. Mana kita lihat banyak banget sih namanya David tuh. Daniel main di table 146, Yoso sebelahan, enak tuh. Daniel sama Yoso sebelahan. 146 sama 147. Jonas main di table 174. Udah mulai tie di situ ya. Febri main di table 195, lawannya orang FI itu Finland ya, Finland harusnya. Jonas, mana tadi? Jonas lawan Takatoshi Sano, gelo. Yoso lawan Adam Hawkins dari UK, Daniel lawan Kim Pobega dari Itali. Darwin lawan Raisa Aruda, anjay, dari Brazil. Wah, anjay, padahal nggak tahu siapa. Terry lawan Javier, tapi bukan Javier yang Indo. Lawan Terry dari Espanyol. Alberto lawan Murilo dari Brazil. Mana lagi sih? Atar lawan Wenjiwu dari CN, dari China. Calvin lawan Carlos Medina. PE itu apa ya, anjir? Bukan Paraguay. PE itu apa ya? Tahu sumpah. Gue harus belajar geografi lagi. Tian udah hilang namanya karena emang tidak datang. Sadly. Sebenarnya datang sih, tapi ya terlambat. Sumpah gue sedih banget, jujur. Force major masalahnya. Apalagi nih tier starter ini nih, balik lagi. Ini cepetin game yang tadi. Lo gak kasihan sama Fabrizio, bro? Gelo. Semenit lagi. Kan lihat yang Unite sama VGC sih sebenarnya. Coba kita sambil lihat guys ya. VGC. Masih belum, masih ngomong. Dia juga semenit lagi juga masih ngomong. TCG. If I see a Dragapult in my second ever watch match, I'm out lah. Jelas kedua terbanyak. Wajar gak sih? Komen-komennya lucu sih. Let's rewatch the Budeo start. Cornerstone Ogre Pawn can be a strong counter against deck like Goldengo, betul.
Phenomenal start to the World Championship in Anaheim we've had.
Indah ya.
With amazing music, the vibes are great, but ultimately the Pokemon is going to be showing us.
Habis belanja nunjukin.
Great round 1 featuring Dragapult EX.
Tian gak dikasih main. Sadly enggak, karena dia telat sampai ke Anaheim ya. Jadi dia nggak sempat untuk check in players karena kan check innya H-1. Sadly dia nggak bisa ikut. Kan kalau kayak kita biasa di MBL, PBL kemarin kan kita bukan hamin bahkan ya minus sejam kan kita regis ulang. Terus kalau nggak gagal datang di situ nggak boleh main meskipun terpilih. Ya sama. Kalau ini H-1.
We know that that's something that Tord Reklev does very frequently every tournament.
And familiarity. It's always great to know a deck inside and out. And what we can tell with this tournament is many of our top players throughout the season are picking archetypes
sejujurnya sedih.
at many other tournaments.
Karena potensial sekali Tian itu.
Going into our next game as God of War users will be very familiar with some of our players playing God of War at this tournament. But of course, it's always interesting with archetypes like God of War, like Dragon Ball, is seeing how
mereka
those
sudah
top
mulai
players
main.
adapt, being one step ahead of everyone else.
Especially with Black Bolt and White Flare introducing.
Nanti memang beli tiketnya mepet banget ya. Tian gara-gara flightnya ke cancel. Gara-gara badai apa? Kayak gara-gara badai deh, seingatku. Flight dia ke US-nya ke cancel karena badai, seingatku. Terus dia ada flight berikutnya itu nunggu besoknya. Jadi ya dibilang mepet juga nggak juga sih, tapi ya cukup mepet.
Going to be looking to adapt and overcome the changed meta thanks to
Sedih
that
sih,
Genesect
sejujurnya
DX
sedih.
elevating Golden Go to the top. Another card that we haven't really spoken about much is Air Balloon that is featuring in that top deck, and I'm sure we'll see plenty of it. But for you, when you're looking at these World Championships, you're seeing people play decks they're familiar with. How important is that for them going into these early rounds where they're going to be the most nervous?
Belum mulai mereka. Berarti kita akan masih melihat caster ini berbincang-bincang sambil nunggu player naik. Tolonglah kalau player naik tuh cepet gitu. Apakah kita akan melihat player Indo di stream?
Caliber of competition that we have out there, everyone's got to put a lot of time in. Maybe there's been some late jump ships or a few changes within decks over the last couple of days based on the metagaming and the discussions among players. But I think the general player in the room is going to be really experienced because you have to at least back yourself to put yourself in the best position to win every game with your deck. You never want to be head slapping yourself.
Cepetan mas. Kita bisa table satunya Kalung Walker versus ini pakai hiragana nulis namanya. Terjegal alam beneran betul. Yang nentuin next stream gimana sih? Nggak tahu karena round 1 tadi Tort itu bukan table 1. Bener, lebih ke popularity sih kayaknya. Kalau round 1 baik Fabrizio sama Tort sama-sama player yang udah lama main kan. Mereka udah at least under TPCI event mereka paling sering topping lah bagi Tort kan, dan ketemu di round 1 ya udah pasti dipilih tuh. Jadi based on popularity harusnya round 1. Round 2 nggak tahu, mungkin masih based on popularity. Dan ngelihat dari yang win 1 harusnya based on popularity-nya pun. Jadi nggak mungkin Tort lagi, ada Isaiah Sheffield. Aduh ini nama ada orang Singapura namanya Terry Tai banget cuy. Ya harusnya berdasarkan popularity sih untuk 2 round, 3 round pertama lah. Habis itu nanti round keempat baru mungkin lihat 5 atau 10 table teratas. Tetap popularity base sih mungkin. Karena kan itu yang diincar, atau mungkin dia nyari negara yang belum pernah. Nah tuh Isaiah Bradner itu kayaknya stream. Isaiah Bradner bener lawan Brian McKay. Ini juga 2 orang yang ya popularity base bener. Yoso GG banget lawan negara mana. Yoso tadi lawan pemain Cina, kayaknya dia nggak datang juga deh. Nggak tahu telat datangnya waktu round 1 mulai. Seeing Daniel Magna, a name we've already highlighted, up against Vincent Owen, 2 very consistent performers there as well. Alex Szymanski and Brian DeVry. Kalau Daniel tadi main karena dia win stop methodnya menit berapa tadi, 30-40 lah. Vincent Owen dari Magda, Alessandro Cremoscoli. Itu JP langsung ketemu JP tuh, Hinata sama Ryuki.
And I think when we talk about the NAIC finals, what were the decks these guys were playing? They were playing God of War.
Isaiah Bradner, apakah yang kamu mainkan? Apakah kamu Garde?
Not just for making it to the finals, but the manner in which he made it to the finals, having to defeat Tord Reklev with a very bold passing play in those final ticking turns of time.
Masuk di itu maksimal X berapa? Di 2 maksimal X berapa? Tadi kayak 16 poin deh minimal. 16 poin berarti dari 9 round win 4 harusnya udah masa sih? Ntar ya. Tadi gue lupa hitung-hitungannya.
So you're getting a real trip down memory lane. Just a few months back, we got to see these players in action, and they are in their most peak form right now. Not a huge amount of
Tian baru sampai US bahkan.
Both these players, as they will be competing with the same archetypes, but
mana?
What sort of changes have they made based off of the Black Bolt and White Flare?
Yeah, that's one of those strange
Gimana
situations
hitung-hitungannya ya?
You've just come off a tournament run where you did exceptionally well with 160, and you know that you put a lot of reps in with that deck and have become a master.
8 round hari ini, 16 poin tuh day 2.
Exact inclusions change the percentages.
Habis itu 3 round lagi untuk day 2. Berarti ya bener, 4 kali win hari ini. 4 kali win, 1 kali tie. Berarti maksimal X. Maksimal X3. X3 masih bisa masuk day 2. Tapi better ya cari poin sebanyak-banyaknya sih buat soalnya nyari top 8 anjir winnya.
Combination from Psychic Embrace, but now we've got that Jellicent EX and the Frillish to talk about. We also have the Lily's Clefairy, which recently introduced in Journeys Together, allowing you to knock out that Dragapult, which is one of the reasons why God of War is so good, is one of the most popular decks in the format, can be countered through weakness, where every other deck cannot do that.
It almost swung a matchup in a lot of ways. Before the Lily's Clefairy, the God of War into Dragapult.
Mulai bro, cepet bro. Anjir, nunggu apa lagi sih?
Psychic type weakness into a Dragapult EX. It really made the matchup much more appealing on the God of War side of things, and these players are masters of that archetype.
Nunggu apa sih, guys? Ya ampun.
Hopefully these matches you can see right now will go the way you want. I'm sure many of you supporting.
Junior juga udah mulai. Junior belum mulai sih.
And I know many of them will.
Jadi enak banget ada buy, Cuk. Masih ada buy lo, masih ganjil. Berapa player sih? Ke tempat 25, iya. Yang playnya pasti playnya itu mana? Yang pasti play adalah 721 oh tetap ganjil. Okay. Make sense.
Of the international championship event, so it's a two-phase competition. Players with enough match points will progress from phase 1 into phase 2.
Gila, lama banget. PTCGL nggak bisa pula. Alessandro ini namanya kalau di Indonesia kasihan, coba bully deh. Dan The Freeze lumayan orangnya.
721 Masters.
721 ya benar, 721. Cuma setengah loh. Cuma setengah yang berhasil main. Albert senior enggak, Albert masuknya, Albert cuma masuk master. Ini semua yang gua tulis masuknya master semua. Daniel juga master. Kemenangan kita master ada 10 orang. 2 dari MBL, 8 dari rank.
And we'll be getting to see how the run back happens today, but it's only round 2 and many more great matchups ahead.
Akhirnya
we're very soon to getting into our round 2 action. A couple of familiar
faces tadi barang jatuh sih di sekitar gua.
Finals. It's somehow a repeat. It's destiny between these two players. Riley looking to trump his opponent after getting a loss from NAIC. There's still a huge amount of pressure, even though it's round 2 of the tournament.
Jatuh lagi barang
these two also know the intricacies of the other player, their sort of idiosyncrasies and how they change up their decision making. That might be a factor heading into this matchup.
Well, Isaiah Bradner was unfortunately tarnished with the story of being the player who never quite won. But he's changed that story now and is becoming known for his incredible deck building ability. Talk to us why that works so well with God of War EX in the format.
God of War, just like Dragapult, is an options tool.
Main apa kamu? Cepat, reveal.
With how you like to attack, whether it's with the chunky God of War EX itself, whether
pantes lama ganti baju dulu.
UEX can copy all sorts. Monkey Dory can get in the mix as an attacking threat, as well as a fantastic ability that you're trying to power up the entire time. Bradner just wants options, and this deck certainly provides him that.
Throughout this match, we'll talk you through the differences in options.
Ya Allah, mirror. Supportnya beda sih. Saya Bradner main Garde Zelisen anjir. Tidak make sense.
On offer for the champion in Anaheim. but also some great results around that, and you can see some for Riley in the seniors division.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Both players had strong careers in the lower age divisions.
Iya, Riley Makin masih senior ya, 19 ya.
Position now as masters, and you'll also note there's Jellicent EX alongside Gardevoir in Isaiah's list, so it's going to be slightly different builds from what we saw at the NAIC. Wonder how that's going to play in this match.
Kenapa aku harus melihat Gardevoir Jellicent sih? Malas melihatnya, Cok. Masa kadang suruh ganti baju playboy, kadang nggak ditulis dari mana ya? Biasanya yang gua tahu ya, pasti dari si stage manager akan ngelihat. Dan kan dari TPC dan TPCI kan cukup strict ya, apakah ada sponsor yang nggak boleh masuk, brand atau IP lain yang nggak boleh masuk. Nah itu tuh cukup strict tuh. Dan kayaknya yang disuruh ganti baju ya itu yang IP sama brandnya nggak boleh masuk ke stream. Jadi mau nggak mau ganti baju ke bajunya play Pokemon. Yang paling aman tuh ya baju tim. Agak susah sih, karena kan sponsor kan pasti maunya muncul ya di stream. Ini kadang-kadang gue juga sebel juga. Bukan gue sebel ya, karena dari perspektif organisasi e-sports gitu atau dari tim e-sports kan kalau mau mereka punya sponsor, mereka punya kewajiban untuk di bajunya ditampilkan gitu kan. Tapi ketika di stream disuruh ganti baju ya sebenarnya agak susah juga. Makanya mungkin untuk TCG jadinya agak susah tuh brand-brand untuk masuk. Apalagi kalau mereka bukan brand yang memang tanda kutip diizinkan tampilkan gitu. Oke, price-nya 1 round. Secret box-nya nyangkut 2 monkey nyangkut. Saya cuman secret box yang kena 2 monkey, masih ada monkey lain, masih ada monkey sih harusnya. Mungkin buat 3 gitu harusnya. Harusnya sih 3 deck ya. Harusnya 3 monkey ya.
But at the same time, it grants you access to all sorts of cards. A tool, a supporter, a stadium, and an item. Allows you to fix basically any hand that you have. So not having early access to the secret box could be problematic. For Riley, the couple Monkey Dory, there are 4 copies.
Itu sih baju playbooknya sering sempit. Karena kayak mungkin cuman XL paling gede, L atau XL. Dan itu balik lagi ke si yang pakai, mungkin nyamannya yang agak ngepres gitu kan. Kadang-kadang kan bule-bule tuh biasanya bikin otot lah. Dan emang mungkin karena sukanya ya. Riley first. Harusnya berarti yang tadi menang dadu saya. Starting Flutterman dia.
Fluttering ability, shutting down abilities in the active position for the opponent when the Flutterman is in the active position.
Jellicent gak aktif ya berarti kalau di depan, bener juga. Bener juga, pantas orang-orang pada mulai bawa Flutterman, baru sadar gua. Clamping bro, gak boleh.
Firstly, you want to find access to your Gardevoir EX, the Psychic Embrace,
the
lifeblood of the deck, which means you also need to start discarding Psychic Energy as you go, as you tick along, searching through to get your stage 2s developed, to get your prominent attackers set up.
Ngapain gue liatin ya, kan tadi gue udah liat price ya.
So that you can access them whenever you like via your Gardevoir EX.
Well, that route's going down, and just a continued deck check here, confirming all those cards. And I think
tadi route 1 di price, mungkin 2 di price. Harusnya dia nggak terlalu banyak masalah. At least dia masih punya secret box. Boleh nyatet dia, boleh nyatet tuh di sini. Terus catatnya dibaca sama lawannya.
Golden Go might be one of those, and there's some acknowledgement there.
Wih, baik banget kasih mukun.
Shutting that down in the right instance would be devastating for a Golden Go EX player. But of course, the Hexel also helps against or with devolution strategies. When you're facing these other evolution decks, we know that Gardevoir is very capable at setting up multiple Pokemon, especially with Monkey Dory, and the 90 damage to the active plus
apa sih semua barang jatuh dekat gua.
Flexible in the deck that it can allow you to have the strategy of TM devolution, and I think both players are opting to have it within their deck list. So the Fluttermane is a really versatile option.
Yeah, and some people mentioning Clef Key is a great option to include, as it shuts down the abilities of all basics. but it also shuts down your own basics, like your Monkey Dory, whereas that
Langsung
Fluctuate
colok.
only shutting down the active, but it shuts down
Langsung
all
dikasih main.
Pokemon in the active,
Ya,
which is a
sama-sama
great
deck lama sih.
opportunity to deny opportunities. And one of those would, in fact, be the Jellicent.
Dan masih first turn juga pasti mau deck check.
As well as lots of great gusting options. You can gust things
Indo
up
nggak boleh
like
catat
Latias
betul.
EX, where decks always
Karena
rely on the Skyliner
ya itu sih
ability to
sebenarnya
allow them to
perbedaan
retreat.
aturan dari TPC
Bottom
dan
lane is a way to
TPCI-nya,
gain
floor
back a turn
floor
into
rule-nya
those decks
beda.
which might struggle
Nggak boleh
otherwise. So,
nyatet,
high level plays will be opened up
nggak boleh
for Riley
clamping
throughout
kan
the
kemarin
tournament
MBL kan
with
kita
that
udah
inclusion.
nggak boleh
But getting
clamping
that
tuh.
fundamental rolls down
Which is
on
gue
the first
setuju.
turn, as well as a Monkey
Karena
Dory with
menurut
a
gue
Dark
itu
Energy attach. Setting up
menurut
that
gue adalah
Monkey Dory battle that you like
clamping
to
itu
see
cara buat
of as
lu
many Dark
mudah
Energies
nge-cheat.
possible. And it's thanks to that Artisan, which
Dan
unfortunately has been provided to
iya,
Isaiah
nggak semua orang
in
nge-cheat,
return.
tapi
Yeah, that's actually a big deal for Isaiah because
kalau
it may
bisa
instruct his use of supporter. If
dikurangi
he had access to the likes of Arwen
sebuah
and a different supporter,
aksesnya, kenapa
now he
enggak?
can gain
Tapi
access
gue
to
juga tahu
Artisan and
banyak yang nggak
realise that, oh,
setuju
secret
karena
box is
ya
in the prize
mungkin
card, so I won't go that
lebih
direction,
cepat
I'll
untuk
go
deck
somewhere
check,
else. And
lebih
as we
mudah
know,
untuk
Isaiah is always
lebih mudah
diligent
untuk
at
melihat
checking out
dan
those prize cards,
jadinya
so he's going to be doing that quite
better
routinely here.
better
Actually had
diingat
an
gitu ya,
Artisan in
lebih
hand,
mudah
so it
diingat.
wasn't as a disruptive a scenario as possible to hold that Artisan. But I think that's the key with Artisan. Many people are worried about giving away information to your opponent or giving them the opportunity
Tapi dengan
to
lu
place
tidak
their own
boleh mencatat tuh sebenarnya itu lu melatih otak lu untuk berpikir lebih cerdas dalam bermain Pokemon, Jadi better ya harusnya. Dia belum taruh bawahnya Jellicent.
More Monkey Dory with more Darkness Energy attached. It's typically going to be a better board position, to be honest with you. Grants access to more healing, as well as just more access to taking out crucial threats. So, keeping up on the Dark Energy attachments for the turn.
Jujur kalau gue larang lawan clamping pun bakal dicap PMB gak sih? Jadi kayak udahlah.
We see the British come down straight away from Isaiah. No energy attachment whatsoever.
Di turnamen resmi nggak apa-apa karena kan memang nggak boleh kalau di Indo. Nggak tahu ya kalau mungkin next season ada perubahan lagi apa enggak. Tapi ya kayak kemarin MBL kalau misalnya dia masih ketahuan clamping kan lu bisa ngomong gitu sama lawannya. Jadi ya jadi nggak masalah harusnya. Kalau mungkin kasual ya udahlah gitu kasarnya.
At this stage, as well as the Bravery Charm and Dark Energy in hand, will be just looking to draw out of this with that restart ability.
And even just seeing the finish straight away means there's more.
Kayak nanti kan GBL UBL harusnya yang diingatkan adalah ambil terakhir kan. Draw 3. Apa yang akan kamu dapatkan? Iya ampun energi. Bisa buang itu ada bola ultra.
To be honest, you want to start pitching these energy while you can. You could grab a curlier immediately here.
Iya, bola ultra kiri ya? Atau rouse kedua harusnya? Kiri ya? Oh ya, rouse kedua bisa.
Access to the Artisan, so you have the backup rolls just in case your opponent gets really fruity with early gusting plays. There have been.
Gue merasa harusnya tadi itu mukul dulu sebelum draw. Tapi ya nggak tahu sih. Bisa ya dia bisa taruh langsung lebih banyak.
Targets on the board developed as important. Retreating out of Flutter main here
to go.
Wow, well, Isaiah didn't do much on that first turn. Set up all the Pokemon, but no support.
Gue lupa jadi sentuh mau nyerang berapa ya.
So you're going to be pretty
tapi harusnya nggak bisa
KO,
nggak bisa KO Mew awal-awal.
It's not much use because you need to start discarding those energy. And without a supporter, without energy cards, there's probably not much in the way Isaiah can do here unless a top deck allows for a fresh set of cards either through the INO or research, which is so key. That's going to be a pass there back to Riley, who's looking to race ahead now with that restart.
Jelek kah headnya?
2 cards straight away.
Couple item cards. Looks like there's INO in the hand. That would give your opponent access to a fresh 6. Could be a big risk here. But you won't have any draw power from Mew next turn because you've got clogged up with items yourself. Can use Night Stretcher, maybe develop another
headnya juga jelek sih.
If you would like. Not much else you can do here though. Both players kind of on fumes. It's going to be a fresh 6 from Riley here. So both players have the sigh of relief of seeing access to new cards. It does mean that Riley has the priority this turn. He could begin
Kalau si
launching meaningful
Riley-nya
attacks,
dapet
but it
jelek,
is still a
Isaiah
big
dapet
relief
bagus,
for Isaiah
tangis
here.
sumpah.
Yeah, with that Night Stretcher being such a powerful resource in the deck, only 2 copies in Riley's
Oh,
deck,
bisa jadi Guardian.
and with 4
Udah
research,
bisa mukul
which
dia,
is
udah
going to
bisa
be your
mukul.
frequent way to dig through the deck, you're often going to be discarding vital resources as you go, and if a knockout happens on an important attacker, you want to be able to return that back into your hand. So Riley opting to keep that
harusnya bisa
rather than
mukul.
utilize it on this occasion for
Emang
the
nggak tahu nih
Dark
mukul
Energy.
pakai apa? Harusnya
Multiple
mau mukul
means
pakai
guarded by
Flutterman.
EX will be established this turn for Riley, who's slow volved up to find this stage 2, and there are a few Psychic already in the discard pile for him. I'm not sure if he quite has access enough to
Dia bisa,
launch a Hex Hurl
udah 3
option.
belum ya? Harusnya udah.
Also eyeing up potentially Screen Tail from the Artisan here. Could try and take out a Frillish or a Ralts if you would like. There's always a bit of cat and mouse going on in this matchup where a lot of your low hit point Pokemon self-damage, and that could open the door for Adrenabrain from your opponent to punish you. So trying to still make meaningful math happen without over-damaging these Pokemon is still really
Oh ya, bisa
vital.
Scream Tail sih.
With
Bisa
that
Scream
Artisan in
Tail.
play for the rest of the game, both players
Tapi ada
playing
3
Artisan,
energi
no
nggak
way
ya?
to bump it. It will just be accessible to be able to put any of your non-rulebox Pokemon into play at any given moment. So something like a Scream Tail, you don't need to worry about getting it down early, you just get it down when you need it. And that's a very powerful position to be in. I'm just looking to set up that Monkey Dory, and we'll be able to move the damage across and take the knockout on the Ralts. And that's a great position to be in.
We're flinging 1 damage counter over with the Adrenabrain, then we're going to finish off the Ralts via the Mind Bend. We are taking the first prize of the game here,
Oh iya, mukulnya cuma
but
segitu.
we are putting
Lupa.
our Monkey Dory in a vulnerable position. You've just given Isaiah a fresh 6 cards, so even though he's had a few slow turns, that
Depan
may
banget
no
tuh gue
longer be the
liat.
case. And
Depan
we really,
banget tuh
you know, with
taruh.
a couple prize Monkey Dory especially, the fact that you could be losing one with a Dark Energy is a risk here, Mike. There was the option of Scream Tail, but Riley chose to go this direction instead.
Handnya
keeping his
bagus
board
gak?
space for more
Sampai handnya
options.
bagus nangis gitu. Sumpah.
Playing the 4 Monkey
Nangis itu.
Dory, 4 Dark Energy, very much
Mystica
leaning
lagi.
into the Monkey Dory, but you can see there that hand not ideal.
Oh, dia nggak
Nobody
bisa
discard the
buang.
energy, does
Cuma
have
bisa
2
attach.
Gardevoir there, and Iono in the back to the bottom of the deck. That is not going to make it easy to get a Gardevoir out this turn, so we likely will just see an Oceanic Gloom from the Frillish to try and slow down Riley.
It does set up a potential
Kirlia
TM Evolution
dapet,
if that's found as well, which is
Jellicent
taken off the
enggak.
top. Now
Dua
you can evolve
Kirlia.
into Kirlia and TM Evolution up into a Gardevoir EX.
Yeah, that's going to be an option. Then at that point, you're giving Riley so much time, and is it more important to just
Kirlia
get the
dua di
Gardevoir
tangan
going?
sih.
This
Ya
is
bisa
a
langsung
really tough
Garde
position Isaiah's
sih.
found himself in. No energy
MJFO
discarded at this
sih.
point too. So going to be really looking to stabilize.
Kalau pas
and
lawan
come
cut ke
back from
shuffle atau
behind.
deck kita terus
No
berasa
Oceanic
dia
Gloom
kayak ngintip
isn't
deck
doing
kita
much in the
boleh
way of
kita cut lagi
damage
nggak ya?
because there's already Adrenabrain
Kalau dia
developed.
shuffle boleh cut, kalau
We're gonna
dia
quickly
cuma
tap the
ngecut nggak
Arsenal
bisa.
here to
Kalau
gain
mau panggil
access to an
judge.
additional basic Pokemon.
Karena kamu panggil
Game plan is
judge,
quite different for a build
terus
with
kamu
Frillish and Jellicent
kasih
EX, 'cause
tahu
you're still trying to
concern
work
kamu
towards a TM
apa,
Evolution play at times.
atau ya minta aja.
But also the Jellicent
Saya
EX
curiga
can
minta
provide lots of
shuffle,
items
dah.
during the game. Counter Catcher being a vital one, Rare Candy being a vital one, meaning that if you take out one Gardevoir, one Ralts on the
Kalau
bench
tapi
isn't
nggak
sufficient
jangan cut
to beat
sendiri.
a
Kalau
Kirlia
apalagi kalau dia cuma cut.
already developed. And of course, there's still the mini game of more Monkey Dory is better, and that's why Isaiah now is going to ask him for
Ya
a
karena
second
abis dia
one.
mukulnya cuman
Had the challenge there
ya
of
besok
trying to
kelempar
establish
lagi.
another Gardevoir line, but by putting 2
Good choice.
vulnerable Pokemon in play, I think that earlier in the Frillish, it could potentially lead to some issues. But having the Monkey Dories available there
Pusing
would
juga,
be
Bas.
ideal in future turns to set up those Dark Energy. But without one attachment this turn, it feels like that Monkey Dory is just now on the bench
Nggak ada Jellicent.
without an option available. So
Apakah
really tough decision
itu
for
dia?
With no backup Ralts, I was pretty certain to see the TM Evolution
Jadi
even get Gardevoir
Garde
EX and
EX jadi
access to our
Jellicent
Jellicent
EX gak bisa
EX as
pakai
well
item
on
kau
the
ya.
bench now.
Yeah.
Its ability is only active when itself is in the active position, but it does shut down the use of items and tool cards.
Wih,
Very disruptive
jatuh-jatuh
option in
tuh.
the deck.
Jatuh-jatuh
Now presses a decent
tuh.
attack. It can
Ngapain
reach 160
tuh?
damage if there are 4 or more energy attached to the Jellicent, and that can happen all in the turn with Gardevoir, but Isaiah has really lacked any access to Darkness Energy. He's had to manually attach the Psychic so far and has none in his discard
Harven.
pile. He's still working from behind right now.
Yeah, and you wonder how much that Jellicent in combination with TM Devolution could work in this matchup. And I think Riley will have to be thinking about that
Secret
now,
box kah?
stabilizing the Kirlia and then the Gardevoir later on to put
Ya,
yourself
dia
in a
butuh,
strong
mungkin
position.
dia butuh supporter
as that
lain.
Jellicent would
Ya di
shut
deck supporter
down the
masih
Rare
banyak.
Candy route back up to a Gardevoir. And the secret box available to Riley, still in the prize cards for Isaiah, will be able to get out
Masa
lots of
gua
important
20?
cards at this stage.
Yep, it's a great card to use Arven for, especially when you can grab a TM Evolution just for fodder here for your 3 discard requirement. There's another one in the hand as well.
Tadi Evo perlu nggak ya?
Discard these and have
Dia
access
harusnya
to all
nggak butuh
sorts
Evo
here.
sih.
Crucially, supporter cards at this stage could be vital.
Jadi bisa dibuang 2.
Even getting access to
Satunya
Urban
tapi
Vessel
apa?
and getting more energy thrown around.
Aduh,
Get
semua
access to
Evo
another
dia
Monkey
mau kirim
Dory,
dia
that could
lagi.
be huge. That final board space, we saw Riley hesitant to put a screen tail down on the previous turn to keep his bench space open.
Well, that first decision of the secret box is I am going to get a professor's research. That is the easy decision here. Now I've got to work out the stabilizers and getting more psychic energy discarded, as well as that artisan that you can just get out of the deck and try and make it as consistent as possible in case of disruption, because that is the typical way
harusnya udah nggak ada
God of War
tool,
comes
berarti
back
dia
in
akan
many
buang.
matchups. Use the INO to disrupt and put your opponent behind.
Ya mungkin dia
skip
buang
a few
karena
turns ahead.
udah stadionnya
If you can thin out all
butuh
of these cards you don't need, you can make it more likely that you're INO
energy.
proof. And without the draw engine on board like many decks do have, God of War will typically rely on a setup
Udah nggak usah
board that
profesor
cannot
kan
be
tadi
disrupted.
udah Arvin.
In this instance, it will be
Tapi
Artisan
jangan nggak
here
sih mau
after
ambil
the
diskar
Urban
musuh
Vessel.
pun nggak nyampe.
There's already Dark
Standar
Energy in
nggak sih?
hand, so I
Ini kayak
wouldn't
meja
mind
di
another
Indo
Monkey
juga
Dory hitting
segini.
the board here. And then the question becomes, does Riley want
Enggak
to
sih,
protect
meja di
this
Indo nggak
active Monkey Dory
kalau
and go
ke
into a
badannya nggak
Hextile
sepanjang
option?
itu. Tapi ya
I
ini
feel like that does make a lot of
ukurannya lebih
sense
gede.
here.
Tapi
Throwing more damage
nggak
counters
juga
around the board.
harusnya.
There has lacked access to energy so
Masih
far.
kayak meja
Riley's
biasa
also
lah,
seeing
cuman
an
jadi
additional
harus
7
ngambilnya
cards
harus
here, so
dongak
a really
banget
good
aja
turn
kalau mau lihat
even before he's played a
trash.
supporter. TM Evolution thrown onto God of War EX just as an option, but it's rarely going to be used here, I think.
Oke. Oh,
into the God of War
dia
EX,
bisa
also a decent
lempar-lempar.
attacker. The damage is immediately being thrown back onto God of War, or perhaps are we going to see a
Ntar
TM
Jelison tuh harus di
to go slowly
Jelison
here?
tuh harus di ini ya.
Wow.
Jelison harus diaktif ya.
Riley has the option to research next turn, get a bunch of energy in the discard
Legit
pile.
lupa.
Yeah, maybe we are going slower here. Just going to throw a couple damage that we put onto God of War EX onto Isaiah's Frillish, and we're just going to evolve up into Curlier. This is recognition, Mike, that we are afraid of TM Devolution, and we're respecting the item lock potential of a Jellicent EX.
Yeah, with the double Monkey
harus
Dory
di arena
play,
bertarung.
being able to move damage back is definitely on the card. So if you get attacked into by Isaiah, into that God of RX in the active
Ini udah ada yang
spot, you're in a
submit
very
aja
strong
nih.
position to be able to send that
Kita
straight
lihat
back and
ID.
get even further ahead. So you're almost you're asking to be attacked at this point, and that's the key to a lot of these decks like God of War. They don't want to get too far ahead because that's not really where they work their best. They often like getting a little bit behind.
Wah, Yoso kalah.
Option that many of the God of War decks do play.
Yoso kalah guys, sudah di round 2
Researching
langsung.
away a couple psychic energy, now can Earthen Vessel to access more psychic in addition to a darkness energy, so he can start to try and keep up on this Monkey Dory race.
Yoso sudah
He's
kalah.
going to start trying to pivot out of this Frillish this turn, as Earthen Vessel does discard a
Masih
psychic
main
energy here.
Jonas.
One interesting intricacy
Febri
here
juga
is
masih
that the Frillish with
main.
the 3 retreat
Darwin
cost
masih
does have to damage
main.
itself quite
Ya harusnya
heavily
masih pada
if it
main
wants to
sih.
retreat.
Ini yang udah
It's only
win
a 2-1
cepetan
line of
Albert
Jellicent
Chu,
EX right now, so if
another
you want to
lose
get into attack
sadly.
with that Pokemon, start setting up with power press, you have to quite heavily damage this Frillish, even with a bit of heal from Monkey Dory. Could set up more
Coba batu
fights
unit
for Riley
kayaknya.
later down the line, but no doubt we're going to attach
Kalau
the
ini VGC
Darkness
tuh
energy
anjir.
here for Adrenabrain to be enabled.
Atar still play,
There's 3
Calvin
energy,
still play.
Psychic energy in the discard pile now for Isaiah. There's the option to swing in with Miracle Force, there's the option to power press. And we're just going to stick with the Oceanic Gloom and holding the option of Adrenabrain as well, knowing that if you put it anywhere, your opponent already has 2 to play with, so keep it on the Frillish where you know where it is, rather than give Riley the option to put it anywhere he wants.
Oh, berubah langsung Profesor.
Interesting research plus 2 Psychic Energy was sat in that hand, and Isaiah was fully aware of that as it came off the Secret Box and Earthen Vessel previously played, but understanding that item lock after that could be key here. And this is the intricacy of the matchup. That Jellicent, we're seeing it being prioritized by Isaiah, recognizing how powerful that option is. And this is where the difference comes between these two decks. They are both playing God of War, but that ability to use Jellicent is a massive difference. And the key to that is the Monkey Dory, which you see on the bench. The damage has been moved across from those 2 Monkey Dories. Is why they're so important. The abilities have been used.
Kenapa ditaruhnya?
Monkey Dory promoted and will be a target.
Kenapa ditaruhnya pakai bersama Poison?
By 3 prize cards.
Riley with an amazing board position. 2 God of War EX
Pukul,
now
dapat
going 3
2 prize.
cards ahead after a Miracle Force.
Boleh kali nggak pakai
There
poison
is
dan
in
burn,
a
Bang?
back foot position, no doubt. Only access to 1 Monkey Dory right now. He still has work trying to get more Psych Energy in the discard pile. This Ultra Ball is going to help out, though. Potentially another Monkey Dory. There's also Artisan that can grab it for free as well. As they're still going to prioritize the Ultra Ball in this case. This is where we start seeing the Jellicent TX. It's in the active, so Oceanic Curse is live. It means that Riley, as long as the Jellicent TX is in the active position, won't be able to use item cards or tool cards from his hand, and that is still quite disruptive, although Riley has set up his board before all of this lock. Second Dark Energy now coming for Isaiah, and it is going to be a Professor's Research. Getting a fresh 7 cards here. He's finally starting to get.
Mungkinnya sih udah 2 dark gitu ya, tapi kagak ada damage counter di
makes it hard for Isaiah to break down Riley's board.
Tuh, nggak komitnya gede-gede banget
yes,
kok.
disruptive, but
Actually,
at this later stage,
di
everything is on
secara
board
view emang pasti kelihatan gede karena kan maunya kelihatan meja semua.
You've got the options with the Monkey Dories of the 2 Dark Energy. The only thing Riley is lacking is Gust options. You don't typically see Boss's Orders in God of War EX now. It's very much leaning into those counter catchers. Both of our players on stream right now playing 2 counter catchers, but that will not be accessible for Riley, as he's likely stay ahead for the rest of this game. And so the Jellicent plus Disruption combination, the Monkey Dory sprinkling damage around, very powerful. Is it going to be enough to come back into this game?
There with 6 damage to play with. Let's stick it just on the active God of War EX here.
Pukul depan.
And the power press is just going to deal 80 damage, not going for the full 160 that it can do. He's going to set up some decent numbers even after a couple of Adrenabrain next turn. There does still have access to potentially.
Iya ya, dia nggak kita satu lagi ya. Nggak ada sih tadi cuma 3 sadly.
Could still triple Adrenabrain. Other God of War EX that's on the bench for Riley, and then Devo them both all in the turn.
Dia udah kena 140.
So Isaiah is still lining up a really strong play.
Udah full bench.
All he needs next turn is Darkness Energy and
Harusnya
counter
pakai
capture,
sih.
provided Riley can't target anything but the active position for Isaiah, and that's likely because he's currently locked out of tools and item cards and doesn't play Boss's Orders. And there's no space for Screamtail either. So I actually think Isaiah is setting himself up for a crazy board swing next turn.
Yeah, it's a really intricate end game whenever there's a devolution involved. You see it a lot in Grimmsnarl, able to set up these boards where everything is in range of a devolution. But God of War typically is comfortable with the idea of getting devolved because your attacker remains on board, you can set up a new attacker, but on this occasion, it looks like the active God of War will be healing that damage off all the way down to 8, which would just put it just out of range.
Actually. Yeah. So the math didn't quite line up perfectly for Isaiah to make the double Devo next turn.
Bisa.
We're just going to be announcing the attack here. Miracle Force back into this Jellicent TX. It has the chunky 270 hit points, so it is holding on right now. And Riley content with the double Adrenabrain position.
Tapi dia lempar lagi, bentar, dia lempar lagi.
Potential for 3 Adrenabrain here.
Gardenya kan bisa hilang semua. Terus dia jadi 160 kenanya.
If it goes down, it would put Riley just to 1 prize card remaining. He should be able to find an easy route to close the game there, even via Screamtail. So things are getting tough for Isaiah now. That 10 damage off a phenomenal line of play.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's the challenge with the TM devolution is finding that damage at the right point throughout the game, and it's just not been possible for Isaiah because missed out on a few early attachments, and that could have been the difference maker, just having another Monkey Dory ability to use. And when you're facing off against another player who's got 2 Monkey Dory, anything you put in play is likely to come straight back at you.
Yeah.
And maybe even just looking at Riley's board, that 1 damage he opted not to move across earlier could have been the difference maker. So some great high-level plays, but also recognition to Isaiah.
Jonas
spotting out these unusual lines that are incredibly tough to navigate. I think we can now look back at that Riley turn with the TM evolution and really appreciate how key that was to setting up a stable board with double God of War.
It's a nice find from Isaiah, grabbing an earthen vessel, so we'll be able to manually attack.
Gotta win, let's go. 20 menit pada win, cok.
plays 3 Monkey Dory in this build.
Di Indo tidak begini.
Need some space for the Jellicent line. It means he can start throwing damage counters around at will. Does he have access to any counter catcher here? I still feel like targeting Monkey Dories is okay for a turn. He can continue to set up damage whilst taking out a Monkey Dory. It limits Riley's options. Riley on a quad monkey build, but of course there's still, I think, at least 1 in the prize cards. There is still 1 in the prizes.
Well, there's also 2 dark in the discard of Night Stretcher, I believe. So this could be a great opportunity to remove the Monkey Dory. But as you mentioned, is there enough time? Riley just looking to navigate through 2 more knockouts, most likely. 3 prize cards remaining, but a Jellicent EX or a Gardevoir knockout would be a great position. There is even that TM devolution for Riley to think about. To remove the Gardevoir EX from play. That would make it really hard for the Monkey Dories on Isaiah's side to be useful. And you can just see the complexity of this matchup now.
Ya lo kalau Flutterman KO bisa terbukti lagi si Riley-nya.
Navigate the board. You have a lot more of these slower turns where you're focusing on spreading the damage while slowing down the opponent.
It's clear that the devolution is still in Isaiah's mind. Targeting all 9 damage counters onto this Gardevoir EX via the Monkey Dory. But does this active Jellicent just have to punch into Gardevoir here? You can see a 4th energy commitment. That does open up Power Press to deal 160 damage.
Dia nggak mau KO langsung ya.
Still great setup here. And that is going to be it. We're just going to be piling on damage into this Gardevoir EX here.
Wow, and you can see the turns following will be so key for Isaiah. Does have the ability to use devolution even if the Jellicent gets knocked out. And if you're the player with the Gardevoir EX in play and your opponent has none available, you'll be able to continually swing for future turns, potentially even locking out Ralts as they get benched. So very much playing from behind, Isaiah recognizing there is a line with the Jellicent. And this is something he does so well. You see it frequently in these high pressure matches, navigating unusual routes to victory, coming from behind, and now Riley has to really start thinking about that damage that is threatening the Gardevoirs with the devolution.
Riley's trying to tot up some math here to see what to retreat into. A lot of the options in his hand are not live. Still, the Oceanic Curse is denying his routes. Riley going to have to settle for 3 fresh cards from Iono here, whilst also disrupting Isaiah. The Psych Energy found is actually a pretty decent draw, because he is lacking some energy. There's only 1 in the discard pile, I believe, Psychic-wise right now. So he has granted himself access to attack with something else here. It's going to be the Fluttermane receiving a Psychic for the turn attachment. Then we're pivoting out of our Gardevoir EX.
Yeah, Fluttermane bisa kill.
It would be enough to KO the Jellicent EX, of course, before even thinking about your Adrenaline
40, duar. Mungkin
it also
lepar.
sets up a different attacker that can at least put pressure on the opponent, even if there were to be a devolution strategy employed by Isaiah next turn. It's not a super threatening attacker. It's not something like a Screamtail that your opponent's almost forced to respect. But it is still creeping you closer to winning the game.
Itu Indo menang 20 main BO3 betul, semuanya BO3 kok. Makanya gue juga kaget.
You can just see the damage being moved onto the active
Apakah
Jellicent, not to try and
ngebreak
get it closer
gitu.
to being knocked out, but just to try and remove the damage from play and not leave it on the board for Isaiah, and just sprinkling 1 across 2 Pokemon, making it as hard as possible for that Monkey Dory to move the damage back over onto that Gardevoir EX, which was healed earlier.
Sisa 1 prize tuh gue lihat.
For Riley, 6 for Isaiah. If he manages to pull this off, it will be one of the greatest comebacks of this event, and we're only in round 2. I can almost guarantee you that, as we see the devolution is in hand. What's the plan?
Devolution in hand, dia bisa ngebuang 2 Garde. Garde satunya udah bisa kena, satunya bisa KO. Tapi satunya enggak. Bisa lempar sih, nggak bisa lempar habis 90. Ini cuma bisa lempar 4 doang maksimal.
It's going to be the Arven choice here as a supporter.
Well, he has the advantage that Riley kind of Iono'd himself last turn and only got 3 cards. Does have the Mew EX in play, so the difference between an Iono and the Mew EX draw from a current Iono would be much the same. But it really is going to be getting rid of those options, and that Fluttermane will remain in play, but not a huge amount of damage output for it, but enough to potentially knock out a Monkey Dory. So Riley really Gonna have to find a way around it. And with the Gardevoir EX being in the active spot doing the devolution, this is going to be a fascinating turn to watch.
Oh, nice. Lemparnya berarti
Super Rod out from the Arven here as his supporter.
dia bisa kayak Flutterman sih sebenarnya.
After the fact of a
dia bisa ambil 2 prize jadinya.
Gardevoir are damaged enough to be put in range after a couple of Drenabrains here. And he only has to dodge Hex Hurl, 2 damage on the benched Monkey Dory in addition to, well, it would be Monkey Dory plus 3rd Dark Energy that you'd have to be dodging next turn. Or a Screamtail. Well, yeah, Screamtail can't come out when there's both Gardevoir EX being taken off the board.
Flutterman itu 9.
They are only vulnerable to the 2 damage counters of Hex Hurl to close the game on a Monkey Dory.
Nah, sampai jam berapa ini? Pengennya sih 900 semua ya. Cuman nggak tahu kalau tiba-tiba subuh ngantuk habis subuhan tidur ya. Mungkin aja. Lihatnya sekuat-kuatnya dah. Gue pengen nonton, gue pengen lihat pemain Indo menang dengan
3 damage moved across twice onto that Gardevoir. You see the last bit of damage moved across. Doesn't want to leave anything in play for Riley. He's going to be using a TM devolution, and now Riley has no way to power up any attackers as Curliers both get knocked out. 2 prize cards to Isaiah and a hill to climb to finish off this 6 prize comeback.
And it looks like the prize is
gila
still
gimana ya nggak ada
so
Garde ya.
but you have to bear in
Sticker
mind
boxnya
that
dapet.
Isaiah can undo a bunch of the damage that Riley tries to come up with next turn. All of it can be flung straight back with the 3 Adrenabrain that Isaiah's built towards. It's really down for Riley to try and develop double rolls again and see if that can get him any closer.
Double rolls, yeah.
Isaiah with, you know, with the access to Frillish on the next turn, he could be denying Rare Candy for the remainder of the game. It really could be Riley stuck with Fluttermane to attack with and just these Monkey Dory abilities. And Isaiah may be safe enough. It feels like Riley has to try and target down just one thing as much as he can. But even then, the damage is going to be wiped over and over again here.
We've alluded to Counter Catcher being the only Gust option in Gardevoir. Now Riley's on 1 prize card remaining, will never be able to use a Counter Catcher. Meanwhile, Isaiah has full access to that for the rest of the game. And so that will mean anything put in play is almost locked
ya harusnya paling benar Kail karena dia butuh balikin routes-nya. Tadi ada 3 di trash harusnya. Di Devo.
As we see the TM devolution on Riley's side, a card we'll see in many of these Gardevoir lists throughout the weekend. But on this occasion, how are you going to get that Gardevoir in range of a TM devolution on any turn? It might be the best way to win this, but you're going to have to relentlessly produce damage on that active Gardevoir to even think about doing it.
And just grabbing 1 roll seems relatively futile. You know that Isaiah could still sculpt a way to just target this down with the Monkey Dory as well. Got to kind of have them in pairs to make.
Mereka main second game 15 menit nanti nggak berbuat banget ya. Tapi itu menurut gua gol dari lu main back deck yang emang lumayan lama mainnya di BO3. Lu incer 1 game win, habis itu game 2-nya mau nggak mau yang mau cari win harus, yang mau cari draw harus main cepet. Jadi perbedaannya cukup drastis cara mainnya jadinya. Ini jeleknya mirror sih, karena sama-sama ya udah jadinya gue bisa play lebih lama. Kalau gue win, gue bisa santai. Lawan gue yang buru-buru.
It's just the Monkey Dories. It's no Hex Hurl.
Just a pass.
Yeah, you want Isaiah to be forced to generate his own damage here.
Dia cuma lempar. Bisa lempar lagi masalahnya.
Bentar. Psychic embrace this turn, and that will create an interesting scenario. The Counter Catcher we mentioned has been used to bring up a Monkey Dory, taking away that Adrenabrain. There was an energy in the discard pile there attached, thanks to the Monkey Dory now being in the active spot. More damage added on, and you can just see Isaiah trying to close out this game now, and it's going to be a movement of that energy, that damage across with the Monkey Dories that can finish off the routes that just got put in play too.
Here comes Secret Box as well, the A-Spec found from Isaiah's first couple prize cards, and it's actually, I think that's a concession from Riley.
Belum menang dong. Justru udah win 1-0.
A big TM devolution play has brought him the win, but
kalau nggak ada waktu gimana dah? Lihat kan BO3, kita lihat dulu si yang lagi skornya lagi berapa. Kalau yang 1-0 ketika udah time yang menang 1-0. Kecuali dikasih 0-1 2-3 dulu. Terus habis itu kalau memang si yang lagi kalah nggak bisa comeback, nggak bisa menang, itu jadi draw. Tapi kalau kalau nggak bisa comeback ya udah menang sih yang 1-0. Tapi kalau bisa comeback di 0-1 2-3 berarti draw. Itu aja. Gila, nama banget cuk Mirror Garde ini. Mari kita sambil lihat bagaimana teman-teman kita, para tim, para manusia-manusia Indonesia yang akan merayakan hari kemerdekaan di sana. Daniel masih belum kelar. Jonas sudah win. Dan Jonas sudah taruh ya. Jonas sudah taruh. Febri masih main. Darwin sudah win. Terry sudah win. Itu dia Terry.
Ready to finish the game. An incredible performance there, and one I'm sure many of you didn't expect
cepet
to
amat tuh shuffle gue lihat.
Those early turns. And that is the beauty of Gardevoir. It has always been a deck that can come back from pretty much anywhere, having so many options, whether it's high damage output, disruption, or attacking things on the bench. It tends to find a way.
Atar masih main, Calvin juga masih main.
That we see it build to that moment, and a great first turn for Isaiah. A Dark Energy and a Monkey Dory and a Routes in play.
Yeah, simple but
gila,
effective turn.
taruh Dark Energy, bisa buang satu energi psikis, dapat 2 energi lagi ke tangan, gak make sense.
Trademark secret box A spec is found in addition to one of the TM evolution. There was also the other in hand anyway. That's already the
udah langsung pas, makanya si Riley juga udah langsung play.
This is exactly what you want to see as Riley. A game down, only 16 minutes remain on the clock here, but at least he's getting into the second game with a really solid opener.
And I think this is the key early on, is the Dark Energy, finding that as early as possible. It's a great attacker for your TM evolution too. Having a Monkey Door in the active.
Ini pada bawa deck apa ya? Tahu nggak? Gua cuma tahu Febri main Pult Noir. Calvin harusnya Raging Ball. Atar jujur gua nggak tahu. Sisanya gua nggak tahu. Karena yang mereka sebenarnya masih bisa waktu check-in masih bisa ganti deck kan. Dan gua nggak nanya lebih banyak sih. Febri sih mainnya Pult Noir. Dia ada pilihan antara Grims atau Pult Noir dan dia memutuskan untuk Pult Noir. Calvin terakhir ngomong Raging Ball maunya.
Double Curlier established, holding on to Professor's research for next turn. Oh, it's one Curlier being found here. The other must be in the hand then, because it's not in the prize cards right now. It's the new
harusnya di tangan.
In the prizes. That means the other stage one must be in the
tiba-tiba ada giliran saya lagi, ini udah harus cepet-cepetan aja.
I mean, it can't really get much better than that going second. A Dark Energy and a Monkey Dory, a Curlier in play with the TM evolution. You've got the Gardevoir in hand.
And Curlier. It would only make sense, to be honest.
That hand looks great for next turn too, so we'll see how Isaiah can stabilize it. I think now we're looking at these boards and thinking, well, at any moment Isaiah can find himself ahead in the game, even though he's behind on the prize card race, because this is a very powerful way to dismantle the board. TM devolution, the enemy of stage 2 decks. So much so we saw some decks playing Mist Energy purely to deny
dapat
TM
TMFO-nya.
devolution.
Nice.
On this occasion,
dapat TMFO loh dia.
Doesn't really fit in the Gardevoir so well.
Dia bisa langsung berubah itu.
It will mean players have to get double Gardevoir set up as much as possible to try and avoid that scenario we saw last game where Riley had no way to get energy in play.
Isaiah has a pretty good hand after the INO. He's able to quickly artisan before anything else as well, so can get an additional basic down.
Ya dia harusnya mau Guardian Jellison harusnya. Atau Jellison enggak, dia benar gak ada Jellison. Dia bisa juga ada option untuk Kirlia Jellison. Kirlia kedua Jellison, dia mukulnya taruh Routes, tapi kayaknya membetternya dia mungkin Dory kedua.
Team Evolution, typically you only need to evolve
Langsung, Cok.
one
Cepet,
route
cepet,
sub.
cepet,
Sometimes
cepet,
you'll get 2 if you've got the access to both the Curlier. But having
Dikejar
that kind
waktu
of
buat
extra
tenang.
evolution available to you, it really allows that Jellicent to get into play consistently, where it's only a one-of in the deck and it's hard to find.
Yeah, it's still reliable just by virtue of this tool card. Riley continuing to throw away a ton of energy and exactly what you want to see. Instantly artisaning out a Monkey Dory as well. He's playing fast. He knows the assignment. With only 13 minutes remaining on the clock, he has to make these decisions quickly and start trying to take as many prize cards as possible. He doesn't have the luxury to think too much about these decisions. He just has to make any decision quickly here, because he has to start churning through prizes if he wants to get anything done.
Draw. Devonya
For
dibuang.
players in these high-pressure matches, how must they feel when they're so close to victory, one prize card away, and have to watch their opponent dismantle their board, prize by prize, like we saw with Isaiah? It must hit you hard when that moment happens.
And that's part of the mental fortitude of players like this who have got to the World Championships. Riley getting to a finals of an internationals means you have to have incredible mental fortitude to overcome bad fortune at different times, and also just bad beats in other moments. There is going to be 3 energy flung onto the Fluttermane now.
Sejujurnya ya.
It's going to be, well, we're targeting down the benched Monkey Dory with one of our Adrenabrain. Are we going to be taking out the active as well with these final 3 damage counters?
Just going down to the one there, wanting to keep damage available and not wanting to take a knockout, interestingly.
We're seeing just how much damage being removed from the Fluttermane.
Ya, salah ngomong nih.
Yeah, they're just making sure.
Yeah, just confirming how much they were healing. So we were putting 2 counters onto the active Monkey Dory, putting it down to the 90 for a Hex Hurl knockout. And Riley's done exactly what we've mentioned. He has to start taking these prize cards.
And it's so important when you start trying to play faster to get those games in, making sure you do things properly and don't misplay with the damage movement, the energy attachments, and all these kinds of things. So Riley's going to have a real challenge here in what can be quite a slow matchup. We saw it last game. It can really slow down, especially with Jellicent, and it can really affect the ability of your deck to perform in those speedy games. As the Earthen Vessel comes through for Isaiah, and we'll be looking to get the energy in the discard pile as well as those darkness energy attached to the Monkey Dory and start moving damage across.
Can't forget that Monkey Dory upkeep every single turn. You can get a darkness energy attached to it. Your board is only ever getting stronger, especially when Riley set up 5 damage counters onto this Monkey Dory. It forces you to Adrenabrain off the Monkey Dory rather than any of your other psychic Pokemon. You really don't want that to get knocked out for free by a couple of Adrenabrain next turn from Riley.
I'm going to be getting that Arven in play. A key card came out in Obsidian Flames, and early on was very powerful thanks to some of the tools in the Sword and Shield era, like Forest Sealstone, but has increasingly got more powerful in recent times thanks to TM Evolution being such a key part of every engine.
Yeah, TM Evolution
ya, Evo-nya udah nggak butuh. Buang energi pasti, Raltsnya dibuang. Why?
This means you still have great access to these Stage 2 Pokemon that are too good to not play in a number of these decks. The Secret Box here discarding another Psych Energy, also grabbing Isaiah, the Bravery Charm, Night Stretcher, Iono, and we'll just grab another Artisan out the deck for free as he does it with no real plans around it. It's already in play and it's going to stay in play all game, but you never want to draw back into this card, so you may as well fling it to the bottom with an Iono here.
Yeah, the Secret Box, an A-spec that was underrated at first and has only become increasingly more popular, especially in these evolving decks, as it allows you to get those stadiums like Artisan to get more basics out, but it also allows you to discard, and so key in this deck, to discard those psychic energies. And with a bit of contingency with things like 2 TM Evolutions, you often don't feel too bad taking a Secret Box and a TM Evolution with the Arven, as it just gets you everything you need for the turn and sets you up for a board state of confidence going into the next, and that is exactly what's happening here. Sends out some bad cards, sends out some good cards, and gives you the ultimate turn going forward.
Bravery Charm onto Monkey Dory means that you can actually fling more damage off this board. It means that the Power Press is already knocking out the Fluttermane, but essentially you're just evaporating more damage from this Jellicent EX, trying to allow it to stick on this board this little bit more reliably here. And Isaiah's going to level up the prize race here in this game number 2. Clock whittling down as well. It's all looking very promising for Isaiah here. Riley, though, does have access to another Dark Energy Monkey Dory. That's immediately slammed into play. Also going to have a quick scout of his own discard pile here that Isaiah was checking out. It's going to be the Psychic Embrace attach retreat. Generate some damage counters for him to play with. Gets his Guard of War EX in the mix. Just like that game number 1, Riley's now been able to establish double Guard of War EX, even though he's under item and tool lock. Pretty impressive stuff.
Different this time though.
There's
3 Monkey Dory in play, which was significantly a factor for Isaiah having 3 himself, able to push more damage back and create a winning state. So Riley recognizing that and using it to his advantage on this occasion.
Lebih ke aku nggak tahu sih.
Pushing the Jellicent EX into knockout range with the Miracle Force, whilst also healing up your own attacker, Isaiah, who tried to utilize the item lock so effectively to set up a TM devolution play on the previous game, may not have that option. And Riley is creeping closer to getting into a safe range of prizes as we get into the turns of time as well here.
And you can see Riley really trying to force the victory quickly. Last time we thought the same thing, and he got down to 1 prize card remaining, and Isaiah was able to come back. But I think the stability of Riley's board this time much safer.
Ya ini Isaiah nggak ada mungkin lain sih, jadi dia masih bisa, si Riley masih merasa aman. Tapi itu hilang, kelempar 240, dilempar lagi bisa 90. Atau juga sih.
Feels like it could be really valuable, but always keeping that bench spot open. If he wants to get Screamtail in the mix, he can. Isaiah here using Night Stretcher to re-establish a Jellicent EX on the bench, and will once again try and disrupt Riley down. Isaiah has been capable and confident sitting with more prize cards remaining than his opponents throughout this entire set. Part of the reason why is trying to throw your opponent down to these low hand sizes, with God of War EX being relatively engineless.
What interesting scenario here is with those 3 Monkey Dory, a God of War is able to knock out the Jellicent because of the 9 damage that can be moved across with the Monkey Dory and the 190 of the God of War. You've actually got 10 spare damage in there to be able to knock out a Jellicent, where typically 270 HP without those Monkey Dories would be tanky enough to survive a few hits.
Waktu itu bawa 4 Monkey sih lucu sih.
Asking a lot of questions of Isaiah, maybe having to use that God of War EX to
attack at some point.
Lucu sih. Getting down to 1 prize card will only
Hai Alex, Christian Force Maju kenapa bang? Dia pesawat connectingnya ke cancel karena kena badai, jadi dia nggak bisa sampai tepat waktu, jadi nggak sempet check in karena check innya untuk player itu H-1, jadi hari sebelum day ini di mereka udah check in dan si Tian gagal untuk check in di situ.
Pitching yet another psychic energy in addition to a professor's research.
Cukup sedih, tapi namanya musibah. Mau bagaimana ya?
Wants to get it out the hand, might even ultra ball again in the future. But that 4 energy, this is one of the huge advantages of
Jellicent. Di sekitar 5 menit, sumpah ini game 2. Aku udah kasih Garde on Garde sih. Ngantuk gua.
Part of your game plan as God of War, and on this occasion the Monkey Dory will be looking to move damage across. Where's it coming from? Where's it going?
So many options that Isaiah has to consider. The Power Press dealing 160 now with 4 energy attached to the Jellicent EX. Having a couple of Adrenabrain, sending 3 on the benched God of War EX as well as 3 onto the active. Pushing the God of War itself down. Was it just 2 off of?
Dia nggak mau 4 monkey kan? Kalau sampai 4 monkey. Oh yeah, the Screamtail.
Screamtail's coming out for Riley. Looks like he wants to try and target down a Monkey Dory if he can.
Well, we're seeing a similar scenario to before. The God of War is being damaged heavily, but on this occasion, the difference is that board state. The Monkey Dory is available, and that bench space you alluded to has now been occupied by Screamtail. Will be coming in to try and take out one of those Monkey Dories, take away those options, and also leave you with 2 prize cards remaining, so that active Jellicent can be the target of your final knockout. So the Screamtail plus some damage from a Monkey Dory maneuver.
Mereka kasih Mirror Guard.
Riley down to 2 prize cards.
Mirror Guard tadi jelek lagi gara-gara price. Mirror Guard itu sebenarnya bukan bosen sih, lama move-nya. Gua nggak bilang mereka move-nya lama, tapi step-nya tuh banyak banget. Jadi gua nggak bisa ngelihat full 2 game atau 3 game gitu. Ini tuh bener-bener kayak satu game kelar.
Isaiah only had one card in the hand, so he didn't have to shuffle from the Iono. We'll get 5 fresh cards here. Riley just down to 2. He's still closing in.
Susah diangkat tuh.
Position. Jellison EX is already item locking as
capek
well.
Nontonnya bener, capek nontonnya. Makasih infonya teh. Sama-sama Alex, hope you like.
There is one in the hand.
And the team devolution for the future.
Devo nggak ngaruh.
How must he be feeling right now? Because he must be looking
Devo
at
nggak
the board
ngaruh,
from last game and
pusing
thinking,
sih.
oh, I've won this. And now he's looking at a board where he's thinking, I've won this? Have I got it this time?
Ya kalau
And Isaiah is trying to find a route through. And it's just so much more challenging.
Yeah, I know. This is a much more difficult board. We were waxing lyrical about how strong it was last time from Riley, but now there's no liability anywhere.
Ini harusnya udah cukup game.
It's going to be the counter catcher into God of War EX. I believe there's only 1 psych energy in the discard pile, so Isaiah is hoping that the time he can buy from the oh my goodness, look at the Iono, it got him psych energy Professor's research. That's the best thing Riley can do.
Bener juga di Iono, di Mystica dapat psikis, dapat prof. Wow.
Very much in Riley's hand, and that will be settling the nervous feeling he would have been having before, as that is the card solution, the 2-card solution of a psychic energy and a way to discard it. And he shows the psychic energy, and that is going to be the handshake. 2 minutes remain in this round. Not enough to conclude a game, so I think this will likely be a tie between our NAIC finalists.
Oh, mereka sepakat tie, oke? Nggak mau tuh maksain game 3 main 2 menit. Gak mungkin sih.
Fantastic scenes there from Riley. The Monkey Dory is still putting in the work. It's something we said before the game.
Itu game changing banget.
The Adrenaline Brain just gives you so much control over the
Restreamnya
board.
galak
In this
banget,
instance, there were no liabilities for Riley.
Restreamnya galak banget di liriknya begitu.
That gave him the space to use.
Oh enggak, mereka lanjut main. Gue kira tie. Mereka lanjut main loh.
With that much Monkey Dory, it's hard for Isaiah to stop him.
And with a
2 minutes left.
Final game potentially happening here, both players wanting the win, but the valiant battle, including in a single victory for Isaiah, a single victory for Riley. There is 2 minutes remaining for a game 3, so there is potential. I think both players are shuffling up right now while we're looking through these highlights. And you can see how much better it
ini
went
justru
for Riley
dicoba.
this time. The 3 monkey
Ternyata
Dory was the key.
gua kira mereka akan tie karena salaman kan. Karena salaman gua kira mereka tie. Ternyata kayaknya mereka lanjut nih main. Tapi sisa semenit. Setup aja udah habis.
Cepet.
See the fist bump. Isaiah going first here and is already sculpting some discards, so it's either an Ultra Ball or a Secret Box, you would imagine. Getting into game number 3 here. It is going to be an Ultra Ball, discarding a Professor's Research in addition to Super
lagi
Rod.
depan
No time for that.
Riley.
Let's try and develop a Rolts and try and get a Rare Candy Gardevoir. I feel like that's one of the only ways you can try and close this game. Turn attachment to Frillish in the pass. Action over to Riley. Does have access to a Monkey Dory, Neji to Fluttermane. It's going to be a fresh 6 from Iono here. So at least a couple basic Pokemon down. You can develop a few more. It's looking like we're edging towards a tie here.
Yeah, I think if either player is able to bench multiple Pokemon at this stage, it would just be too much to ask. As when the game reaches time, you can see down there ticking away.
Itu nggak ada Budeo harusnya ya.
At that moment, the player whose turn it is will finish, and there will be 3 turns following it to see if either player can conclude
Ya
a victory.
ampun, nggak ada itunya. Ada Evo.
Final
energi kan
tournament with this
udah.
will be the rules. It will be changing in the future, but an opportunity for these players to squeak out a final game potentially, as they both sort of show that they have the ability to get more Pokemon out. Will that mean they agree that this is going to be a tie? I think at this point it likely is.
Oh, udah mulai discuss, udah mulai
And there we
discuss.
go. Our 2 players on our round 2 feature match tying with Gardevoir. A valiant comeback from Isaiah in game 1,
Sama-sama bisa
followed
jadi
by a
Gardi soalnya.
stabilization from Riley, leading to a tie.
Really intricate gameplay there from 2
Lama
different
sih
builds of
mainnya.
Gardevoir. Isaiah bringing the new era of Jellicent and Frillish, whereas Riley sticking with the quad Monkey Dory, quad Darkness Energy.
Kenapa harus Biron Garde? Dan kenapa dia harus masuk stream? Why? Lelah gue lihat. Ever game 2, Ever round 2.
Riley with great acknowledgement, even though he lost the game number 1, taking a turn to TM Evolution up to multiple stage 2s, still trying to establish as many Monkey Dory as possible to play around a devolution. Both players were having that cat and mouse throughout the entire set.
And how much is this Jellicent EX being an unknown factor, something that people haven't tested much against, haven't understood how the matchup can go, and even that devolution, something that's kind of been added in for this event. I think it's fair to say that Riley wasn't aware of how best to play it in that first game, and maybe even just starting the Flutter main was the factor that led to a clogged up board, or having to put the Mew EX in play, and consequently those Monkey Dories were not able to pile onto the battlefield in droves.
Looking back at this round 2 then, here's how it played out. Riley came out the gate swinging with early access to Gardevoir EX. It took a while for Isaiah to get access to enough psychic energy to even start launching meaningful attacks. But what he was doing was setting up damage over multiple Gardevoir, over multiple turns, and this was the devastating flip, where it was a devolution, and Riley could see that with 3 Monkey Dory on the bench, Isaiah was going to undo any damage that Riley put on the board at that point.
And you're not mistaken. Riley had 1 prize card left, Isaiah had 4, and Riley chose to concede, and that's just thanks to Isaiah dismantling the board after taking those Gardevoir out, and Riley recognizing there was no route to victory. And in game 2, Riley didn't have to put the Mew EX in play, the Flutter main was not down, and so 2 Gardevoir and 3 Monkey Dory were able to continually attack and take Riley to the victory, as Isaiah used the Jellicent multiple times, but unable to close out the victory with a devolution play. Very well played. And game 3, well, do we call it a game?
Not really a game, unfortunately. Both players recognizing that getting enough basic Pokemon down was the way to not lose within those final turns of time, especially when there's going to be the Oceanic Gloom slowing down any rare candy shenanigans from Gardevoir or anything like that. So it felt like both players knew at that point, when the time's called, that's the game for these decks. And that's one of the risks of taking Gardevoir. We know it's a powerful contender, but we know that it takes a while to get into these games. It's quite happy sitting back, setting up damage, as we saw in both of these sets. That Gardevoir has to try and churn through 2-0 victories or very low 1-0 victories to win best of 3 sets. So it's inevitable that every now and then you will take a tie. You kind of have to expect that with Gardevoir.
Yeah, I think we can safely say it's the most powerful deck in the format when it's set up. And I think when we saw it in those games, you could see the power of it, the ability to come back, the devolution now as an option available, and in the case of Isaiah, the Jellicent EX, a very powerful denier of items and tools, whilst also spreading
Calvin win, nice, Calvin
so a
win.
fantastic showcase of Gardevoir, but unfortunately a tie for both players. And it's important to note, they really wanted to get that victory because a win here is so important.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Accumulating those match wins is vital. For the World Championships, there's very little margin for error, and you know that the rounds don't get any easier. As your day goes on, you're going to face another phenomenal competitor. I mean, hitting off a NIC finals in round 2 is absurd. That's pushing it a little bit, but every opponent you face is going to be very skilled with their deck and come with some tricks up their sleeves as well. The devolution's an interesting twist that's been picked up on more and more, not just only for the Jellicent EX builds, but that's been taken on from a number of players, even in straight builds of Gardevoir. Just an acceptance that there is going to be mirror matches, there's going to be Dragapult, there's going to be Grimmsnarl as well, which can be a really tricky matchup without the devolution. So it feels like players are adapting, and there's been a strange cycle of Gardevoir where we've gone firstly just 1 Monkey Dory, then up to 2 or 3, then to 4 at times, even with Turbo Energize, and it feels like there's going to be a bit of a mix-up this weekend with the builds that players are bringing in.
3 poin, Darwin 4 poin sama Jonas, sama Daniel 4 poin, Febri 1 poin, Albert Chu 2 lose sadly. Tapi nggak apa-apa, karena gamenya benar-benar buka 50 menit. Aduh, masih waiting time masih 5 menit aja. Masih lumayan ya, masih karena masih round 2, masih lumayan. Maksimal X-nya 3 kok untuk masuk day 2, jadi harusnya masih aman.
So I first started playing with Pokemon cards around when I was maybe 10 years old, but I didn't actually know the rules of the game until my dad kind of forced me to learn. I played in the junior division, the seniors division, but I wasn't super great until the COVID era. I played a lot online. My favorite first partner Pokemon is Cyndaquil. It was actually given to me in one of the mystery dungeon games. And it kind of stuck with me since then.
Lumayan
it's my favorite. One thing that I've learned about myself through playing the game is that I have a good ability to handle pressure. I thought I would get nervous in big moments that have a lot on the line, but I've actually found that when the stakes are higher, I think I play even better. There was a point in the 2024 season, I kind of took a few months off of going to events, but I played some of the new format with a deck Dialga V-Star that most people had kind of written off. I had a lot of fun playing it on ladder, and then I brought it to the Indianapolis Regionals.
Dialga V-Star and Andrew Hedrick.
Mungkin Dialga V-Star, Cuk.
I brought the Dragon Bolt EX Dusknoir deck to this tournament. This was a deck that one of my friends, Justin Templar, had been playing for a little bit longer than me, and he worked on the list a lot. And then I started playing it as well and brought it to the European International Championships. So I actually booked my flight to Vancouver after that tournament because the deck felt so good. I would say the person that's helped me get better and succeed the most is Caleb Rogerson. This tournament I got to play against him in top 4, and we both knew each other's list inside and out, and I was able to win a close 3-game set against him, but it was really fun. In the finals, I was able to kind of play my deck how I wanted to, especially game 3 I opened super good.
Player ke Worlds tetap pakai jersey kuning. Pasti, mereka pasti akan tetap pakai jersey. Ya kayak tadi yang sempet gue bilang, kayak ya pasti mereka punya kewajiban untuk pakai jersey tersebut. Cuma nggak tahu nih masuk stream, apakah harus ditutupin apa enggak? Karena kalau gue jadi Onyx, gue cukup sebel sih. Tahun lalu sih di Unite harusnya mereka mesti pakai jersey ya biasa aja ya. Tapi itu Unite, nggak tahu TCG boleh apa enggak.
We have played each other 2 times, and we both won one of the matches. So getting a third match, trying to break the tie would be really
harusnya sih enggak ya. Gue nggak merasa brand atau IP yang Onyx punya di jersey-nya nggak boleh masuk stream di TCG menurut gue. Karena di Unite juga aman. Tahu apa sih Onyx tuh? Gue lupa lagi sponsor Onyx sekarang. Harusnya ada makanan. Gue lupa mangkokku atau apa. Tapi kayaknya nggak ada yang bersing, maksudnya nggak ada IP lain yang bertentangan dengan Poke atau kayak brand yang
I'm from France and my name is Thomas. This one means a lot.
Iya, nggak ada dia harusnya. Evos juga harusnya nggak ada.
Into international because until now there is 0 French player qualified for Worlds.
Tapi GoPay bukan brand yang bertentangan sih. Tuh TPCI nggak masalah dengan brand bank harusnya. GoPay lebih ke payment sih. Dragon Shield boleh seinget gua. Seinget gua ya, karena waktu itu pernah ada, gua lihat ada yang pakai baju sponsor Dragon Shield.
Articulate what this win means to me. Since I've gotten second so many times, I've never really felt the win, and all of a sudden I finally have won after a lot of years playing Pokemon. It's surreal. I never really doubted my strategy this weekend. I just expected things to happen that happened, and it worked out for me. Winning Worlds would be incredible. I spent a lot of time playing Pokemon, and for that to pay off at a World Championship would be amazing.
My name is Paul Chua, and I'm from the United States. Winning EUIC feels pretty good. It means a lot. I haven't been able to win an international ever. Like the last time I ever made finals was in 2017, and I got second. So being able to finally get past second place feels pretty good. Winning Worlds would mean a lot. I'd be really happy. It's a dream I've been having since I ever started playing VGC. So if I ever became world champion, that would mean the world to me.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the 2025 Pokemon World Championships here in beautiful Anaheim, California. I am Kyle Fukusukovic, and we have a little time between the rounds as we get paired up for Swiss round number 3. We can do a quick update from out here on the floor. Lots of excellent players in this tournament, of course. Some off to good starts. Tord Reklev, who we saw in round 1, did win round 2 as well and is off to a 2-0 start. We have Yoshiyuki Yamaguchi from Japan, also at a 2-0 start, and Henry Chow, one of our biggest winners of this season,
Henry Chow
starting off 2-0 as well. Last year's world champion Fernando Cifuentes off to a 1-1 start.
Belum 5 menit itu adalah jeda dari match terakhir ke ngomong-ngomong gini, makanya hitungannya 1 jam 15 menit baru mulai per round.
Keep your eye out for those crustal decks There are a couple at 2-0 so far. We're going to be keeping an eye on those as we go throughout the tournament. We do have Shelby and Kyle standing by. They're going to be our casters for the next match. How you two doing?
I'll tell you what, Kyle, we're definitely some Crustal fans here, huh, Kyle? Oh, we're doing great. We're ready to get into some matches. How is it out on the floor out there? I mean, that stage looks incredible.
I mean, it's buzzing out here. There's so many people. Everybody's excited. It's the first day of the World Championships. What more could you ask for?
I totally agree. I mean, we've already been through some crazy matches. It was like looking in a mirror at our former season here. As we come to this end at the World Championships. It is so hyped. Thank you so much for keeping us updated there, Kyle. We're going to let you go watch some matches out there as we take things over here on the desk for round 3, so appreciate it. Welcome here to the desk, Shelby Boo with Kyle. Sable House. We're in Anaheim, California. The Alolan Executors, they're swaying. The sun, it's out. And our trainers are ready to battle for the glory, Kyle.
Oh yeah, we're finally here. It is the World Championships. It's gonna be round number 3 coming up, and it was pretty interesting to see our first 2 matches of the day. Some powerhouse names, and of course that rematch of the NAIC finals. Just what a spectacle to watch that. We've got some amazing players out here as well, but I'm sure we're all expecting that as it's the World Championships.
Only the best of the best here in the Pokemon TCG, all coming together at once to give us some great gameplay. But yeah, I mean, they've traveled far and wide, Kyle, from all over the globe. We get so many regions here. They've come by plane, they've come by train. One guy, even a Rapidash.
Jonas Lani saya. Like maybe they're a local.
Nope, rode in on that Rapidash.
Daniel lawan Gabriel Smart, Darwin lawan Raul Merino. Dari tadi pemain Indo tuh selalu sebelahan loh. Pemain Indo selalu sebelahan loh. Ada aja yang sebelahan. Daniel sama Darwin sekarang.
But what are you excited for this weekend, Kyle, to get into things here?
There's so many
Atar lawan
different decks to
Alberto
think about. The numbers are all over the place. We see the Golden Goes finally
Alvin
reigning
lawan
supreme.
Cincing
We thought that the
Hong
point
Kong.
bonus was going to take over, but
Yoso lawan Milos dari PL tuh negara apa ya tadi ya? Seri lawan Evan Pavelski nggak jauh dari Yoso mejanya.
Some including very heavy lines of the Dusknoir.
Febri lawan Chuto Ando bersama 1 poin. Alberto lawan Nicolas Forseniti dari Italia.
So there's a lot of interesting plays to look forward to, and I'm excited to get into that.
Yeah, I like this format. There's a lot of like counterplay. There's intricate decisions and tactical have all across these decks.
Nggak mungkin di stream karena
the best to watch when
saya
you're
bisa di
watching the best
stream
players
juga.
in the world too, because them making those tiny decisions and us getting to watch it. I mean, even just thinking about Riley McKay made history making some decisions in that match that we saw. So yeah, I mean, it's so cool to see, but you know, the players are really what make these stories happen, and we have a lot of notable matches out there in the field.
Jangan sampai gue googling ya, PL itu apa? Saya bukan Poland deh. Poland itu PO soalnya.
This is going to be our Swiss round 3.
Yeah, this is pretty great to see. Already moving through
Jian
in this tournament,
He.
some amazing
China
names
lawan
here.
Jepang.
Wow,
Wah,
really
dua-duanya pakai
standing out to
translator.
me.
Fix.
Daniel Magda
Fix
versus
pakai
Pablo
translator
Meza
dua-duanya.
and Aaron Curry versus Cameron Shinoy, Magnus Peterson and Grant Shed.
Taigo
Oh man,
masih
the list is just so
2-0.
great
Torf
here.
masih 2-0.
I know, incredible here. It
Udah mulai
does
lebih
not
internasional
stop. I
nih.
mean, wow, some of these names on here, that's, yeah, so surprising. And look at that. Over repping the Philippines there. Wancha
PL
Saldanas
is
on this list, Kyle. One
which
of our
country?
coworkers and co-casters as
Iya
well.
lagi PL
So
Poland.
cool.
He loves to bet on himself, and sure enough, he's got a chance to win the World Championship if he keeps on trucking. 2-0 so far, up against a Japanese player this time around. Yoshiyuki Yamaguchi is our featured match here this time. One of the 4 kings of Japan, and so great to see him competing at the highest level here this time around. This is going to be an absolute wild game.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, we've already seen so many awesome matches so far, but I think this one could truly raise the bar here at the World Championships. And it feels like that every single match. that we go into. We're only in round 3 here. Of course, it's great at these giant events. We get to start with round 1, go through all of these matches right alongside you. So you see the entire journey with us.
Ya,
But
Portugal.
we're jumping into round 3, and it doesn't stop with the heat here. And we're going to have some incredible players in our next match.
Apa
and some
yang
awesome
Portugal?
decks as well. So make
Portugal
sure
harus PR
keep
soalnya.
up with us in the stream chat. Let us know, what decks you're rooting for, which players you're rooting for, which, things that these players are doing that you're noticing on stream that's unique or that you want to call out, because, I'm sure a lot of our players watch back our streams too and see the love in the chat, and that is always awesome to see here on these streams. So many people supporting these players, and that's really the backbone of this.
Yeah, so much support for all of the different regions, all these players as well, and following your favorite decks too. We saw some mirror matches in our opening games. We will not have
mirror matches in opening game dari tadi
pick a side
mirror.
And see which
Belakang
one you
beda juga
actually
mirror
enjoy watching.
True, very true. We've got options now here. Swiss round 3 bringing options to the table in Anaheim. We're really excited for this. I mean, also just looking at the notable matchups too. Christian Labella there, somebody I have to shout out. I'm rooting for
Sumpah, gue pengen ngeliat Flareon. Flareonnya apakah 2-0 atau enggak?
Hailing from Canada, of course, and has just been performing so well
Terus
this
ini
season.
Jepang Cina, harusnya mereka mainnya kayak out of meta. Ini belum ketahuan decknya ya, masalahnya nggak dikasih tahu. Yang tahu tuh yang dikasih tahu cuman yang di stream. Kecuali kita emang benar-benar ada di tempat, harusnya kita susah taunya.
Yeah, Christian always gives himself a great opportunity as well. Puts a lot of work in on his deck lists, and we've seen time and time again he makes the right choices, and he puts himself in that top 16 contention at all the different regional events. Sure enough, now he's at 2-0 here, playing up against a Brazilian player this time. It's going to be pretty great for him to have a little more experience under his belt, playing on the world stage. Yes, he sees some of these players from other regions when he plays on the international level, but World Championships, you're going to see a lot more of that.
A lot more of that. That's the whole weekend here. We love to see our most talented players. They have put so much effort into this entire season, and it's all coming down to this. Of course, we go through several different formats in the Pokemon TCG throughout the season. New sets come out every 3 months, and we get brand new cards that sometimes have either great or little effect on our meta, but it's always exciting to see what our players choose to do with those cards, which decks begin to come back from being ghosts of the past as well, and also the ones that always just seem to reign supreme. One of your favorites, huh, Kyle?
You want to get into that here?
I mean, if you want. I'm never ready for it, but sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Gardevoir cannot go anywhere. It's continues to be one of the best decks in the format. We saw what it's capable of in round number 2, a 6-1 comeback now with the help of the Jellicent. Or you can just run this consistent approach that we've seen, but I think it all just speaks to the power of Monkidori. He's incredible.
Nggak bisa diklik terus gue liat tick apa gitu.
Then surely you have an opportunity in just
oh bener juga. Mereka harus deck check tiap round. Deck checknya banyak lagi. 721. Berarti minimal mereka deck check itu 70-60 deck per round. 50-60 deck per round. Gila ya.
How that has supported Dragapult and why
some people are still
playing that deck.
Yeah, it speaks to.
Tapi ada TPCI rules sih, TPC rules sih, TPCI rules kayak juga sama kayaknya buat deck check 10% tiap round. Atau juga ya.
Are you more worried about a mirror match, or are you more worried about taking down a Golden Go player that can potentially knock you out with one giant swing? So you sit down and you start to think about, okay, well, I can go very heavy on the Buddy Poffin and maybe lean on Hilda to help me out, or I can move over to Brock Scouting and make sure that I have this answer for when I am potentially item locked by either this or Jellicent or what have you. So really curious to see what the players decide to go with these lines, as there's a bunch of different options. I think the skeleton of the 45 is pretty standard, and then it can go anywhere from there.
Yeah, and that's what we love to see here, a little bit of innovation. You know, it doesn't have to be anything too drastic. Even just those small decisions that these players make worlds of difference here at the World Championships. Well, you know, we're so happy that you're watching this stream with us, that, you know, we're able to take you through these incredible matches, but we want to just reward you a little bit too. You can watch and earn things here from one of the breakout games, an incredible app that I definitely think you should get if you haven't already. TCG Pocket.
Lebih
Kyle,
ke
are you still opening digital packs
biasanya
there?
lebih ya samplingnya adalah mungkin nggak 10% ya, 10% itu cukup banyak soalnya. Mungkin 5% lah, 5% dari peserta. Karena kan kita juga pengen dari mungkin dari tim chat juga kita pengen lihat lah deck, bukan deck sorry, apakah memang semua berjalan dengan sebenar-benarnya, sejujur-jujurnya. Jadi mungkin samplingnya adalah 5-10%. Ya dihitung dari total player aja berarti kan sekitar 35-70 handek. Banyak sih. Tapi ya staffnya banyak sih, staffnya banyak banget. Embel aja kemarin deck check aja kita ada 8 orang.
But it has converted so many players over to the
segitu masih banyak yang
yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's some quick and easy games, but it doesn't mean that you don't have that opportunity to show off what you're capable of, maybe outsmart your opponent in a few instances. It's a lot of fun. And you gotta avoid some of those coin flips, all those things. There's some trickiness there. It's definitely got me to rage a few times, but it's also a lot of fun when it works your way.
Yeah,
and we've seen players, they've started to build on that. We've seen a lot of content coming from this, and it's even led to the World Championships here too, where we have side events where players are competing in great numbers to see who is the best over at Pocket Land.
Yeah, you love to see it. I mean, just broadening the horizons of this game is always a positive. I think so. But that's great to see. Of course, we're not just the only stream here. We're talking about Pocket, we're talking about TCG. We have other games going on here in Anaheim. Let's check out VG, Kyle. What's going over there with VG? They have some awesome things happening on their stream as well, which we're really excited to get into. They've got some of their own drops for you.
Okay.
Anjay, ada drop buat
you
VGC.
can find Lucas Sarabelli's World Champion winning Farigga Rap there to help out your team and take down some people in the video game. Always great to get some free Pokemon, especially some that are World Champion caliber. Sign me up.
And he's actually on stream apparently right now.
Oh, don't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
Turn on multiple screens.
Gue takutnya gue tinggalin ambil minum terus tiba-tiba mulai kan sebel.
Okay. And you can watch everybody at the same time, the full Pokemon experience here. But yeah, absolutely. Make sure you get all of these perks here from watching the World Championships. It's just a small thank you to you following along with us, and we appreciate it so much. Of course, you know, the best thing we could provide to you is Pokemon action, of course, and we're going to be getting in very soon to our Swiss Round 3 here. Day 1, Anaheim World Championships 2025. It does not get more exciting than that, Kyle, and I'm hyped to get into it.
Yeah, we have some unbelievable players lined up this time around. It's going to be excellent to watch what Yoshiyuki is capable of. Playing a deck that really does demand so much from you with the timing and setup and finding those windows to take advantage of an opponent that is working on their own setup over there. It's not a very linear approach. You have to make a lot of different decisions with both of these decks.
I know. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we work as a team, Kyle, of course, and we're always chatting with each other behind the scenes and then on the desk, but I really truly do not envy your position sometimes with having to analyze some of these plays and map out the map. I mean, you do it so well, Kyle, so I appreciate being your partner here on the stream. It's so exciting.
It's going to be a blast. This is what we live for. It's such an exciting time here to see such great competition and to get into their heads even just a little bit. It's really fun for me to relive some of the moments of playing on this stage, as I've done for 20 years now. But it's been great to join the desk and continue to share that along over on this side.
Were you in any stream matches?
They didn't really do the stream when I was doing well.
You're aging yourself, Kyle.
Yeah. 05 through 08 were really strong.
No grassroots?
And I mean, we had them,
Your
but
flip
you had to
phones?
get a little further than I did if you wanted to be on the stream.
I got you there. Well, still, I mean, even just remembering back to those times, simpler times in the TCG. I mean, think about these events even just a few years ago. They have doubled, tripled in size now, and it is incredible to see. Now, the only way I could think about this is that the love, the enjoyment of Pokemon is just spreading, and that is always welcomed here. So we're excited to be able to take you through just a small smidgen of that in the trading card game. Of course, our competitive players, and you know, they truly are the stars here of the show.
Yeah, that is synonymous around the world. We see in every region so many of these different stars. We've already featured a few of them here on this stage. We had Isaiah Bradner, the North American International Champion, Torb Reklev, with his 5 international wins, trying to move forward and finally claim that Worlds one. That has just been so close. A top 4, a finalist. He was maybe a turn away, a card away, if the boss's orders isn't waiting in his hand 2 years ago from Vance Kelly. Maybe it's a different story. There's so many things to follow here, and then sure enough, one of the best players in Japan right now on stream, ready to see what he's capable of too. It's such a blast.
Pasti lucu nih. Menurut gue ini akan match yang sangat lucu karena dulu butuh translator.
And he's just the nicest person ever.
Most likely.
And, you know, it really displays with how he plays. So he's so serious when he plays, and he's like the way he maps out everything.
No,
and it's just calm, cool, collected.
Translatornya gimana?
Yes,
Karena
all at the same time. But then behind
apakah
the scenes,
CN yang ngomong dari CN ke Jepang?
He's such a nice person.
CN ke
yeah,
Inggris, terus Inggris ke JP, atau CN JP JPN.
Super hyped for this. Let's get down to our table because our players are set. They're getting ready here to bring us into this match. Swiss round 3. I'm so excited. Of course, we did kind of mention the decks here before from these players. But I'm sure we're gonna get into this in more detail as we go, Kyle. But as I said, we've been through some incredible matches already, but this one is just going to raise the bar even more here in Anaheim.
Yeah, this is a blast. We see it's going to be the Marnie's Grim Snarl with the Frostlass.
Belum boleh taruh price.
For Yoshiyuki, he has the Dragapult.
Itu dia, Dragapult Grim Snarl.
2-1 line, as I know many people are curious what that looks like this time around. And Yoshiyuki, he definitely knows this Marnie's Grim Snarl list. We saw him play this before in an event featuring a bunch of other major players. He played this deck so well, so to now be on the other side.
Udah pakai baju nggak boleh aja.
I was thinking that too. You know what you're looking at. You know the lines of it, so then you know how to dismantle it. And one of the best decks to absolutely dismantle other decks is this Dragapult EX.
Frostlass harusnya nggak terlalu ngaruh
is
sih.
going to be doing everything possible to stop that from happening with this Marnie's Grim Snarl.
Bisa.
2 very explosive decks that we
Tapi
are no stranger to here on this stream, but they have different strategies here, and that's what we're going to get into. 2 incredible players, 2 different strategies. It's going to be great as we get into this match. Get into the details.
Anjir,
we're going
headsetnya
there.
kurang
There
satu.
was a mulligan, 1 mulligan, so we're gonna have some extra card draw there.
Hilang. Nggak terlalu butuh. Siapa? Shaiminnya. Dasnya nyangkut 1. Dominance sih.
Opportunity to perhaps lock in with the Badu, slow down.
Kenapa dia pakai kartu Inggris ya?
Give yourself an opportunity to see Yoshiyuki
falter a bit there.
Then you can evolve your Pokemon, establish that Frostlass. Maybe on that second turn you use your own TM evolution, and you can set up a pretty strong board early on.
That truly is the name of the game. You can't really stop Dragapult, so you just try to slow it down as much as possible.
Hurt me.
Please, I just need to get a couple turns in, and then you have a fighting chance here. So So that is what Hua is going to be doing here against Yoshi. But we've got the fist bump. We're jumping into this Swiss round 3 to kick things off here. Back into the action here in Anaheim as we start with Yoshi on the right side of our field here. Has the Dreepy in the active, already going into the deck with some search on this Ultra Ball, having to throw away a couple of cards there in the Iono.
Dreepy depan, bola ultra.
We're already in the deck here, and that's what you want to see. You know, there's times where we unfortunately see our players not able to make many moves, but this is already great. Having one of these evolution allies, you see the Dracloak is being chosen from Yoshi as we get to establish these turns. But of course, you know, we want more basics out. We want some energy down as well. Nice. That would be super nice.
Oh, it certainly is telling when you see the turn 1 Ultra Ball for a stage 1. You understand your opponent could find Badu very quickly. This is something to think about. Item cards need to be played when you have a chance. That was the only one. No Buddy Puffin, no other plays there. There was an Ultra Ball in hand, but did not choose to play that. And that's a nod to probably having a decent supporter in hand to move forward after this Dracloak is played.
Yeah, that will help us out a little bit there with some recon directives, but Yoshi's starting out not as strong as we wanted, but we'll see where this goes because Dracul is never being count out here. But Hua here starting with the Monkey Dory position. You know, we talked about Monkey Dory. It is such a threat in this format, in so many decks here. What is the benefit here for this Marnie's Grimmsnarl especially, Kyle? What are we going to see with the highlights of this Monkey Dory, how the Grimmsnarl comes out, and how quickly Juan is going to be able to start attacking here?
Yeah, this is a great card as you already have the Dark Energies built into your list. You're obviously celebrating those with the Marnie's Grimmsnarl to those Pokemon, but when you see them in hand, throw them down on Monkey Dory, get that established early on. Then you can start to spread some of this damage. You see the Marnie's Grimmsnarl has the ability with the Shadow Bullet to deal 180, but also 30 damage. And you can start to move some of the damage that accumulates on your side of the board with that Frostlass starting to build onto your own Monkey Dory. You just push that damage away, and it's almost a benefit to be damaged each turn because you're just building up your own arsenal.
Oh, thank you. I'll throw that back right at you.
Don't mind if I do.
Exactly. We're going to see lots of damage counters. Both of these decks utilize damage counters and manipulate the field just in slightly different ways. Also, what we saw from Hua there in that first round is that Stadium card coming in to search out those Marnie's Pokemon. Huge stability there for Hua, which is great to see. Yoshi kicking off this turn here. Wow, we're seeing cards fly right now. The Buddy Puffin is out here, not limited on the items, so I mean, must have been. Is that off an Iono or was that the top deck there?
That was the Iono.
Okay.
It worked out very well.
Very nice.
Dory was played down. See the Buddy really starting to work its magic. As the Duskull, the Badu as well to slow things down. Yes, there is the Spike Booth Gym in play. That can be pretty unfortunate as very easy, just search out a Pokemon, continue evolving, and you don't have to worry about the item lock on the other side. There's not usually a lot of answers for the Dusknoir player to, or for the Dragon Ball player to answer a Stadium card.
Yeah, exactly. That is one way. You just kind of have to let your opponent fly by with the Stadium, but Yoshi can slow things down, as we're seeing now. This Dracloak retreating from the active position with that Psychic Energy into the Badu. We're going to start the Itchy Pollen lock here. That is going to throw some damage counters onto the field. It is only going to be 10. Thankfully, nothing more than that at this moment. We just want to be taking straight knockouts here, but that is still a damage counter that could come into play in the future of these turns. Where do you think Hua is going here in the second turn, Kyle?
There's not much else to really ask
juga
for
tadi
at this
Mystica
point.
ya,
You
jadi
have
dia
the
harusnya
Morgrem
dihilang
now
satu.
from the Spike Moth. You have energy cards if
Energy
you
ada
want
sih.
to start establishing some of those
Bisa
on the
buat
Monkey
monkey
Dory, but
belakang.
unfortunately, we're just not seeing the TM evolution. That is a real
Terdepan.
big ticket. If you can build multiple Morgrem, then work into the Marnie's Grimmsnarl, use your ability, and have that attacker ready to go, you feel a lot more comfortable. The damage is going to start to build up, though. So as every passing Badu occurs, Itchy Pollen is helping Monkey Dory eventually just push 30 over
Udah ada
to that
Devo di
side
tangan
and
dia,
take
tapi
free knockout.
belum ya buat apa
I mean,
dipakai
the
sih.
damage counters are going to be so important to keep
dibikin
track
slow
of
sih,
here.
nggak
Whoa,
salah.
I see a TM there.
Yeah, not the one
It's the
what?
it's the
Wow.
not the green one.
Yeah, no evil Devo, yes, Devo.
Just the Devo. Devolution, thank you. I was thinking the word. I was like, what is called? The Devolution. Of course, the DMs, the way they work, you attach them, and they only last that turn. It's just a quick little boost on your Pokemon, and that's it. So it's gone out of the field now just to get it out of the hand here for Hua. Now we're over back to Yoshi. As you know, Badu established that itchy pollen here. That's what Dragapult is known for doing, getting set up into an unstoppable position. And look at this, multiple Duskull out on the field. Speaking of math though, Kyle, where do you think those Dusclops, the Dusknoir, how do you think those are going to be best utilized from Yoshi, and where it's going to go to start to slow down Hua?
Yeah, sometimes it's not about taking the prize cards that are available. It's about slowing things down and picking that perfect point. We saw from Hua, he slowed things down by just taking a stage 1 off the board, and now the evolution happens here. That means that there's no Dragapult this time around, which gives Hua a little bit of an advantage to evolve into the Marnie's Grimmsnarl. If he has boss's orders, can remove a Pokemon with the Neo upper energy. And from Yoshi's side, he just wants to attack with a Dragapult early, often. And then when the damage starts to build up on that side of the board, you include little pieces like that Dusclops, pop 5 here, take knockouts. If you get 2 Pokemon off the board at the same time, you feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, you're taking prize cards, you're taking the board. They're so comfortable in that position. We're just going to see which, you know, it's kind of tame right now as these players build up. But once we see some damage happening on this field, that is where the interesting plays truly come in. Because that's where those important decisions are going to come in for Hua. You mentioned boss's orders. You know, only 2 being on the list here, and 1 is in the prize card. So that's going to be a limited resource for Hua to be able to, or have to think about really in these future plays if we're not able to get that into the hand from the prize cards.
Yeah, and this is something that you run into with this deck is if you don't have the early Frost Blast established, what do you do in a spot like this? Only 2 damage counters that we see here on the active. You can't move that damage away, knock out the Bidoof. You're looking for a boss's orders. You don't have it just yet. Artisan a little late if you're looking for a snow run to help out. Do you want to even attack right here for the Marnie's Grimmsnarl?
Oh, it's so awkward. It is truly awkward. You have to pick and choose when you kind of accelerate this, but if you're accelerating it, oh my gosh, it was not the snow run, it's the bundle there. Yes, the Iron Bundle of Joy, my favorite artist. He hops on the field and he's treated this discard pile with that hyper blow ability, allowing you to gust up your opponent's side. They do get to choose, but if you want something like that, has to do out of the active position, kind of attack something more on the bench here, or even just slow things down for your opponent. That Iron Bundle was a great resource there. Thought out off the Artisan from and now we do see the promotion of the Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX.
Yeah, and with this promotion of the Monkey Dory, the 30 damage isn't always going to the Bidoof, but he does choose to take that knockout, move up 2 prize cards. You have an opportunity to move that around and maybe set up some other math in this situation. Force a double evolution on the Dracloaks and then remove the draw power. Instead, you see the prize card. Yes, it's very tempting to knock out the Bidoof, but maybe a little bit ambitious.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, we're gonna have to see how it plays out, but yeah, I mean, you want to go for it, but what are you thinking about in the late game? That is also so important here. And honestly, just from seeing those knockouts, I don't even think Yoshi is bothered by it, if I'm being real here. Yeah. We saw the Dracloak coming into the active. It already has that A-spec that was in the opening hands there for Yoshi as well. In that energy card, the Neo Upper Energy, and now we see more establishment there with another GB coming down. We're seeing this Recon Directive drawing more cards as well for Yoshi. So he's just, like I said, calm, cool, collected, locked in on this match as we do see Dragapult EX. Now we have the Titans here on the field, 320 HP in the Marnie's Grimmsnarl against the 320 HP Dragapult EX. I mean, this is what you love to see in the Pokemon TCG. Just giant Pokemon battling it out, but which one's going to take the title here, Kyle?
Well, this is really smart here from Yoshi, as you know that you're going to lose a Pokemon in that instance when the Iron Bundle comes into play. So he loses the Monkey Dory knowing he has the Night Stretcher. Instead of bringing up the Duskull like he originally thought, this gives him the opportunity to evolve this Pokemon. If this turn off this Iono he finds the Dusclops, he can evolve that Pokemon and maybe set up some of those situations we talked about earlier where you can take 2 Pokemon off the board at the same time. If you go after a double Monkey Dory at some point, or even after multiple pieces of the Marnie's Grimmsnarl combination, you feel a lot better about your chances when this deck starts to fall to pieces.
Yes, double monkey is always a good sign, honestly. Double monkey, double Dusclops, you know, all the mirrors here today. I love to see it. I mean, that deck is already so thin here for Yoshi.
This is exactly where you want to be at this point. Churning and burning, finding resources, still has the Dracloak, but Dreepy was established this turn as well, so even more potential to keep drawing throughout the rest of the game. You've only given up 2 prize cards. You have a ton of hit points to work with, and the damage is building. Pressure is on Monkey Dories.
Yeah, the damage is building. That's the first prize card for Yoshi taking out that Monkey Dory, but we have the heavily damaged Monkey Dory on the other side. You know, they are able to sling some of that damage back, but not all of it. You know, it's still continuing to go. The Adrenabrain can only grab those 3 damage counters to sling it back. We did net a boss's orders to the hand, the one that was in the deck here for Hua as we continue on, and right now it's just the Grimmsnarl still in the active position. We did get that evolution of the Morgrim as well.
We saw with the professor's research the discard of Snorunt. Only 60 hit points, cannot play that Pokemon basically the rest of the game at this point. It's you have to go with this linear strategy, attaching energies to Monkey Dory, throwing damage on every which way you can, and hopefully it culminates to 4 additional prize cards here. It's going to be on Yoshi to make sure he uses his hit points as an advantage and starts to target down on these Pokemon. It's still a lot of hit points to work around on the Marnie's Grimmsnarl, 320.
Oh, it is a lot. These are beefy Pokemon here, and we're seeing the swings already happen. The first one into the Dragapult EX in the active position, as you see there. Only, you know, more than halfway down as the Dragapult EX, but a fully healed Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX on the other side. So Yoshi's truly going to have to make the best moves here, but I mean, even just for Yoshi, it's threatening on that side too. We have both Dracloak now ready to turn into those Dragapult. One already has an energy attached. Both Dusclops out as well. They're just threatening the board.
Boo.
What are you seeing? What's happening?
Yoshi Yugi was so close. If he had all the pieces, it looks like in the prize cards is the Dusknoir, but if the Dusknoir were there, you could have used that to put the damage onto the Marnie's Grimmsnarl. Attacked with also the inclusion of the second Dusclops, removed both the Morgrim and the Grimmsnarl from play this time around. Instead, has to pivot, and the play starts to look a little more like take out some single prize Pokemon.
Oh, that is not the type of takeout that I like. I like Chinese food. No, this is where it just falls apart. I feel robbed here, Kyle. Robbed of the joy of that incredible turn. But I mean, that's where it comes into play, where you were talking about these slim lines sometimes of these Dusknoir. It's just the one trapped, but Yoshi's still able to make this incredible turn happen. That Dusknoir sitting at the top of the prize cards as he takes 2 more. But yeah, so unfortunate to see that.
That's the brutal part of this. You take that risk and you go after some additional prize cards, trying to draw into some more pieces before your opponent takes what could be these 2 prizes that forces you to avoid using your Dusclops and your Dusknoir. You're only going to have access to one of those for the rest of the game after this knockout. Yes, the board is completely depleted on the other side, but it might be enough to win a game.
Absolutely. I mean, every time, you know, the Dusclops and the Dusknoir, that's still a prize card you're giving up to your opponent. So you still have to think around that as well. And you don't want to play into their strategy. You want to be using those things to win your games, not just play, or at least manipulate your opponent's board as well with that prize manipulation. But yeah, then when you're kind of on the defensive side, it's a little awkward here. So we're seeing not really the full potential, I guess, from both sides of these decks, but we're still battling out in this unique scenario here as Hua is going into the deck here with an Arven. Get an item and a tool card out of his deck.
There was a bit of a debate with that Night Stretcher of is there even potential to set up another Marnie's Grimmsnarl? There's 2 rare candies in the list. We saw at least 1 in the discard pile, and maybe just don't feel comfortable about your chances at this point of setting up another Pokemon like that.
Udah ada yang
Maybe it
split
just
win
walks
aja nih gue
into
lihat.
another Dusclops
Baru
situation
15
that
menit.
you're scared of. So committing other ways now has the
Wah,
input
Darwin
to help
kalah.
out here, but do you have another way to get this an attacker
Darwin
only
kalah
if
ya.
this Marnie's Grimmsnarl falls?
Yeah, that is the scary part here, and why I don't like working with slim boards. I mean, it could go either way. You could chuck liabilities down with these slim boards where it's a little bit scary here, especially when your opponent is sitting at just 3 prize cards left to take. Of course, the Marnie's Grimmsnarl, that's 2 prize cards right there, and currently 1 each for that Monkey, Dory, and the Impy Dimp on the bench here, but Waz really got to play around this. Oh, the counter catcher, the spice.
It's okay. It's obscure.
okay,
You already have the damage built on the Dragapult. You're gonna add a little bit more there, but removing this Pokemon, it's such a tricky way. The only thing you absolutely benefit from here is the final Curse Blast is really hard to incorporate at this point. With the single prize taken, you have boss's orders already in hand. You could work your way into that last knockout on the Dragapult at some point. But I guess you can't trust your opponent to have the Dusknoir anyways. You didn't see it last turn, and they tried to draw into it. This
You're
kind of plays around that.
Hoping for the best here, Kyle. Well, we're going to see here Yoshi about to choose who to promote.
Iya, masa dia nggak nyicil ke
knockout of the
Grimmsnarl?
Dusclops.
Rightfully so. Oh, you're shell shocked, thinking of
Like, what's happening?
Well, you didn't take this knockout. Well, I just leave it here then? I can switch over to this other path. Has the psychic energy, has the Night Stretcher, can find another Dragapult full hit points to work with. There's a way to disrupt the hand a little bit. We saw him checking for the hand size. Maybe that's your combination. You can use the hit points here, slow your opponent down, keep them on a weak hand, and just have them pass the turn while one final Shadow Bullet comes out.
Decknya.
Yeah, I have some bad news for you, Kyle, sadly. I was wondering what they were talking about there, but I guess the Dragapult EX was targeted down. And that is a Terra Pokemon on the bench from that Marnie's Grimmsnarl, so that damage did not go through there. So that is more damage that we're missing off the field, unfortunately, there, with just a small mistake there. It's so easy to forget, but those Terra Pokemon have that protection there. So none of the extra damage going down. That's even more room for Yoshi to play with here as he's flying through this deck. Like you said, just confused almost a little bit from that knockout on the Dusclops, but still sticking to his strategy here, and I guess adapting in this turn. What do you think he's going to do here? Do you think he's in a strong enough position to just take things home, Kyle?
It looks pretty great for Yoshi at this point, and he's been working with a really strong setup over for Hua. He's just hasn't had as many of the pieces, but Marnie's Grimmsnarl is such a powerful attacker that just continues to put on this pressure. And once more, this is just that the interesting part of this matchup is if you can remove Monkey Dory from play and put pressure onto the Marnie's Grimmsnarl, you don't have to worry about the damage. It'll be there in the long run, but you just can't have your opponent throwing it back at you. That's what you can't work around is if they have multiple Monkey Dory.
Dusknoir masih nggak keambil lu.
So at least move this one away.
Sebenarnya satu di price.
Removing all threats off the field pretty much, because you see how bulky this Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX still is. It can't just be one shot here for Yoshi. So yeah, I mean that's awesome. Take the monkey out and just cement this win potentially here for Yoshi. I mean, there's only 2 prize cards left here in this match, Kyle, as we're going we're getting to the end of this game here, and Yoshi has just played things nice and slow and steady, and Hua is now bringing the monkey back, a different monkey this time, but is it too little too late? As you said, Kyle, you know, the strategy, if you're not able to set it up in the beginning, then it just gets awkward. You have dead cards in your deck, you're not able to set up the Frostlask, have those tiny hit points out and worsen your chances. So then you're just forced into this linear position where do you even go from here when your opponent's just manipulating your entire board?
Yeah, just softened up the Grimmsnarl enough to have that knockout ready at some point of this game. You need to have the perfect answers here, and we know it's so difficult to have that. There is a supporter, though. There is boss's orders. If you want to take the knockout on the Neo Upper Energy Dragapult, certainly you could do that, but where do you find that final prize?
Yeah, 3 prize cards left, and it could just be slightly too late here. We're seeing some of the healing happening thanks to that Adrenabrain that's throwing those 3 damage over onto the Dragapult.
That 30 worked.
Yeah, that one worked. That is not from the damage of an attack. That is like a side effect there from that Adrenabrain. So that's going through.
So now, this is the spot where it's actually correct to attack into the Terra, as he doesn't want to leave any damage on the board. So
that's true.
You force this this interaction that isn't beneficial so that you just don't give your opponent 30 damage from Monkey Dory to work with. But this is a spot where Yoshiyuki still is able to find out some help here. He has the counter catcher for the Monkey Dory. We see the Hawlucha to put the 10 damage on the Impidimp, and that is a double KO
Okay, nice.
to
Double
clean
kill.
things up and take those 2 final prize cards. Wow.
Incredible here. I mean, I didn't expect anything less
Tempatnya bagus
from
lagi nih
Yoshi,
si
but
Yoshi.
you saw his deck was thin. He's looking at all of his resources, and he mapped it out right until the end of this game. While only had 1 prize left to take there, Yoshi had to take a double prize card knockout here to take that win, and he was able to do that with those little tech cards that were still in his resources. And that was working around the Dusknoir being prized as well. So it was even tougher there for Yoshi, and he had the ability to work around that. So I want to take a look back in this game here between these 2 fantastic players and these awesome decks as well.
Yep. Boo, I want you to take a look over at Hua's side and tell me what doesn't change throughout the duration of this game. As we see this Marnie's Grimmsnarl in the active spot, attacking through, getting some early prize cards. But what seems to be consistent there, Boo? Does this Pokemon ever go away?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, the only Pokemon that I saw going away were those Monkey Dory, honestly. Wiped off the field.
Yoshi truly does not care. He's attacking, taking away those single prize Pokemon over and over again. 180-30 is not enough to handle the hit points over on the Dragapult player's side, and Yoshi finds the play to take it all with the Hawlucha, take those 2 final prize cards, and you think you've played around it all? You think you can finally set up this final Pokemon?
Damn,
it was really an interesting spot of if you wanted to play that Infinite. We saw a debate of that, and he does play it, ends up punishing him there. It's unfortunate, but you got to think of everything.
You have to. You have to be able to adapt in these moments. And that time around, Yoshi was able to take things down doing just that. But hey, we got another game on our hands between these players as we kick things off. Once again, we're going to see if the setup changes here for both of our players. As we see, Hua's already off to a pretty decent start. We have that Impidimp there, one of the Monkey already coming down. But what do you think we need to see that could be stronger in this specific matchup from Hua to be able to, oh man,
there's opportunities to include the Frost Blast potentially if you go early on with it. He did not value it in the opening game that we saw. There was Buddy Poffin to do just that, but I mean, we already saw a turn from Yoshiyuki. This is going on to turn 2 now, as he just had Dreepy pass Spike Move to get the opening deck
so
search.
There's no supporter either from Hua.
Well, yeah, and that's wild to think of. Both players do not have the resources to help out. Interesting prize cards, double bronze for Yoshi. We know how important it can be to work around the Marnie's Grimmsnarl. We did see Brock scouting in the hand, I think, so some play this time, but both players would be wishing for a little better help.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. Awkward positions here that we've seen for both of our players. But I mean, Yoshi, I'm sure breathing a sigh of relief after saying, "Oh, there's no supporter." You know, you got a dark energy on your monkey. That was about it there for the establishment of that. Yeah, I can work with that exactly. Especially when you have 2 Dreepy down. They're ready to start going into these Dark Cloak now. Since we did see that turn, I totally missed the turn, Kyle. Like I was out of it here.
I think the stream
I think you're right.
He is zooming over there, rightfully so. This is what you need to do. You have 26 minutes to try to close out a second game here. Do not give your opponent any breathing room. We see the first recon directive. It finds Neo Upper Energy of all cards. And there is another Dracloak ready to go. We see Ultra Ball in hand. This is pretty phenomenal. Fire Energy can go just about anywhere, and you can surprise with that Neo Upper. It's very unexpected to see that card this early on.
Yeah, this is just gorgeous here. The Brock Scouting bringing out these Pokemon as well for Yoshi. I mean, we are just setting up. Kind of faltered on that first turn, but now we are establishing things over for Yoshi on this side. So he's doing a great job here as we get into this itchy palm. This is awkward here now for Hua. I mean, we didn't even see a supporter on the first turn. We do have the stadium card to work with for some Marnie's Pokemon, but that's, or Marnie's cards, but I mean, is that all we're gonna see here from this hand?
I mean, the Badoo was perfect. There are 2 rare candy, 1 secret box. That's just about what you're playing around at this point. And the rare candy was in hand for Hua. He was ready to roll with the Grimmsnarl. Instead, what a turnaround here to have both Morgrim ready to go. If you're going to have an answer to a Badoo, it looks like this.
I mean, that is awesome to see here. We see the evolution happening here for Hua.
It's like we're looking for a little cleaner shuffle this time around. Also, should note the weakness that we see on this Impidimp and the Morgrim. You'll see a little extra damage from the Badoo. So the clock is accelerated. That's not what Yoshi wants.
True.
Yoshi wants more time so you don't have to think about the Monkey Dory pushing this over, taking a free KO, and then surrendering a free Dreepy or Duskull in this spot.
And look at this too. This is a huge difference for Hua as well. 2 Monkey down. We have both Dark Energy attached. You don't have to worry about accelerating your Dark Energy when that Grimmsnarl comes out, because you do it with its ability, that Punk Up ability to get not 1, not 2, not 3, 5 Dark Energy attached out of your deck. I mean, that's incredible because it's allowing Hua to get these Monkey out, and we're seeing that damage already slinging back over to Yoshi, putting him on a clock here as he goes into this turn with the Buddy Poppin to establish some Pokemon on his side as well. But it's a race. It's a race here, Kyle.
The perfect answer with the double Morgrim Iono moves the Neo upper to the bottom of the deck. Yes, it's shuffled at this point, but finding this card for an attack with a Dragapult seems very unlikely. So lean into your helpers. You've got the Dracloaks, Recon Directives, play the energy you already see.
Gila, mainnya cepet
use
banget
Iono
Yoshi
of
ini.
your own. You've countered the
Lagi win loh dia.
It is not
Nih
guaranteed
bener
that
nih
you're going
pemain
to
yang
see
oke
a
nih.
Marnie's
Lagi
Grimmsnarl
win
this
aja
next
mainnya
turn.
cepet.
Yeah, I mean, love it.
Bukan lagi
All the
win
stops
sih.
are being brought out
Maksudnya
here
dia
from
udah win
Yoshi.
game 1.
Jamming towers out. These Recon Directives running through the deck as well as we see. Ooh, Dragapult EX netted.
He's playing like he lost game 1. I love
know.
to see this as the pace is so good, and he's also got all the right
Jadi
plays to
dia
go
main
along with
kayak
it.
ya udah
We're
kayak gua
seeing
habis kalah aja.
Evolutions flying. Does he
Beautiful
have the pink
hands.
card back in his hand already?
Yes. Yeah, pink card
Unreal.
is there. There's multiple evolution. Dragapult EX. There's another Dracloak in the hands there for Yoshi. There's an Ultra Ball to play with potentially. We saw the Dusclops come down on this turn as well. I mean, it has just been super strong here, and the Badoo is still locking things down with that itchy pollen. So we're just waiting for Yoshi to have this breakout turn where things start swinging,
Bisa MJFO
and
sih.
everything just seems to be stacking up in the hands. We're seeing the stadium bumps left and right.
Tapi udah
The
telat
spike
kayak
booth
MJFO
into the
sekarang.
jamming tower, now into the
Nggak
Artisan.
telat sih, tapi
Last round
butuh.
or last game we
Bisa
saw the
frost
Artisan
last.
bring that Iron Bundle out. What do you think Hua is going for this time?
I mean, if you didn't see the Iono, I was maybe going to lean into a Frostlass play here. You have the Snorunt, you can play down from the Artisan, use a TM Evolution, and get this Pokemon into play before you have to think about the damage counters that can be played down. You don't see the Monkey Dory on the other side just yet, so maybe there was that world, but now you see Iono, you have to risk it. If you find the Marnie's Grimmsnarl, maybe just getting that Pokemon in the active spot and attacking early and often is enough to put some
Namun
pressure on
Febri
your opponent
mati
who
buat
is
2 game
flying
nggak main
right now.
apa-apa,
Wow, well, look at this
kasihan.
from off of the Iono here. You know, each card drawn is representative of those prize cards. So 6 each for these players after that shuffle and put to the bottom of the deck. And I saw a ton of just supporters in the hand. And guess what, Kyle? You can only play 1 of those every turn.
It'd be a really great trade binder. Not a good hand at the World Championships.
Yes, exactly. Just when the momentum was picking up there for Hua, it just dropped back down a tad bit here. And that's also scary when you're going against Dragapult because they can pick up the pace nice and fast as well. And Yoshi, as you see, netting a counter catcher to the hand as well. And
Gila,
these resources,
banget
it's
ya.
just
Mainnya
crazy
kayak
right now.
habis kalah.
This is what Yoshi has.
Absurd to think about. This hand wasn't great until he found the energy. He didn't want to play these item cards just yet because he knows what he's working with. Iono is used. He wants to give himself maximum opportunity to find a basic energy card but he sure enough found the exact card, the Psychic Energy, to go along with this. He has another Ultra Ball to follow up. If he needs to find the Dragapult, he can do that. Tries to find it with the Recon Directive first. He's got all the answers if he wants, and a double Dusclops to go with it.
That is brutal here, Kyle, that we're seeing from Yoshi. I mean, the triple Ultra Ball in hand is just, that's just dirty. That's just dirty.
Winning is so winning at this point.
Yeah, Yoshi, I feel like Yoshi's one of the best players at resource management, thinning the deck, you know, sequencing, fantastic here. But
I mean,
whoa,
are we
blowing up?
We're close to some nastiness here with the other Dusclops that's in play. If the Dusknoir was available,
nice. Dia bisa incer 2
almost
monkey,
take
benar.
all of the Impidimp and Morgrim off the line at this point, but this is the safer play. You can just remove the Monkey Dory. You already know you don't care about 180. It is not enough to impact your strategy. Just remove the Monkey Dories from play. You need that energy. You need that Monkey Dory. You have to do that every turn, and you also need an attacker. It's a lot to ask, but maybe we can see the call answered.
I mean, that's crazy. So much happening here for Yoshi all at once, but we got the establishment there of that Dragapult EX, both energy down to be able to start swinging the Dusclops, allowing for those knockouts there for Yoshi too. And I guess the strategy remains here in this game too between these players. The Monkey are the threat, so we are going to continue to take them out off this field, and Yoshi is doing just that. So Hua, as you see, is going to start to just reestablish them as fast as possible, because that is the only route here to having enough damage to put onto Yoshi's side to threaten these things or take these knockouts and take a win. So we're going to see, though, if that monkey removal was enough here for Yoshi.
And
Hua's going to make it a comeback.
It doesn't seem like the threat when you look at the board. You see no damage on your side. You're setting up this situation, but if you play Iono, you slow your opponent down, there's no boss's orders, no counter catcher. Dragapult has to attack into the active, and then when that damage is in play and stuck on this Pokemon, when you start to move it around, have another Marnie's Grimmsnarl in the active, you swap these Pokemon out, and you attack with that one as you clean this one up and move more damage. Take these free prize cards that are starting to accumulate on the other side. Things can go so well, but Yoshi knows that's coming, so he avoids it at every passing chance, taking away all the Monkey Dory here. It's up to Hua to just put pressure on. Attack through wherever the energies are.
Keep going.
Maybe things will slow down.
Remove the threat as much as possible. Hua's doing just that here as we see the swing of the Shadow Bullet come down off of this Marnie's Grimmsnarl into the Dragapult EX. First damage down on these giant titans of Pokemons. Of course, the 30 damage as well being placed onto the bench on Yoshi's side. So we're seeing these damage counters stack up here on all of the Dragapult clan here from Yoshi. And yeah, we're going to start going into this deck once again. We've already seen one Recon Directive, and the Neo Upper is back at it into the hand. We've seen it flying around the deck and the hand, but Yoshi has got that back.
It's just an extra security blanket at this point. Is you've already used a few of your energy cards. You have 2 committed to the active Pokemon. If you have 1 more attacker to work with, you guaranteed can work through this active Marnie's Grimmsnarl if you don't have the resources to target the bench again. But
break glass for
pretty crazy. Yeah, well, this one also can break glass. He was thinking about going for the Dusknoir here. It's a little safer to go with the other Dragapult, have that established with the Neo.
Kalau Dusknoir
dia crazy.
I like crazy too. I mean, we like to see that
on
stream,
incer
the
2
thrill
prize.
here from our players. Yoshi giving us a good show here. Dragapult EX coming out of the deck thanks to that Ultra Ball there. Some more discarding of some supporters as well. So now we see kind of the same thing here that you were talking about the Marnie's Grimmsnarl, you know? You kind of absorb the hit, trade into the other one, and outlast your opponent. Yoshi's able to do that same thing with these giant Pokemon that we see. And he's got the damage on his side as well with these Dusclops, the potential Dusknoir, the monkey potential as well. So we're seeing... What do you think about that? Boss's orders for the monkey gonna be wiped off the field once again. These Monkey Dory cannot stick around for Hua. What do you think about that play, Kyle?
This is interesting to watch because I love taking out the Monkey Dory, but then you could either lock in on the prize cards here, use one of your Dusclops,
kalau ada mungkin lagi dia nggak bisa lempar satu lagi.
One of these Morgrim, likely the one with the air balloon. but then you're in a situation where you're a little more susceptible to Iona. You're susceptible to that knockout happening from the Marnie's Grimmsnarl, and then trying to come back at that point. So he wants to give himself more answers. This leaves you with a situation where you could incorporate a Monkey Dory into the mix to find the final resources if perhaps one of these Dusclops is knocked out. But he has the answers here already. If he gets to keep this hand, likely we would see Dusclops pop, Dusknor, and a Dragapult knockout for the final 3 prize cards to happen.
Ooh. We're going to have to see. I mean, Hua has been building up quite the hand on his side as well over here. We're going to see the Super Rod to recycle some of these resources back in. We've seen so many Monkey go down, but now they're back.
Unfortunately, you just can only charge up one at a time. These Pokemon are coming back, but you're just accelerating that one singular energy. There is some damage on your side of the board to move around, but it's just not enough, as you're playing right into a couple of odd situations. Some damage from a Hawlucha could be enough to help out in this spot. A Monkey Dory with the energy could get the job done here if you have the Dusknor to go along with it.
I always forget about that Hawlucha. It jumps out right at the perfect moments to just add that extra damage, take out these knocks, and yeah, sometimes it's inevitable, unfortunately, but we're still seeing Hua turn through these turns as we see this fresh Marnie's Grimmsnarl fully charged up thanks to some punk ups here in that ability, and it's going to start swinging. We're finally seeing this giant Dragapult EX go down. That is 2 prize cards there for Hua as we're going through this game, and the Badoo promotion from Yoshi.
Yeah, Free Retreater as a Night Stretcher wants to see if there's anything to perhaps find from the discard pile. The only thing that looks enticing at this point would be the Dragapult, but you want to use that Recon Directive first. The issue there is you have a supporter already in hand, but you don't have all the resources that you want just yet. Now, this is probably just for a look with the Artisan. I don't want to bench anything. That extra bench space can be pretty interesting to how you're going to incorporate that.
Juga dia ada Bude, dia bisa 3 prize nanti.
Spaces whenever.
Keep your options open.
A lot to think about here, but I think research is going to see a lot of great cards.
Yeah, well, we're seeing the Recon Directive here from Yoshi first. Looking at these 2 cards. Ooh, it's the Luminous Energy and a Counter Catcher. The Luminous going to go into the hands. That's the energy that we've been seeing applied to the Monkey Dory to serve as that dark energy for the Regenerate. The Night Stretcher is coming out here, Dragapult EX. There's the Luminous attached as well for the attack for that Dragapult EX to be charged up.
All right, a Dusknor and a Hawlucha would get there. We see not much.
Aduh, nggak ada Dusknor.
Or just a little bit short there. Nest Ball with the energy's already attached. If the Monkey Dory was the plan, you're missing out in that regard. Bezendipity could draw a little bit more.
Nggak ada Dusknor.
We have that bench space situation. It's fine with the Dusclops, however. You just might have to use it earlier than you wanted.
Yeah.
But who cares? You could win.
I like drawing cards. So, yeah, Bezendipity is coming out here. The beautiful artwork there. We're flipping the script. That's going to be a draw 3 here for Yoshi.
Was that Ultra Ball?
It was Ultra Ball there. Oh, wow.
I think that should just about do it here. You find the Hawlucha. You have the Dusknor to go along with this. You can put the damage on the active Pokemon. Open up the bench space. Use the Hawlucha and take your 3 prize cards. Oh, man.
Wow, look at this play out here. The Dusknor there. Cursed Blast into Oblivion. All this damage flying out. This Dragapult EX fully charged up here. And Yoshi is going to take this game. 3 prize cards down. And that is a win for Yoshiyuki Yamaguchi here in Anaheim for our 2025 World Championship. Swiss round 3 winner here that you're looking at. Piloted perfectly, playing against a deck he's familiar with, that he enjoyed playing not too long ago at NAIC as well, or around the tables at NAIC, and now back again playing against it and taking it down with Dragapult EX.
Man, he was absolutely cooking. You give good players opportunities to find ways to win. They will do just that. So many different ways to come come back in that match, find those final prize cards, set up a perfect situation.
Beautiful.
Love to get into the replay here and see just how he did that.
Udah mulai submit
Masterful
kah?
play here with the Dragapult
Terry
deck.
masih
Masterful
main.
indeed. We
Yoso
saw the
win,
monkeys were
nice.
just flying. I mean, that was a strategy both games there for Yoshi, and we saw the
Yoso
continuation
win.
of that. Of course, this is our game 1. As you see, these Pokemon just being wiped out
Calvin
here.
Tai.
Some damage being thrown around. Hua was trying to just
Bingung
re-establish
deh kalau Tai itu
there and
waktu
throw some damage back, but deciding
pagi-pagi
not to
tuh
choose, or deciding to not
selama
knock
masih ada
out
time
that
kenapa ya?
Dragapult EX in that one turn, and then just was never able
Wah,
to
Atar
establish
loose.
anything else after that. So Yoshi was able to take that game nice and easy, even though Hua was almost there with just one prize card left to take into our game 2 between these players.
Yeah, I mean, cards were just absolutely flying left and right. This setup is so nasty. You remove double Monkey Dory from play. That is really the one
Ini masih
situation you
main.
need to avoid, is if you have double Adrenaline with
Jonas
the
loose.
additional damage being built up on your side, it can just start to take away some of these resources. Instead, 180 and 30 versus 260.
kalah sama
What do you
Isaiah ya.
think's going to happen? Of course, Dragapult can find all the answers. Serendipity of all cards draws into the perfect resources there and takes a huge final
Wah,
3 prize
Bercu
cards
kalah
to close this
lagi.
thing out.
I
It's
know,
fine,
gorgeous.
nice try.
Both of these players working with their own
Masih
damage
bisa main
counters,
lagi.
flying around there. And usually Marnie's Grimmsnarl, I mean, it sometimes has speed on its side. You know, it gets that crazy
Terry
board state
kalah.
with, you know, triple,
Damn.
quadruple monkeys down. Or the Frost Last strategy as well, stack up those damage counters,
Yep.
manipulate your opponent's board, but as you can see, it just didn't
Tiga,
pan
tiga,
out
tiga,
there
tiga, tiga,
against
tiga,
Dragapult
tiga,
EX.
tiga. Oh,
Even
perang
just the
Daniel.
Badoo, those pivotal turns in the beginning, not able to allow Hua to just kind of carry out any sort of stable plan there. And Dragapult EX, I mean, never count this deck out. It has so many answers, and I swear it just gets better in the late game.
Yeah,
It's brutal.
I question if it's the right play to avoid Frost Last for the entirety of the match. There were situations where just a little bit of damage would have accelerated the clock. If you build up the damage on your side of the board, Monkey Dory can knock out the Badoo earlier on. You're not wasting that 30 damage from the Shadow Bullet. You can put that onto maybe a Dreepy or a Dracloak and set up a knockout in that regard. Maybe you set up a 2-hit knockout later on that can swing the game, and you'll find those prize cards. I almost wish the Iono wasn't found in game number 2.
Yeah.
Opdex that just to see what a TM evolution in that situation
I
looks
know.
like.
Oh, kayaknya
Just
nggak sanggup,
see
guys.
what Frost Last could
Kayaknya
do
nge-stream
for
day
you,
2 aja lah
even
gua.
though it doesn't seem optimal.
Cing.
And
Atau emang gue
sometimes you
sebelum
just
ini
run
harus
into that
tidur.
low hit point
Tidur
threshold and
bangun
it's
langsung
awkward. Force
streaming.
your opponent to have the energies to attack
Tadi gue
with the
pergi dulu
Dragapult,
soalnya.
but also the energy for the Monkey Dory. It's a lot easier for you to set it up.
Damn.
All your energies work for Monkey Dory. They
Yeah.
only have Luminous.
Right, exactly. That's very, very true.
Wah, ini gua
Luminous indeed to
langsung.
power that up, but then when they have it, they
Maaf
have
guys,
it.
gua
You
harus
know,
mengudahi.
in those pivotal moments, there's tech cards
Semoga
there. I mean, you have the ability for the
pemain
Monkey
dua
Dory, the
lainnya bisa
Hawlucha to jump in at the last
lebih
moment.
oke.
We saw the Serendipity come in there at the end for that extra draw support that Yoshi needed.
Semua masih ada
there. So, I
harapan
mean,
sih.
there's just all the
Lus 2
outs.
nggak
and
lus
That's how
2,
it really
lus 3 pun
feels.
masih
Like,
bisa
I love
selama dapat
Marnie's
16
Grimmsnarl.
poin.
It is
Oke
so
lah.
fun to play,
Ini masih
but it
ada
does always
6
kind of feel like
round,
you're
6
playing
round
defensively.
masih
You know,
bisa.
you're
Ya harus win
trying to
semua,
throw as
udah.
many
Win
barricades
dan
as possible,
tie
and
sekali.
then when you're facing off against
Ya mau nggak
especially one
mau.
of the best decks in our
Tapi tie
format,
sekalinya
Dragapult
udah.
EX, it just
Dia
seems like
win
they always have
5.
the answers. So then you try to outpace them with speed, but
Oke
then
lah,
they just
oke lah.
target down your Monkey Dory, and
Mereka
then what
bisa
do
lah,
you
mereka
do,
bisa.
you know?
Aku yakin
So
mereka bisa.
it is tough. It was definitely heavily debated, I think,
Nah, itu end the
amongst
stream
many
guys.
players because it
Sudah
is
sangat
it
mengantuk
has
daripada
that
tidur di stream,
inherent
mendingan
power, but you have
sudahi.
to get
Selamat
there
menikmati
first, you know?
tontonannya
So
guys.
it was a debated deck
Bye.
in this World Championships.